we'll be good to go. Hello, and welcome into everybody tuning in over on that YouTube live stream. It's so good to have you in here with us for the day. If you don't know what we do here, we debate Trump supporters for around 4 hours until we rage quit. We rage quit at around the 4 hour and 25-minute mark yesterday. That was a pretty rough day, a bunch of really insufferable guests. I'm hoping that today's going to be better. We already have our very first Trump supporter loaded into the stream over on TikTok. That's where we get people up and down and whatnot. Their name is Greg. Greg, how old are you?
I'm 29.
29, all right. And Mr. Greg, if you'd like to take it away and tell us why you support Trump, I am all ears, my friend.
Oh, man, you're going to be disappointed in me. What I really wanted to ask you, is it okay, to debate abortion on here? Because I really have no clue.
No, we're just looking for why you support Trump. Do you have an argument for that?
I mean, it wasn't as... It's just because what I heard you claim the other day about abortion.
So, every single day, we start our live on TikTok, around 10 to 15 minutes before we start our live on YouTube. And if you're curious why, it's because nobody follows the rules when we first start the streams. I couldn't tell you why. So I hold off on starting the YouTube stream because I wait for the very first actual Trump supporter. And I thought that we found them in Greg, but apparently we didn't. Welcome in. What's going on, Money Manager? Do you support Trump? Money Manager?
I do.
Oh, there you go. Fantastic, my friend. Take it away. Why are you MAGA?
I support Trump because without Trump, you wouldn't have a job.
Okay. All right. Sounds great. So it sounds like you think without Trump, I wouldn't have a job. Well, that's not true. I had a job before Trump. Like before I talked about politics. Did you know that I did live streams with multiple thousands of concurrent viewers before I even started in politics?
You weren't very successful, though.
Well, I've definitely seen my career grow. So you just support Trump because you support me?
Yes.
Oh, man, that's funny. Now, give me a real argument. Why are you MAGA? Yeah, you just wanted to come up here and chirp. But when I just kind of laugh in their face and ignore them, they don't know what to do because they're so uncomfortable. They want to come up here and get me flustered or some shit. But they don't actually have an argument. They don't actually have one. Welcome in. What's up? Do you support Trump?
Yo, what's up, my king?
Whoa. Do you support Trump?
Nah, I ain't gonna lie, I do not.
Banned! We're just looking for some Trump supporters. I appreciate that, man. Let's go to move on to the next guest. Come on, guys. Come on, y'all. Come on, y'all. Follow the rules, okay? Follow them. Follow them. We're going to load up Lil JB next. Lil JB. Let's see if they're MAGA or they're banned. Which one will they be? Lil JB. Imagine they don't even... Oh, hi, Lil JB. Are you an American adult that supports Trump or are you banned? Banned! Moving on to the next guest. We got Trump is King loading up into the box. Here we go, everybody. All right, let's see. What will it be? Are you an American adult that supports Trump or are you banned?
Yes, I voted for Trump here. I'm 38, born in 86.
And you still support him today?
Yes.
Okay, all right. Well, your name is Trump is King. No, so Trump isn't a king. In fact, the suggestion that he is very anti-American.
Just as anti-American as the Democrats tried to cheat Trump out of the office in 2020 here with their fake election
my friend, we can't talk about that. You'll get a ban. You'll just get your account banned. I'll get a flag on the stream. If you want to be able to stay up here for more than 20 seconds because your account's going to get banned, we're going to stay away from that topic. So without talking about 2020 or if you think the vaccine is real or fake, those are the two misinformation topics that TikTok cracks down on. Tell us why you support Trump. Take it away.
All right, I support Trump because of his crackdown on illegal immigration here. When you had Joe Biden let 20 million undocumented immigrants into this country here to wreak havoc here in the state of Illinois, there was an illegal immigrant that unalived people here, was released out on cashless bail, which I'm proud Trump signed an executive order to get rid of that. Here, I'm cashless bail should be banned outright in this country.
Yeah. So point number one, you told us that Biden let in 20 million undocumented immigrants in the last 4 years. So the American Immigration Council only tells us that there's 11 million undocumented immigrants in America as of January of this year. So, whatever. We'll ignore that. Now, moving on to the next point, you said that there was some undocumented immigrant that committed a heinous crime that was let off on a cashless bail. I mean, I think his executive order only specifically extended to D.C. So there's one thing. And then point number 3, you just overall told us that you support him because of the removal of undocumented immigrants from America. Here's my question to you. Tell me one way that that makes America greater.
It makes us greater because we would be able to fill those jobs with American citizens instead of hiring illegal immigrants for doing those jobs.
Okay.
Here, when these illegal immigrants are taking our jobs, it takes away from people that could get those good paying jobs.
Yeah, yeah. So you think economically like I did when I was very young, and that's the nicest way I could say it. Just because we have a larger proportion of people working doesn't mean that we have a a lower level of overall job supply. Like for instance, do we have more demands for jobs today or 50 years ago
We have less demand for jobs today.
than we had 50 years ago?
Yes.
Okay, that's
because
not
of
true.
illegal immigration.
Okay, when I say like do we have a higher demand for jobs today or like 50 years ago, all that I'm saying, are there more companies offering more jobs in this country today or 50 years ago?
No.
There's not more companies offering more jobs in America today compared to 50 years ago. Our GDP is like
I'm
quadruple.
like, yeah, we do have more jobs today than we did 50 years
Okay,
ago.
fucking duh. That's all that I was trying to get at. Okay, we have more jobs today with a more prosperous economy today than we did 50 years ago or 100 years ago, even though we had less people in the overall labor market 50 years ago or 100 years ago. Why? It's because when somebody works, they turn around, they make money, then they spend that in the economy, creating more demand for more goods, which creates more production of more goods and services, which then creates more companies, which creates more jobs. So if we were to do a mass deportation of all undocumented immigrants in this country, according to the American Immigration Council, our GDP would actually go down by 1.1 trillion through 1.7 trillion dollars per year, which would make our producers significantly less effective. They'd be making less and selling less because we're not just removing the 8.3 million undocumented workers. We would also be removing the 11 million undocumented consumers. So overall, our markets would be destabilized. Less people would be selling less people would be buying less, which would mean less jobs. Right? Now, if you want a better solution for the American job market, what we do is we should offer a pathway to residency or citizenship to the undocumented immigrants that are already in this country, which would give them more bargaining power to hold against their employer because, they're not under the threat of being deported. They have long-term survivability in the market, which means they could garner higher wages, which means that we'd actually see an increase in real median wages in the American job market.
I mean, if we continue to give mass amnesty to illegal immigrants, when does it stop? When do we run out of room here? I'm like, I understand where your point of things are coming from, which is a valid point, but I'm like, we don't have the room for these people. I'm like, look at what the housing market is today here out in Freeport, Illinois. There's over 24,000 people living in that city, and they are having a hard time affording their housing. There's private equity firms raising their rent from $900 to $1,700 a month here.
Right.
And
so maybe the issue is like massive private equity firms owning single family properties. I don't know. And then also, undocumented immigrants have a positive impact on the housing market. They're more likely to participate in the supply side because 1 out of every 7 construction workers is an undocumented immigrant. Meanwhile, they're less likely to participate in the demand side because, well, they can't go to the bank and get a loan to buy a house. So,
I mean, I don't know. It's like I live in Illinois here, and it's just like, it's been a shithole state going down for the last 7 years since J.B. Pritzker became governor here with cashless bail ending. Here, there's
come
been
on.
people.
Illinois has been a little bit rough for much longer than that. Illinois, I don't know. My dad grew up in Illinois. There's a lot of areas of Illinois that are like very, 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 very bad. And I'm not even talking about crime. I just mean like socioeconomically. Like a lot of parts of Illinois are very bad to live in. Especially with like the industrialization of steel mills in the mid 20th century. It really created poor socioeconomic standards for a lot of people that live in Illinois and bad health conditions too. I think that people in Illinois actually have a shorter lifespan than like most other Americans from a predominant amount of states. But I mean, like you just like re-referencing Illinois and the new governor that was brought in 7 years ago is not responding to any of the points that I've given so far. So do you want to like repeat the points that I brought up so far, just so I know what you were responding? So just so I know, what you're supposed to be responding to.
You brought up that giving mass amnesty to people basically will incentivize people to become legalized citizens of this country, that they would not be taken advantage of by their employers when they become legal citizens here. And stuff. So, yeah.
So I brought up how it'd be harder for their employers to take advantage of them, and they garner higher wages, increasing real median wages in the American labor market. Isn't that a good thing?
It can be here to an extent, but I'm like,
Wait, come on. That's so disingenuous. Like, if Donald Trump passed policy that increased real median wages and made sure that people are getting paid more and it was beating inflation, you wouldn't just say that's possibly a good thing. You'd be saying, Trump, I love you!
I mean, like, but on the other side of things here, like, look at all the other immigrants that did it the legal way that has had to spend years fighting the system. I had a friend that came here and had to spend over $70,000 in immigration fees and all the other junk fees that they make them pay here for other people to cut in front of him. It's not fair to those people.
Oh, so now you care about how immigrants are being treated. You didn't care about how Mahmoud Khalil, who is a legal green card holder, was being treated when the Trump administration put him in an ICE detention center for 3 months with no reason. You didn't care about him. No, not at all. You don't care about the reciprocal effects on legal immigrants when Donald Trump calls all undocumented immigrants the poison of the blood of our country, or says they're all coming from mental asylums or escaped from prisons. Right? You don't care about, what a suggestion of how we all need to speak English and what that does to individuals that don't speak English as their first language in America, and the impact that that has on an increase in hate crimes against Hispanic Americans, where we now see like 19, 20, 21-year-old white men walking up to them and telling them to go back to where they came from, all because of the rhetoric originating and spewed from mouthpieces on the right, including Trump. So you don't care about the treatment of immigrants as it relates to the GOP and how they talk about them. But as soon as we're starting to talk about how there's so many undocumented immigrants that only came into this law with use into this country with the use of undocumented means, because the legal means of entry into this country are so unattainable, as Donald Trump has been using them as a political pawn for the last 10 years, all of a sudden then it's unfair to the legal immigrants, and then we need to greatly upset our country and break apart families to do something about it.
I mean, like, I don't agree with every single action that Donald Trump does here, like with him deporting Mahmoud Khalil here for exercising his First Amendment right. But at the same time, I'm like, look at all the things that are going on in this country here. I'm like, you got people burning flags here, which I think people should be put in prison for that for the rest of their life. Here, how are you going to disrespect this country?
You're more anti-American than people that burn the flag.
I'm like, do you think you can go into other countries and burn their flag and not be put in prison for it?
Wait, so like 50 years ago, right, the talking points from the right was, well, we are Americans, America's excellent, and we're better than all other countries. But 50 years later, now the suggestion is, well, there's a lot of other countries that don't give their citizens freedom of speech, so we shouldn't give our citizens freedom of speech either. And when we have a president wanting to play authoritarian dictator and wants to illegally infringe upon our First Amendment right to freedom of speech and force loyalty and patriotism to our country, all of a sudden you think it's a great thing. Yeah, what happened to the GOP that stood up for true free speech? What happened to the GOP that stood up for true liberties and freedoms? What happened to that, man?
I'm a product of the Democrats here because of what the Democrats have done to me here. They have persecuted me and this country here with their far left ideologies that believing everybody should be paid a living wage and we should give welfare to everybody.
You just said that it's a far left ideology to assume that if you work, you should be paid a living wage. See, that's the issue with America. But I mean, before we talk about how ridiculously stupid that was, once again, I want you to respond to my first point. Do you think that you agree with the dictator in chief illegally violating our First Amendment rights to force patriotism in our country?
Yes, because he's a king, King Trump.
Oh my God, you are so lost. No, he's not a king. If you were alive during the Revolutionary War, you'd be standing at the opposite side of the barrel of the American revolutionaries. The flag represents two things, unity and independence. Do you know what the independence part of that is from? Independence from the King of England.
Well, I'm like, this country was founded on Christianity, and Trump is a Christian. Look at all the great things he's doing here, getting rid of illegal immigrants.
He's
here,
not a Christian. He's not a Christian.
I beg to differ here. He was sent here by Jesus to protect his country.
Oh my God. Oh God. Oh God. I can't do it today. Yes, I can. I can do it today. Okay, let's talk about it. So, are you a Christian, sir? Have you read the Bible?
I don't read it as much as I should, but
Obviously.
I've read it.
So, in order to be saved, in order to be a Christian, in order to have a relationship with Jesus, what do you need to do?
You gotta believe Jesus Christ died for your sins here and ask for forgiveness, and then you'll be accepted and floated into heaven.
You're actually right. You have to have faith that Jesus is God, and you have to repent for your sins. Did you know that Donald Trump said he has never repented for any of his sins in his life?
No, I did not know that, but I congratulate him for saying that.
But you're now congratulating him for not doing one of the two necessary things you need to do in order to be a Christian. So a minute and a half ago, it was America is a country founded on Judeo-Christian values, and you support Trump as president because he upholds those Judeo-Christian values as a Christian himself. But a minute and a half later, when I get you to agree that you have to repent for your sins in order to be a Christian, and I inform you that something Donald Trump has said he's explicitly never done, all of a sudden you congratulate him. You're like you're starting to inch into territory where are you trolling? Like, is this a bit? I can't tell. Usually I could tell. I can't tell if this is a bit or not.
Nah, I'm honestly not trolling here, but I'm like, I'm like, in my eyes, in my views, I really truly believe Jesus sent Trump down here to save this country.
So
here
why
from
would
the
why would Jesus send a non-believer that's not in a relationship with him to save the country?
Because sometimes people have to see the darkness before they see the light.
Oh, so you think that Jesus is intentionally punishing us with a very bad president that is adjacent to that of the light? By the way, by calling Trump the darkness, right, in like this metaphorical sense of saying he is what is adjacent to that of Jesus, are you telling me that you support that and which is adjacent to that of your God?
No, I'm just saying that people have to go through some dark times in their life to realize that they screwed up and they need to repent and go back to God.
So you admit that Donald Trump is putting America into dark times?
He's doing it to teach people a lesson that people have walked away from God and need to believe more.
Well, wouldn't it be fair for me to say that I don't support Trump as president since he's putting America into dark times, and I don't want America to be in dark times?
I'm like, we all want lots of things, right? We all want to be a millionaire, but do you think all of us are ever going to be able to live that dream? No. Some people are going to have to go through dark times here to become who they are.
I mean, that was just a completely incoherent gibberish response to what I said. Quickly, before I let you continue, I need to thank a couple people. Sarah, thank you for the $5 on Super Chat. I appreciate that. Megan with the $5 as well. Thank you so much. One thing that makes America great is that we can burn the flag. I agree. Don't know Jack, thank you for the 10 pounds. Thank you so much for the love over on Super Chat. Thank you, Jack. As well as Parrish, thank you for the $50 Super Chat over on YT. Thank you so much, Parrish. That is Parrish. Thank you so much for the $50. That is so incredibly kind. Now, Parrish didn't leave a message. Only the love. Before I let this guest get back to the yap of telling us that we need America to suffer, and that's why he supports this heretic Trump as president, make sure to show some love to Parrish down below. And also Noel with the $10 on Venmo, saying, may you become wealthy enough for Trump to give you a tax cut. Keep informing and inspiring us, the only real Dean Withers could, quite frankly. Well, actually, may I become wealthy enough to then take that money, put it in important causes to get Trump out of office to ensure he can't give me a tax cut. As well as Kelsey, thank you for the $20 on Venmo, saying you're taking absolutely no shit today and I'm here for it. Yeah, I'm a little bit tired already. This first guest has me worn out. Thank you for the $20, Kelsey. Show some love to Parrish, Kelsey, as well as Osiris with a $50 super chat. Holy shit, you guys. Show some love to Osiris down below. Osiris says, I hope that I live long enough into the future to read the studies.
Too?
No.
Can I get a donation too?
No, you can't. They're only for me. Osiris with the $50 says, I hope that I live long enough into the future to read the studies that are done on this insane reality we are living. Oh, you definitely will. We'll be looking back on the Trump presidency in like 10 years tops, and it will be written about in history books and taught as like another dark age of the country, 110%. Thank you for the $50, Osiris. You were awesome. By the way, if you want to give me a donation per the guest request, you can find my Venmo in the link tree in my bio. I'm also going to go to put my Cash App down there. I appreciate you guys. Now take it away, man.
And if you want to donate some coins to me, tap on my profile and give me some coins.
You grifter. He's grifting so hard. He's asking for donations.
But anyways, here, yesterday there was a story out in Washington where 2 illegal immigrants were detained here by federal agents. And I definitely commend them for doing their job here because we're a country of law and order.
We're a country of law and order with a president who has been found guilty of 34 felonies, a president that has been held civilly liable for rape, and a president that has violated the Constitution 3 times in the last 200 days.
Those were witch hunts against Trump here. That was all fake news by the fake news media and the Democrats.
Okay, what were his felonies for? Who charged him with rape inside of the civil court? And what amendments are Democrats accusing him of violating in the last 200 days?
Oh, so the charge was brought up by the Democrat National Convention here, who sat there and said he did liable against E. Jean Carroll for raping her.
Wow, I'm surprised you knew her name. What about the felonies?
All those felonies here about false information here pertaining to what's that McCall it here, paying hush money to Stormy Daniels here was all fake here. It was set up by his own lawyer, Michael Cohen, who is a fraud.
Okay, well, I'm going to go in and kick him. I'm sorry, you guys. I can't do that one anymore. Let's go to move on to the next guest. By the way, what is like the over-under? That guy's a troll. Do you guys like wanted to like take, like, could you guys take a guess down below in the comment section? What's the over-under? I don't know. I don't know if he was a troll or not. We're going to go to move on. Yeah, towards the end, he was like putting on like a fake Southern accent. So I thought that made it clear that he was probably trolling. If he was trolling, he was good at it. What's up, Tim? Do you support Trump? Tim is not here. Goodbye, band. Guys, if you want to come up here and debate me, go ahead and hop in that queue. I will happily have you up here for a conversation. Just hop in that queue. We'll get you up here. It'll be awesome. We got Dirk connecting into the live right now. What's up, Dirk? Do you support Trump?
Hey, this is Dirk Funk. Of course I support Trump. Do you?
Oh, no, I don't support Trump. He's a very terrible president.
You voted for Kamala?
I did vote for Kamala. Good job. You pronounced her name right.
Very good.
So, real quick,
What's she up to these days?
What's she up to?
Drinking her days away?
No, writing a book.
Oh, writing a book.
Yeah.
Very good. Is it about dealing with alcoholism?
What's Trump up to these days? Violating the Constitution, calling himself a king, and I don't know, being found guilty of felonies, raping women, sexualizing kids?
Trump's up to being the greatest president that we've had in the past 100 years.
Jesus Christ. Why do you say that?
Well, he's securing the southern border, which is something that Kamala couldn't do.
Okay, and how is he securing the southern border?
Well, he shut down the border. He's making it so illegals aren't getting in.
I know, but how did he shut it down?
Well, by allowing ICE to actually do their job, because the president is the head of the executive branch, and he's
ICE manages
executing on these laws very well.
So ICE manages like Homeland Security on American soil for deportations. ICE doesn't manage like fighting against like undocumented border entries.
Oh, okay. So border patrol. Wow. You caught me on a slip up there. ICE and border patrol.
So what did he do to allow border patrol to do their jobs?
Huh?
What do you mean he's now allowing border patrol to do their jobs?
Well, just ask them.
That's not a response.
What do you mean that's not a response?
Like I'm asking you, like, did he pass a new law? Did he sign an executive order into law? Like, what did he do in order to allow them to do their jobs?
No, he's just executing on the existing laws way better than Joe Biden did.
Okay, so what existing laws is he executing on to a higher degree than Biden?
The existing laws that govern who can come into our country. Well, I don't know the exact numbers, right? I mean, I don't look at this stuff all day.
Right. So basically, you're telling me that Donald Trump, right, the felon, anti-constitutional idiot, is the best president we've had in the last 100 years, better than the president that passed the Civil Rights Act of 58 and 64 because of like a claim devoid of substance, reason, logic, or fact.
So are you denying that we have less illegal immigrants coming?
No, I don't.
I thought that's a well-established fact.
That is a well-established fact that we have significantly less.
So what are you denying right now? Then you're saying he's not enforcing the laws better than Joe Biden did?
I'm denying that the reasons why we have significantly less border crossings is because of great policy from our commander in chief. But I rather would.
Did I say policy? I said he's executing on the existing policy. He didn't implement new policy. But then, I mean, I guess he did. He re-implemented Remain in Mexico and some of the other ones Joe Biden.
If he was even executing on existing policy, it would still be through policy.
It would still be through policy. Yeah, I mean, sure. If you want to get into semantics, I guess. But when I hear policy, I think of new legislation. But sure.
So once again, without the interruption this time, I'll go back to what I was saying, right? Because it's very simple. I don't think that Donald Trump has been able to effectively reduce undocumented border crossings through policy. I think he's effectively reduced border crossings through fascism.
Oh, so it's fascist to have a secure southern border?
No, it's fascist to illegally deport people to El Salvador where they're beaten and tortured to play judge, jury, and executioner for fun, even when you have the Supreme Court telling you that you got to bring them back, right? And I feel like it's instances of those where the Trump administration has illegally deported people to be tortured, instances where they've illegally deported people without due process, instances where they've black bag college students and taken them 1,000 miles away, violating the withholding order of a federal judge, instances of these kind and more that has reduced the amount of border crossings into the country, because now the Trump administration is telling all new immigrants that they're going to have a lower quality of life if they get into the country at the end of the day. And who knows? Maybe they'll be illegally deported and beaten and tortured. Who knows? Maybe they'll be black bag
He didn't
and
look
deported
like
to
he was being
Uganda.
tortured when he was playing basketball and having interviews with congressmen and, you know, lifting weights at the gym. Is that torture to you?
Right. All of the footage released by Nayib Bukele, the current leader of El Salvador, was 2 weeks after the suggested timeline in which Abrigo Garcia had set forth the idea that he was tortured inside a CCOT. And the reason that I believe him when he tells us that he was tortured inside a CCOT is because it's a fact. He came back 30 pounds lighter in 3 weeks. That's a lot of weight loss. And it's also a
believe
fact
the
that
wife
the
beater
UN,
was a human
it's also a fact that the UN International Rights Watch has multiple documented cases of torture happening at CCOT. I mean, it is like very well researched, is very well documented. I think that there's this one research paper from the UN that specifically would detail the instances of 60 minors being tortured inside a CCOT. So, I mean, it definitely like doesn't, beat me to believe that he was tortured there as well.
So you're believing the wife beating human smuggler?
Okay. Well, first and foremost, you support a rapist as president. Second of all, we have less reason to believe that Abrigo Garcia did indeed beat his wife. And third of all, once again, I gave you external justification from the UN Rights Watch in order to justify the claim, in which you just completely ignored.
Yeah, I don't really care what the Human Rights Watch has to say. He's a wife beater. He's a human smuggler.
Okay, what is the evidence that he beat his wife?
Getting deported to Uganda.
What is the evidence that he beat his wife?
The restraining order that she tried to get against him.
Okay. And what about the civil restraining order would detail that he beat her? Because according to her testimony, she begun filing a civil withholding order against Abrigo Garcia when they are experiencing turmoil in their relationship. However, she testified to the fact that he had not beat her, and she just simply filed it out of precaution if he were to have beat her because of a prior relationship she was in where she was domestically abused. And that's what
He
she
sounds
said.
like a great guy. Wow, this is really the hill that you guys are dying on. I wonder why you guys
Wait,
lost in
what
Alaska.
hill am I dying on? I'm just simply giving you the facts.
That you want to keep MS-13 gang members who beat their wife and smuggle.
So you're really doing good at the Trump thing, where you make a point, I refute it with facts, and then you ignore the facts and go back to repeating the point. What's your
Well,
IQ?
I'm just saying, if you want to believe fake facts, I mean, this is the hill that you're dying on.
Wait, so now you're saying it's a fake fact, even though it's coming from the wife, when you think that the wife's processing of the withholding order is your standard of evidence to begin with. So which one is it?
Well,
Do you
yeah,
believe
I
her,
mean-
or do you not believe her?
Yeah, I believe her initial restraining order saying that he beat her. Yeah, I believe that.
Wait. Where in the initial restraining order did it say that he beat her?
Page 3, paragraph 2, the second sentence.
Okay, pull it up.
Well, I can't pull it up. I'm on my phone right now.
Okay, so what do I Google online to pull it up?
Just type in restraining order, Garcia, MS-13 member, wife beater, human smuggler, report.
All right, when I look it up, nothing comes up.
Well, I see it right now. I see. Let me type it in one more time. Kilmar Obrega Garcia, wife beater, human smuggler, MS-13 member.
Okay. All right. You're
deportee.
just saying words, my friend.
Yeah.
You're just
Good
saying
analysis.
words. Okay.
That was a good analysis.
Thank you so much. So now that, we've determined that you're just saying words and you don't have a legitimate argument to demonstrate that your point is clear, I'll just simply ask you, if you don't like men that harm women, why do you support Trump knowing that he's boasted about perving on naked teenage girls and naked grown adult women, which is sexual exploitation?
Can you name me, or actually, let me ask you this. Do you know who Beetlejuice is?
Who Beetlejuice is has absolutely no relevance to her claim about Trump.
No, it does, because that claim that Trump did, that was on the Howard Stern show. Do you know that?
Yeah, it was.
Oh, so do you know who Beetlejuice is?
I actually, yeah,
So like-
I do know who Beetlejuice is, and I do know that he's been on Howard
Do you
Stern's
know
as
who
well.
Tan Mom is?
No.
Okay, what about Bigfoot?
I know Beetlejuice. That's about it.
You know Beetlejuice from Howard Stern,
I do.
Bigfoot, you got Tan Mom. You know these are all goofy characters that Howard Stern brings on to have a good show, right? And make fun of people and be crazy on the air. You understand that? That's the point of the Howard Stern show,
Right,
to be bombastic.
So to like be bombastic. So like, are you just telling me that Donald Trump admitted to sexually exploiting people to be bombastic?
Donald Trump was trying to put on a good show. Yeah, he's an entertainer. That's correct.
So he said that he actually did these things, though, and we have like testimony from the individuals at like Miss Teen USA, Miss USA, and Miss Universe as well.
Yeah. When did that happen? 30 years later. Let me hear when this testimony was. Was it in maybe 2015, 2016 when there was maybe something going on?
So I mean, Victoria's been talking about this since she was a teenager, but all the evidence that we need to believe that he did this is
when did
the
that
fact
come
that he
out?
admitted to it.
What year?
Yeah, I think.
Yeah,
that-
when you say he admitted to it on Howard Stern.
Yeah, like for sure. How about we just listen to it together?
I think that's a little.
Can you please
Sure.
tell me where it's like clear that he's obviously just being like facetious? And
Yeah,
like, he's
the
not meaning
setting
what
and the
he's saying.
context is.
Let's actually go ahead and listen to the context.
And you have fantastic
Go ahead.
hair.
Well, you're a powerful man, right?
This is on Howard
Right,
Stern,
you're a
ladies.
powerful
and gentlemen.
man.
Right.
I want to sleep with you. Now, you're not the type that would say no.
I don't want to hurt their feelings.
Right. No,
Right.
but I mean, you see a beautiful woman, you want
Right.
to have that. You're
Well,
a
you
guy who
certainly
likes to
think
have
of it.
everything, right?
Well, couldn't that be construed, however, as
Conflict?
yes?
Well,
I don't see it as a
It
conflict.
could be a conflict of interest, but it's the kind of thing you worry about later.
Oh, I see.
You tend to think about the conflict a little bit later on.
question is, how can it not be construed?
No, I mean, some of these foreign girls, Mr. Trump, in my country, we say hello with vagina. And
Well, you could also say, as the owner of the pageant, it's your obligation to do that.
So you have done that. Now, tell
Well,
me
I'll
what
tell you the funniest is that I'll go backstage before a show.
Yes.
And everyone's getting dressed and ready and everything else. And, no men are anywhere. And I'm allowed to go in because I'm the owner of the pageant, and therefore I'm inspecting it. I'm inspecting.
Right,
I want
right.
to make sure that
You're like a
everything
doctor.
is good.
You're there.
Yeah, the dress. Is everyone okay? They're standing there with no clothes. Is everybody okay? And you see these incredible looking women. And so I sort of get away with things like that.
Howard Stern, ladies and gentlemen.
So I want you to make it clear to me, and I want you to make it clear to my chat. I want you to attempt to convince us all that when Donald Trump says that he has done this, that he gets away with this, when Howard Stern affirmed that you have done this, and the answer is yes, that he didn't actually mean that he's actually done it.
Yeah, and this is just maybe showing your age a little bit. How old are you? What are you, like 16, 17, something like that? You probably don't know who Howard Stern is. You probably just know Howard Stern from his post-Trump derangement syndrome days. But back in the day, Howard Stern was what we call a shock jock, right? He would bring people on the air and people would say these wild things just to get a laugh, right? I mean, that's literally the entire point of the show. And Donald Trump, being a natural entertainer, a natural crowd pleaser, went onto the Howard Stern show and played the game that Howard Stern wanted him to play.
Okay.
I mean, it really is the most
sure.
simple thing in the world if you
For
actually
sure.
understand what Howard Stern is. Yeah.
Okay. Well, see, like the issues here are like point number one. If you want to suggest that the things that he was saying inside of the podcast were just simply fictitious and didn't actually occur, why don't we have
it's the
Donald-
Howard Stern show. That's
Please
fact.
don't interrupt me. So point number one, if you want to argue that these things were like simply fictitious and didn't occur, I just simply ask you, why has he never said this? Right? Like this was something that Hillary Clinton brought up a lot during his 2016 campaign for the presidency. And Donald Trump not once denied his own statements. Right? And obviously if he was just doing it for a laugh, doing it for a gag, doing it as a joke, that would have been the first thing that he said.
Well, Donald Trump knows how to get good publicity, right? And he understands that it's not in his interest to be talking about or defending something that he said on Howard Stern, putting that in the headlines. It's easier just to ignore it and let people with a brain realize what happened.
So then why didn't he ignore, like, for instance, the Wall Street Journal's reporting on the letter that he had sent to Epstein? Why didn't he ignore her other, reporting about how he denied housing to black individuals in the 70s? Why didn't he ignore the birther myth, right? He's talked about all these things. In fact, prior to the 2016 election, he talked about a lot of the controversies surrounding him that Hillary Clinton and her campaign has brought up. He didn't ignore any of it outside of this. So
And
why
all
did
of
he
that
specifically
worked out for him
only
because
ignore
he
this?
won the election.
Why specifically did he only ignore this point when it was the only one that was obviously false, because apparently he was just making a mockery and joking?
Yeah, because some of them required clarification, some of them required ignoring.
Okay, but
Obviously,
which
it worked
ones-
because he won the election.
But the
What-
way that
what
we
don't you get?
the way that we dictate which ones would require clarification or ignoring would likely be the fact that it is true or false, right? If it's true, right, you ignore it. If it's false, you clarify on it. And you can't just simply argue, right, that it is the case that, well, because he didn't clarify on it and he won the election, this means that he didn't have to clarify on it. Well, I mean, prior to the 2024 election, he said he was going to win. He said that he was too big to rig. He was sure of his victory, and apparently he won, obviously. But yet he talked about, for instance, the outcome of the E. Jean Carroll grape case. He talked about the 34 felonies, even though he thought he was going to win, and he did. So that's not a good argument either.
Well, I don't get your point. What are you referring to? He talked about the E. Jean Carroll case.
Yeah, he talked about the E. Jean Carroll case. He talked about the felonies.
Well,
he
what does
talked
that have
about
to do with
all
anything?
of the controversy surrounding himself prior to the 2024 election cycle.
Yeah,
even
because
though
anyone
he
with a
knew he was
brain
gonna win.
sees that those are sham trials and sham verdicts. I mean, anyone with a brain. sees
Wait.
that.
But I thought your argument was because anyone with a brain would know that Donald Trump wasn't being serious when he said he was serious about perving on teens at Miss USA, that's
Yeah.
why he didn't need to talk about it. But now you're telling me that anyone with a brain would know that his
Yeah.
felonies were fake, would know that the grape case is fake, yet he did talk about it. So apparently,
Yeah, I mean,
right, your mockery of a defense of truth by suggesting that anybody with a brain would know that he was joking on Howard Stern's show is insufficient to demonstrate why he wouldn't talk about it if it was false.
You're literally asking me to explain why he wants to publicize certain things and why he doesn't.
Well, no,
I
I'm
mean,
just simply explaining like the holes in your theory, right? The obviously glaring hole in your theory
knows
that
how to
he was
play the
just-
media.
The obviously glaring hole in your theory that when he went on Howard Stern's show, he was just joking around is first and foremost, we know that like certain aspects of his statements are certainly true, such as the fact that he owns pageants. We know that other certain aspects of his testimony is certainly true, such as the fact that these are things that he's done because individuals that went to the shows have testified that they were done to him, as well as if they truly were not true, right, then why wouldn't he talk about it when controversy was raised against him for it, given that he talked about other controversy as well, not just in the 2016 election cycle, but also in the 2024 election cycle. Like, these are the big holes in your theory. This is just cult logic.
It's not a hole. I don't know why you keep saying that. Some controversies are worth talking about to either clarify certain things, and some of them are not because they're so clearly ridiculous. I mean, I don't get what you're saying.
Right. Well, now you're contradicting yourself once again because now you're positing if it's clearly ridiculous, then Trump isn't going to talk about it. But you said that the grape case and the felonies were clearly ridiculous, yet Trump talked about them.
Well, I mean, those were a little more public. Having a witch hunt against a former president, I mean, that was in the news a little bit more than the freaking Howard Stern interview from 1990.
Okay.
I mean, you
So
don't see
now,
that. there's
So now
maybe
you're
a
just
difference
suggesting
between
that it
those
just wasn't in the
controversies.
news enough?
I mean, yeah. I mean, I guess that dictates whether or not you're going to make a public statement and defense on
Okay.
what happened. Yeah.
So now please give me reason to believe that. Give me reason to believe that this as well
I
as
mean,
the
it's
Access Hollywood
obvious. I
tapes
mean,
were
what do
not
you
in
want
the
me to
news to a similar level prior to the 2016 election.
The Access Hollywood tapes, he did clarify. What are you talking
Right,
about?
even though that they were in the news to a similar level as, like, for instance, his statements on the Howard Stern show prior to the 2016
They were not
election.
even close to the same level. What are you talking about?
Give me
You
evidence
think
to
the
believe that.
Howard Stern
Give me
interview was
give-
on the same level of
prior to the 2016 election? Absolutely. Give me reason to believe that they were.
It absolutely, because I was alive and was paying attention to the campaign.
Oh, so you're just saying from your perspective they weren't? That's not good reason, dummy.
That's not good reason, dummy. It's objectively true that that's the case. I
It's
don't know what you're
objectively
talking-
true because it's objectively true. That's a circular argument.
I mean, you could cope and see that it's circular. I mean, anyone with a brain knows that that's true.
Okay, really? Give me a defense
How
for that.
old were you during the 2016
Wait, you
election?
just said
What
that
were you, like, 12?
anyone with a brain knows that that's true. So I just want to clarify. Your argument is it's true because it's true, and if you disagree with me, you don't have a brain.
Here, how about this? How about you go to Google
No, can you
Trends?
can you
and type-
clarify? Can you clarify if that's true or not? Can you just clarify as your argument it's true because it's true, and if you disagree with me, you don't have a brain?
Okay, so let's put some data behind this. Google Trends. Do you want to do it? You want to share
I'm
your
not
screen?
I'm not gonna do your homework for you, my friend.
All right, I'll okay.
Jesus Christ, man. Jesus Christ. I appreciate you guys so much for the love. Let's go ahead and thank a couple people over at Venmo. Elizabeth with the $5 over at Venmo. Thank you so much for the love, Elizabeth. And then Isis with the $10 over at Venmo as well, saying ask him if Trump was also a crowd-pleasing entertainer when he said grab him by the P word. I guess he was also crowd-pleasing then, right? Isis, thank you so much. As well as Jared with the $10 saying thank you for putting up with his insufferable, condescending attitude. Yeah, man, I mean, it doesn't really faze me. He's obviously, like, terrible, uneducated, unintelligent, and condescending. It is what it is, though. As well as Sarah, thank you for the $10 on Venmo as well, saying thank you for all that you do, especially for women. Also, please tell this guest that the only human smuggler is Jeff Epstein, who's Trump's bestie. What's he got to say to that? You know, I think that we should bring that up next. As well as Dylan with a $14 saying what happened to the separation. One moment. What happened to the separation between the church and the state? People use their religious beliefs to vote for extremely anti-constitution because they're trying to force no more religious freedom. Yep. Thank you for the love, Dylan. As well as Michelle with the $10 on Venmo saying happy early birthday. Thank you, Michelle. Thank you, everyone, so much for the love over on Venmo. Also, I would definitely believe that you could go to Google Trends, type in Access Hollywood tapes and Trump on Howard Stern, and you're going to see that Access Hollywood tapes is going to pull up significantly more. The reason being is because when people are referring to this clip, they're probably talking about media as propagated in mainstream and likely don't even know that it was on Howard Stern's show.
They don't know it was Howard Stern show, but you just said everyone knew at the same level of the grab her by the pussy thing that it was the
because
Howard
they're
Stern.
playing the audio clip about him talking about this. Just because it's on the Howard Stern show doesn't mean that people know it's on the Howard Stern show.
So, okay, so what would they type in then? What do you want me to search?
Oh, I don't really... What would they type in? I don't know, man. That's going to be your burden of proof to demonstrate that it was significantly less popular prior to the election.
Yeah, I mean, I think anyone who was alive during the election knows how wrong you are. I mean, I don't know what to tell you.
Anybody who's alive during the election knows how wrong you are. Like, you're literally doing the meme right now. You're literally doing the thing where, like, Donald Trump could tell you, like, shoot somebody on Fifth Avenue right in front of your face and you'd still support him. Like, he literally admitted to sexually exploiting kids right in front of your face and you still support him. You're just very, like, lost and gone to the cult. You know, like, the funny other thing is, like, you've continued to repeat, like, anybody with a brain knows you're wrong. Anybody that was alive prior to the election knows you're wrong. Yet here you are in front of over 14,000 people, and I don't see one person in the chat saying I'm wrong. Like, how does that make you feel?
Well, I got, 78 points? Is that what this? I'm not a TikTok guy, but I see some people agreeing with me.
Right, yeah, 78 points out of 14,000. Very good, man.
Thank you.
All right. I just kind of want to, like, see how, like, far your cultist brain has gone. So do you care about the Constitution?
I do care about the Constitution, yeah.
Would you still support Trump if he infringed upon, like, multiple parts of the Constitution?
Would I still support him? Yeah, I mean, every president has done that. That's what the Supreme Court is there for.
Yeah, but I'm talking belligerently infringed upon these parts of the Constitution, likely knowing they were unconstitutional.
Okay, well, that's different. Likely knowing?
Yeah,
okay,
likely
so
knowing
can you give an example? Well, I mean, now you're getting into his brain state, but sure. I mean, do you have an example of what he's talking about?
Yeah, for sure. Right, I could give a great example. Executive Order number 14160, signed in first day in office, January 20th. It is attempted to take birthright citizenship away from the children of undocumented immigrants born on American soil. The reason why I'd say he likely knew this was unconstitutional is because, well, it explicitly states that all people born in this country are and subject to the jurisdiction of our law are citizens, and obviously the children of undocumented immigrants are people. Not to mention that rulings from SCOTUS have been upheld since literally 1898 to suggest that the children of undocumented immigrants born on American soil are citizens, as well as it's just clear given the explicit text of the amendment. So he either knew it was unconstitutional or he's just, like, really stupid.
Well, I've heard legal scholars say otherwise.
Okay, yeah, what's the legal argument?
The legal argument is the context around the 14th Amendment has literally nothing to do with anchor babies.
Okay, so could you give me that?
Can I give you what?
Can you give me the context that would justify the legal argument?
The context of the 14th Amendment is slavery. People who are slaves are citizens in this country, and their babies are also citizens.
Do you have birthright citizenship?
Yes, I do.
Were your parents enslaved?
No, my parents aren't enslaved.
But I thought that you said that was only for the children of individuals that were enslaved.
So are you saying prior to the 14th Amendment, people who are born of American citizens were not citizens? Is that what you're saying?
I'm suggesting that your interpretation of the 14th Amendment is very poor. And actually, before the 14th Amendment...
So if it's poor, then answer my question.
Yeah, for sure. Because you said that it's only...
So you're saying they weren't citizens?
Well, everyone born on American soil was a citizen under common law. Right, until
under common law. Okay, so there you go. That answers your question. So the 14th Amendment doesn't have to do with me because I wasn't a slave.
Wait, so you think that you have birthright citizenship because of common law from 300 years ago?
Isn't that literally what you just said?
No, I said that you have birthright citizenship under the 14th Amendment.
Okay, so I said prior to the 14th Amendment, would I have been a citizen if I was born to American parents?
You have been a citizen as understood in common law, but I'm asking you about your citizenship
today.
Why do
you keep muting? What's that about?
I'm asking you about your citizenship today, right? You changed my question. I didn't suggest if you would or wouldn't be a citizen prior to the 14th. I asked if you were literally if you have access to birthright citizenship today.
If I have access to birthright, I mean, technically, yes. If the current interpretation of the 14th Amendment is anyone born on American soil is an American citizen, sure.
Oh, wow. The current interpretation?
Yeah, the current interpretation, your interpretation, yeah.
Wait. So that's not your interpretation, though.
No, my interpretation, yeah, it is common law. Yeah, if I'm born of American citizens on American soil, then yeah.
So
obviously I'm a
did you
citizen.
know that you were even wrong about the original intent of the 14th? Let me ask you. When was the 14th Amendment passed?
You tell me.
Oh, you have
What,
you
are
have
we
no
gonna do a
fucking
quiz
clue.
now?
Wait, so you know all about the intention of the framers of the 14th, but you don't know when it was passed? I'll help you, my friend. It was passed in 1865, and you're suggesting that the
Great.
original intent of the framers of the 14th was to specifically give citizenship to the children of prior enslaved individuals, correct?
Correct.
So then how come on the floor of Congress, when they were ratifying it in 1865, they had congressional debate on if immigrants should have access to citizenship under the 14th or not? And they agreed that they should. And then in 1898, less than 30 years later, U.S. versus Wong Kim Ark uphold that ruling and giving birthright citizenship to the children of non-citizen immigrants born on American soil, and then even agreed insofar as who is and is not subject to the jurisdiction of the United States law, which would be the key determining factor in if they're subject to the 14th Amendment. And they set very clear, explicit parameters to outrule the children born of foreign diplomats, to outrule the children born of foreign invading forces, and to outrule indigenous Americans, which was later revised through federal law.
And you understand that everything that you just said could be overturned, right? Just like Roe v. Wade.
Right. You're just saying now the Constitution can be changed legally. So have we now gotten you to the point where you're telling me that you
Did
can
overturning Roe v. Wade change the Constitution?
it changed the interpretation of the privacy
Yeah,
clause of the 14th?
yeah, just like
Do you mind if
this
you allow me
could
to finish?
change the interpretation.
Actually, no. So no, an executive order from the president can't change how the Constitution is interpreted. That is an
Yeah, so
illegal.
challenge it in court.
Now you're saying to challenge it in court. Okay, so now the court.
That's the point of the judicial, yeah.
So can you give me a legal argument to demonstrate that it is the case that they would not be subject to citizenship under the 14th?
I just did.
No, you didn't. What is the
I
14th?
just said.
I want you to read me the 14th Amendment and explain to me how they wouldn't be subject to it.
Yeah, if you're taking it like literally word for word without taking context into account, then yeah.
How does context play into interpretations of the Constitution?
It completely plays into
so what context
are you
is relevant
talking
to change the legal interpretation of the 14th?
the context in which the amendment was created. I mean, what are you
but
talking about?
I thought I already told you that the context that you suggested was created in was incorrect.
Say that one more time.
I told you that the context you suggested it was created in was incorrect.
So it wasn't created to make sure that slaves were made citizens.
Yeah, it wasn't only created for that reason.
Okay, I mean, I don't know what to tell you. I mean, that's the common understanding of the 14th Amendment.
Well, I mean, then
you
just
are
misled.
the one who. Oh, I mean, you could say that, sure. Argue it in court.
Well, no, my evidence would be the literal congressional debate on the floor of the House and the
Okay,
Senate in
so let's see the
1865.
Supreme Court say that. I mean, what do you want me to tell you?
Yeah,
It'll
even-
have to go to the
even-
Supreme
even-
Court. They'll
even
make
this-
a ruling on it.
Even the Supreme Court has upheld that undocumented immigrants are subject to protections under the 14th. They did that with Plyer v. Doe in 1982.
So you keep saying this over and over. Let's see it go to the Supreme Court and see what their interpretation is.
We already know what it is from Plyer v. Doe in 1982.
So once again, the Roe v. Wade, wasn't that the Supreme Court?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and didn't the Supreme Court overturn that?
Yeah, because they could
Okay, so
overturn
if
their
there was a
interpretations.
decision made in the past, it could be overturned, right?
If there was a decision made in the past, it can be overturned. But because it hasn't been overturned yet, means it is currently unconstitutional to deny birthright citizenship to the children of undocumented immigrants, which means when Donald Trump passed Executive Order number 14160, that was clearly unconstitutional.
So challenge it in court and let's see what the Supreme Court has to say. What don't you get?
Wait, so now you agree that Donald Trump passed a clearly unconstitutional executive order?
No, obviously I don't agree. But you think it is, so go to the
Wait. So if you don't concede that it's clearly unconstitutional, what is your argument that it's not clearly unconstitutional?
What is my argument that it's not clearly? Because I already said legal scholars have said otherwise.
What legal scholars have said what?
I already told you there have been legal scholars that have said this is still a gray area. It's not clear that the 14th Amendment applies to anchor babies.
Okay, so could you please give me those legal scholars' refutation of the clarity represented insofar as the
I
first,
just
second, and
did.
third section? You don't even know what I'm going to ask you.
Go ahead.
Yeah, so what exactly about the birthright citizenship clause of the 14th is unclear?
What exactly is unclear?
Yeah.
Yeah, the fact that it applies to anchor babies.
Okay, could you show me where in the text of the 14th that's made unclear? Because that's the question that I'm asking that you're not answering.
I already said you keep saying in the text, but I'm saying the context, which obviously does matter when you're talking about judicial.
How about we just read this together and you tell me what's unclear. So here's section 1 of the 14th. All persons
Go ahead.
born or naturalized in the United States and subject to the jurisdiction thereof are citizens of the United States and the state in which they reside. So this would suggest like two necessary parameters in order to be considered a birthright citizen. You have to be a person born in the United States of America, and you have to be subject to the jurisdiction of the United States of America. So which one of those two necessary aspects is unclear if they would or would not apply to the children of undocumented immigrants?
Yeah, I don't get why you're struggling with this so much. You're taking the words literally, right? But the job of the judiciary is to understand the context in which the law was
So
written.
do you agree or disagree that both of those two necessary
agree that
criteria
the words
clearly apply
literally-
to undocumented immigrants?
Oh, I already said this. The words literally, if you take them literally, yes, they apply to
Oh,
everybody.
so now you just agree that the 14th Amendment clearly applies to undocumented immigrants. So when Donald Trump tries to pass an executive order to demonstrate, or an order to take that away from them, he's clearly doing something unconstitutional.
Are you joking right now?
No,
You're,
I'm
like,
not
perfect-
joking. I'm not joking.
You
Because
understand-
where do like legal arguments and SCOTUS decisions come from? When SCOTUS is interpreting the Constitution, what exactly are they interpreting? What are they interpreting? When they usher a ruling to interpret the Constitution, what are they interpreting?
They're interpreting that the government didn't overstep what the Constitution says that they can't overstep.
Exactly. What they're interpreting what the Constitution says, or more so, the literal words of the Constitution. So if you and me have now agreed that the literal words of the first
No,
section
not
of the
the
14th
literal.
Amendment,
When did I say literal words? What the hell are you
by
talking
saying
about?
what the Constitution says. What the Constitution
Yeah,
says are the literal
you could
words of
say
the Constitution.
something. Yeah, the context says something as well. I mean, what don't you get?
Wait,
okay, so let me say this. Do
the
you think we should
context,
have any?
the context only as it would relate to the wording of what the Constitution says.
Think we should have any gun control?
Why are you asking me a question instead of responding to mine?
The Second Amendment clearly says.
I'll happily talk to you about the Second Amendment after we talk about the 14th, you pivoter. Now stay on topic. We agreed that when the SCOTUS would issue a new interpretation of the Constitution, they're interpreting what the Constitution clearly says, right? They're making an interpretation based upon the words of the Constitution. The law is literal. They are literally looking at the words of the Constitution and interpreting their scope of applicability. And when there's words in the Constitution in which are unclear, such as what the subject to the jurisdiction thereof means, that's when the SCOTUS steps in and they make a ruling to make it clear. But guess what? They've already made it clear to what the subject of the jurisdiction thereof means within the first section of the 14th Amendment in Plyer v. Doe in 1989 and in U.S. versus Wong Kim Ark in 1895.
I mean, I don't know what to tell you. If you think that all lawyers do all day is look at literal words and see like the meaning and see if that's what applies, that's not all they do. They take context into account. They take other precedent into account. I don't know why you don't get this. They are not just looking at literal words. That's literally
I'll
not
prove
the
it to you.
case.
I'll prove it to you. I'll prove to you that I'm right and you're wrong. You know how you've
Please.
re-suggested multiple times that there's been many constitutional lawyers that have suggested that there is a legal argument that the 14th wouldn't apply to the children of undocumented immigrants?
Sorry, say it one more time.
You know how you've like re-suggested many times that your argument hinges on the fact that there's many like legal specialists, constitutional lawyers that have concluded that there is a legal argument for the idea that the 14th doesn't apply to the children of undocumented immigrants born on
Right.
American soil. Okay, what I
Sure.
want you to do is I want you to go find one name of one constitutional lawyer that has made a legal argument that it doesn't apply to them, then come back to the live, share their name and share their argument. I swear to you that their argument will be an interpretation of the literal words of the second part of the 14th Amendment, that being, if you're born on America, you're a citizen, if you are, and I quote, subject to the jurisdiction thereof. Their argument will hinge on the literal phrase and subject to the jurisdiction thereof when attempting to conclude that undocumented immigrants are not citizens if they're born on American soil because they're not subject to the jurisdiction thereof. That will be the legal argument you find, and that is a legal argument predicated on the literal word or phrase subject to the jurisdiction thereof and what that even means.
Okay, sure. Yeah, I mean, I could come back to the live.
Just go on pause and do it real quick.
Going back.
Go on pause and find me one legal argument that somehow it hinges on like historical
Sure.
context and not the literal phrase subject to the jurisdiction thereof. Find it for me
Sure,
right
one
now.
second. All right, be right back.
Yeah, no, go do it. Go do it. I don't know why, man. Dude, we got a Facebook grandpa over here trying to make an argument out of nothing. When I'm very well researched on this. Robin, thank you so much for the gym gun, right? So the legal argument that the children of undocumented immigrants that are born on American soil are not citizens is that they're not subject to the jurisdiction thereof. And then they explain that they're not subject to the jurisdiction thereof based upon like a misunderstanding of the ratification of the 18th in 1865, B, a misunderstanding of like relevant court cases to determine that they are, such as U.S. versus Wong Kim Ark, and like 3, just a complete ignorance and ignorance of like other cases that have explicitly ruled that undocumented immigrants are subject to the jurisdiction of U.S. law, such as Plyer v. Doe in 1982. We're cooking this fraud. Kensington,
Okay.
thank you for the $5
I'm back.
over on Cash App. And Rebecca, thank you for the $10 over on Cash App as well. Then Billy with the $5 as well. Thank you, Kensington, Rebecca, and Billy. You guys are awesome. As well as Jacob. Thank you so much for the $25 on Venmo. Saying this man is Odin on the Dunning-Kruger effect right now. Also, happy early birthday. Thank you for the 25 loves, for the $25. All the love to you, Jacob. And thank you so much for the happy early birthday wishes. Show some love to Jacob down below. And then Tammy with the $20 saying, I so appreciate everything that you're doing. Try to educate these Trump supporters. So thank you. Thank you so much. And then Anna with a 5, Maya with a 5, and then Alex with a 5. Thank you guys. Go ahead.
So there's this thing from John Eastman. Have you heard of John Eastman?
Yeah, man. He was the one that orchestrated Donald Trump's attempted coup of the 2020 election.
Okay. Well, he says the 14th Amendment, in my view, and in the view of a number of scholars who've looked at this, was not intended to confer citizenship on the children of people who were here illegally.
Mm-hmm. And then his argument for that is what?
The intentionality of the 14th Amendment.
No, the argument for that would be that they're not subject to the jurisdiction thereof.
Okay.
Right?
Sure.
So, like, I want you to give me his argument so I can prove that to you.
Yeah, no, you're right. Yeah, I see it here.
I'm right. See, my point. My fucking point. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. Do you see how I'm right and you're wrong? Can you concede this point?
I mean, I guess in this case, you're right. I mean, I'm sure there's others who say otherwise, but sure.
Go find one. Go find one, please.
second.
Every single argument that you will find from a constitutional lawyer arguing that the children of undocumented immigrants that aren't born on the soil is that they're not subject to the jurisdiction thereof. By the way, I appreciate you for admitting that I'm right. I honestly, bro, I'm surprised you got it in you. That may come in as a little bit of a dig, right? But it's also like a little bit of like a good job. It is. It's both at the same time. While he's looking for that second one, I'd also like to quickly thank Alex for the $50 over on Super Chat. Thank you, Alex. Let's get 500 Alex W's down below in that chat. Thank you so much, Alex. Alex says, hi, Dean. Just found out my narcissistic father looks like that one JD Vance meme. How's your day so far? You know what? My day so far has been pretty good. I slept in, didn't have to go to the gym. It's my rest day. And now we're on live hanging out. So I'm enjoying it, guys. Let's get 500 Alex W's down below, as well as let's get 200 Sray W's. Sray with the $20 on Super Chat says they see themselves in Trump. That's why they will justify anything and everything he says or does. Yup. Thank you so much. They value Trump more than they value logic in of itself. By the way, if you're watching and you'd like to support me, you'd like to support my mental brain rot that I experience on live here, you'd like to support what we do, you can find my Venmo and my Cash App in the link tree in my bio. I'm also just permanently banned on PayPal. I thought it was good to let you guys know. I'm permanently banned on PayPal. They took my account away, so we're only on Venmo and Cash App now. We'll go ahead and bring somebody else up in the meantime while this guy's looking for an argument. Yeah. Oh, by the way, somebody in my YouTube chat brings up something good. John Eastman has been disbarred. Yeah, he literally lost his law license because of what he did in 2020. Everybody in the chat asking why my PayPal is banned. I don't know why. They banned it, and then they have now frozen all of like the funds in it. I had $6,000 in my PayPal account because I hadn't emptied it for a while, and they say that they're going to give it back at like 180 days. But there's like so many other reports of people online saying that they just never got it back. Yeah, it's pretty rough. It's pretty rough, chat. No clue why they do that. Hey, Love Trump 288, feel free to unmute.
Deenie weenie, show us your peenie.
Get out of here. Guys, only hop in that queue if you're a Trump supporter. We're only looking to talk to some Trump supporters while our friend down here is doing some research. While Dirk is doing some research, we're going to go ahead and load up that next guest right now, everyone. Maya, thank you for the $10 super chat. Thank you so much for the love. Maya, you should send that to me over on DM. You could also drop it in the Discord. We just have to check it out, make sure it's legit. Let's go ahead and move on to the next guest right now. We got Charles T3 loading up in the box. Charles T3, make sure that you're a Trump supporter. If you're not, you're going to be banned. What's up, Charles? Are you MAGA?
Yes, I am.
Okay, how do you?
Okay,
It was a child. That was a child. Lee, thank you so much for the $21 sub for Venmo. Thank you, Lee. Lee with a $21 says, let's find it real quick. Where is it? Where's Lee? I cannot find it. What's up? Do you support Trump? There it is. Lee says, happy early birthday. Thank you so much, Lee. That is very kind of you. Show some love to Lee down below. All right, we're going to move on to that next Trump supporter. We got Emily Davis loading up. Show some love to Lee down below. By the way, Dirk is on mute looking for a single legal argument that wouldn't hinge on attempting to argue that undocumented immigrants are not subject to the jurisdiction thereof in the 14th. We got Emily loading up. It doesn't look like Emily's connecting, so we'll go ahead and move on to Andrew. Goodbye, Emily. Make sure we're in that queue. We're MAGA, everybody. Thank you so much, Lee. Once again, that is very kind. That is very kind. Looks like Andrew's not connecting. We're going to go ahead and move on. Hey, Calvin, thank you for the $10 on Cash App saying, hey, can you do me a favor and say hi, Cal? Hi, Cal. Thank you so much for the 10. You're awesome. Moving on to the next guest, Courage to Walk, guys. Go ahead and put a MAGA with your age down below in that chat if you'd like to skip the line. As well, Sierra with the $3 on Cash App saying happy early birthday. Thank you. What's up? Do you support Trump? Okay, it looks like they're driving and they probably didn't mean to join. Moving on to Tristan. We got Tristan connecting, you guys. We got Tristan connecting. What's up, Tristan? Are you MAGA?
Yeah.
Okay, and how old are you?
Cookie Mogsy, bro.
Okay, very nice. How old are you?
I am 18, actually. I just turned 18.
Okay, and what's your birthday?
Born in 2007. 2007.
What month?
August 15th.
Okay, and do you support Trump?
August 15th. Yeah, I do.
Okay, why's that?
I don't really know, bro. Cookie Mogsy.
Okay, all right. Goodbye. Ban, quite frankly. While we're looking for the next Trump supporter, Ducky, thank you so much for the $20 on Venmo. Thank you, Ducky. It's so good to see you again. Ducky, you're in here with us so frequently. Ducky says, I need this guy to know that laugh is so cringe. In Discord, Lordy, it makes me want to puke in my mouth every time. Dude, Ducky, I love you. Thank you so much for the $20. Ducky's one of the OGs. She's been hanging out with us for a while. Show some love to Ducky down below. 200 Ducky W's. While we're looking for that next guest, we got Amar loading up. What's up, Amar? You MAGA?
Hell yeah.
Okay, you were like obviously 5.5, so unfortunately I'm gonna have to ban you and move on to Donnie Miller. What's up, Donnie? Donnie's watching TV. Donnie's watching TV. Unfortunately, he won't be up here. We get a bunch of bots in the queue. Dirk, welcome back, man.
Dean.
Yo, real quick, Dirk. NME, do you support Trump?
Yeah.
Okay, how old are you?
I'm 28.
All right. Yo, Dirk, take it away.
All right, real quick. I found this guy, Peter Schuck. Are you aware of this man?
No, I'm not aware of Peter Schuck.
Is that sarcasm I'm sensing?
No, it's not. Who the hell's Peter Schuck?
Well, he wrote a book on the 14th Amendment and why it's unconstitutional. His argument doesn't have to do with the words that you were mentioning, subject to the jurisdiction of. His argument is around the context of the amendment being around mutual, or what was it? Hold on. I saw a quote before, but I just lost it. He maintains that under the 14th Amendment, citizenship is based on mutual consent of the citizen and the nation. And neither the kids nor the nation consented to citizenship when the kid's only connection to the nation is the fortuity of having been born here.
Question: is Peter Schuck a philosophy professor in social and political philosophy?
I have no idea.
Oh, wait.
Here's Wikipedia. Says he's a legal
Whoa. Go to Google. Type in National Affairs, the question of birthright citizenship by Peter H. Schuck. Get down to the constitutional context section. We're going to go ahead and read it. The precise meaning of the phrase that we have italicized, and I quote, subject to the jurisdiction thereof, end quote, is at the heart of the debate over whether U.S.-born children of undocumented immigrants are automatic birthright citizenships.
Oh, okay, so he is using the word. Yeah, I mean that didn't pop up in the thing I'm looking at.
I'm telling you, you could go on Google and right now.
I believe you.
I believe
you. I'm just saying. In the thing I'm seeing, I don't see sub. Here, let me control left subject. Yeah, that specific phrase is not on the page I'm looking at. I believe you. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think. Okay, so even if they are taking the words in the Constitution, literally, they're still interpreting what that means, right?
Yes, words.
So
Yeah,
you need
exactly.
the Supreme Court to. Sure.
Exactly.
I'll give you that. Sure.
Now we've actually gotten to a point. We need to be able to interpret what subject to the jurisdiction thereof means, right? In order to have an official understanding of the Constitution, what that means, SCOTUS would have to make a ruling on what that means, right?
Yeah, exactly.
They have twice.
Okay, so let's make it a third time.
In U.S. versus Wong Kim Ark, they ruled that subject to the jurisdiction thereof means subject to U.S. law. And in the way that the justices in 1898 set this forth was by not saying everybody that would be subject to the jurisdiction thereof, but rather by setting specific and clear parameters for who wouldn't, right? The specific and clear parameters of who wouldn't, according to the interpretation from U.S. versus Wong Kim Ark, would be foreign diplomats, Native Americans, and militant invading forces. Okay, so there we go. Interpretation from SCOTUS to determine what subject to the jurisdiction thereof that affirms that undocumented immigrants and their children are. Second point, 1986, Plyer v. Doe, the Supreme Court explicitly ruled that undocumented immigrants are, quote unquote, subject to the jurisdiction thereof when they ruled that they have access to the protections offered under the Equal Protection Clause of the 14th that also invokes that phrase.
Yeah. And
the
that was an
conclusion
interpretation. Yeah,
and the
I mean, if
inclusion
there's a law
of,
that breaks
these
that, then
and the conclusion of these two SCOTUS rulings would tell us that the legal argument against the notion that undocumented immigrants have birthright citizenship would be that of the statement and subject to the jurisdiction thereof. And we have two examples of case law that demonstrate undocumented immigrants are, meaning that the clear interpretation, legally speaking, of the 14th Amendment would be that the children born of undocumented immigrants are citizens, meaning that when Donald Trump passed that executive order, he clearly violated the Constitution.
But you saying clearly violated, isn't that up to the Supreme Court to decide?
It's up to yeah, it is, but we've already made it clear that they've already decided it was in clear violation. They've already made that decision in Plyer v. Doe and U.S. versus Wong Kim Ark.
But that wasn't ruling against this executive order.
Well, you don't need to have a new SCOTUS ruling for every new EO. It'd be in clear violation of the rulings that they've already made. Like, for instance.
What do you mean?
For instance,
you would have to take it to the Supreme Court.
No, if somebody tried to make a racially segregated school tomorrow, would that be in clear violation of the third clause of the 14th, that being the equal protection?
In my opinion, it would be. But yeah, the Supreme Court would have to decide that. Yeah.
So
that's the whole point of the Supreme Court.
No, my argument would be is that if somebody tried to open up a racially segregated school tomorrow, right, it's already been clearly decided that that's unconstitutional in Brown v. Board in the Supreme Court.
Yeah, in my opinion, it's very clearly unconstitutional.
Well, it's not in your opinion, it's in the current interpretation
of course
of the Constitution
it is.
for the criminal justice system.
Yeah, but I'm not the arbiter if something is unconstitutional. The Supreme Court is.
Right, but the Supreme Court has already ruled that's unconstitutional.
In this specific case. If there's a new law that says schools are racially segregated, they would have to rule on that law.
No, they don't, because that law would have already been stricken down and ruled as unconstitutional per the Brown v. Board case. That's why we don't see racially discriminated schools popping up on a day-by-day basis. That's why we haven't seen any racially segregated schools since Brown v. Board, because that was the ruling that made it unconstitutional. Point blank. Period.
Well, yeah. Well, I mean, maybe it's a deterrent for legislators to create laws like that because, in their opinion, it's also unconstitutional. So they're not going to waste time.
No, the deterrent is that vested in the power of the branch of government that interprets what the Constitution means and doesn't mean, They've already made a clear interpretation that the Constitution means you cannot racially segregate schools, per the Brown v. Board court case. Once SCOTUS makes a ruling, it is in effect, and it will stay in effect indefinitely unless it's overturned or a new amendment is added to the Constitution.
Yeah, unless it's overturned.
So because
yeah.
Plyer v. Doe and because U.S. versus Wong Kim Ark have not been overturned, and we have added new amendment to the Constitution as ratified by Congress, it is the clear current interpretation of the Constitution that the children born to undocumented immigrants are citizens.
Yeah, but these Supreme Court rulings are relative to a law. A law. No?
I'm confused on what you're saying.
So it goes to the Supreme Court because there's a law that someone is saying is unconstitutional, right? So if you're saying that this
it could be
law
an
or this
action,
policy is unconstitutional, it
could
has
be,
to go to the
it could
Supreme
be an
Court.
action, it could be a law, it could be multiple things.
Okay, sure. Yeah, a policy, a law.
Right, but can we like agree that like the Brown v. Board court case didn't just determine that I don't know, like what I'm sorry, I'm tripping out here. So the Brown v. Board SCOTUS court case that determined schools cannot be racially segregated under the third section of the 14th Amendment. Did that ruling only apply to the schools/school districts in question instead of that court case? Or does it apply to every single school in America at that moment and forth?
Yeah, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that law was determined to be unconstitutional, and any law that is on the books right now that does that is unconstitutional.
Right.
Right?
And anything that would violate that SCOTUS ruling then or now is unconstitutional, just like anything that would violate the SCOTUS rulings that say undocumented immigrants are subject to the jurisdiction thereof would be unconstitutional.
Yeah, but the only way that you would get that determination to figure out if new law is unconstitutional is to go to the Supreme Court.
Okay, so then are you saying that if new law was introduced to racially segregate schools identical to old law, that wouldn't be clearly unconstitutional per the Brown v. Board ruling?
Well, when you say identical, I mean, I think that's maybe a different story. But if they try and do some sort of loophole, if they add some additional verbiage to make it different.
There's no loophole here. It just violates the text of the Constitution and the current interpretation, that being that under the Equals Protections Clause, you cannot like equally segregate schools on the basis of race.
I don't know. I would say let's let the Supreme Court figure out if it's unconstitutional.
Yeah, my friend, we're going to move on to the next guest because like I don't have time for like ridiculous droids that are just simply not in tune with reality. Right? Like I explain it to you a billion times, right? You even conceded with the logic as it would relate to other Supreme Court decisions. Like that guy conceded to the idea that when SCOTUS made their ruling that racial segregation in schools was unconstitutional, that is unconstitutional not just for the schools in question of the decision, but for every American school at that point and from that point, right? But then as soon as it relates to the topic on if do the children of undocumented immigrants have citizenship or not, all of a sudden it's only in like specific circumstances at specific points in time. Get fucking pushed, my friend. How does it feel to lose a debate to a 20-year-old? Let's go to move on to the next guest. What's up? Do you support Trump?
Yeah.
Okay. How old are you?
I'm 39.
Katie, what are you doing? Katie, you've been up here about a billion times. You take care. You take care, Katie. Let's go to move on to the next guest. We got Marie Chev loading up, and actually we got too slick with it. Yo, Elizabeth, thank you for the $5 on Venmo saying, can you do 2 MAGA guests at once? I just want my brain cells to die faster. You know, how about we do 5 at once? And then Faisal, thank you so much for the $20 saying, enjoy learning from your debates. My only request is that you press more people in Trump's support of Israel's genocide using America's weaponry. Yeah, why don't we talk more about Palestine today? Why not? I'll bring that up the next pro-life argument we have because I have a super easy connection there. Thank you for the love, as well as Megan, thank you for the $25 on Venmo. Thank you, Megan and Faisal. Megan with the $25 says, happy birthday. Have a drink on me. You've earned it for all that you do. Well, thank you, Megan. I thought I should bring up my birthday isn't like technically for like another 2 days, but I will definitely be using that $20 for a drink here in 2 days. Thank you, Megan. As well as Casey. Thank you so much for the $50 on Venmo. Thank you, Casey. That is KACI. Casey says, was trying to go live to ask, what would your policies be if you were ever president? Because I appreciate your knowledge and what you do. But know how your prompt is only for MAGA supporters, which I'm not, but I support you. Well, I mean, like those could come up a lot, like in these streams. Like for instance, when we're debating on immigration, I talk about how like I'd support a policy mass amnesty. And we could definitely take a little bit of a deeper dive into those ideas. But thank you so much for the love, Casey. I want to see 500 Casey W's, 250 Megan W's, and 200 Faisal W's spelled Faisal. Welcome in. Do you support Trump?
I do.
Okay, how old are you?
I'm 26.
Alrighty. So why do you support Dumpy Trumpy?
So when it came to the election recently, obviously between him and Kamala personally, and again, this is just an opinion, but I thought that he would be more fit to run the country when it comes to speaking to other world leaders, handling even domestic issues, especially the border was a big thing too. And I do support immigration and I'm all for it, but it kind of depends on how you're going about it, et cetera, et cetera. So I just thought in general, he would be more fit or better fit, I should say, to run the country compared to her.
Okay, what do we want to do? Like, if we just want to look at like the general fitness of a person to run the country, I think that Donald Trump like fails all tests. Like, I'm not gonna lie. Like, here's the first thought that comes to my head. After he lost the 2020 election, then tried to stay in the White House, and then even tried to rig the election and install himself for a second term, that should have demonstrated to every single American that he was completely unfit to serve our country as president.
Well, why do you say that though?
Because he lost an election, and instead of respecting our civil and electoral processes, respecting the foundation of this country in fight of independence from a king, he instead tried to play king by attempting to void the voice and the vote of every American that voted by installing fake votes for himself and then pressuring his vice president into accepting them as real.
And when you say that, I will say this, I do agree. I think that my argument's kind of hard, right? Because I normally tend to lean more towards the Democratic side of things because I do have empathy for people. I'm very understanding. I want people to do well. I want people to be healthy. I want people to be happy. I don't think personally, in my opinion, that Trump would necessarily offer that for citizens or even non-citizens more than Kamala would have. But again, we are the most powerful.
Can you repeat your claim?
Sorry?
Repeat that claim for me.
What? How I thought that he would not do better than she would?
No. So I just didn't listen to anything that you just said. So this is where like we picked up on. So I detailed that like he should have been it should have been clear that he was obviously unfit to serve as our president when he literally tried to rig an election. And then what was your response to that?
I was saying I don't necessarily think that he's unfit to run the country and to be president. I do agree with you though in saying that in some aspects, in some form of things, he is a piece of shit and his ego is way too big.
Wait, how is like wanting to throw out like our country's civil and electoral processes and shift us into an authoritarian dictatorship, not making him unfit to run a like functioning democracy?
Well, I will disagree with you there because that's not happening at all.
He tried to get that done in 2020. He did. He admitted to it in court. His legal argument was that he did try to rig the election, but he should be immune from any and all criminal repercussions since he did it when he was president.
Well, not necessarily. He failed, so that doesn't matter. That's in the past. That's
Wait.
It doesn't matter.
If a man like tried to rape a child but failed, would you say they'd ever be fit to be a child sitter in their life?
Absolutely not, and that's an insane scenario and completely
right.
different.
So if like Donald Trump tries to rig the election and play authoritarian dictatorship but fails, would he ever be fit to run a functioning democracy again in his life?
Correct. Compared to his opponent in the last election, absolutely. I would say he has his downfalls. He has way too big of an ego. I do, as coming from like a morality standpoint, I do think that he is a piece of shit. But when it comes to running that's not
a morality. Like the question of him attempting to rig the election isn't merely a question of his ethics, but it's also a question of his ability to lead. Because when he tried to rig the election, he demonstrated that one, he doesn't have any respect or he doesn't have any respect for the civil electoral process is detailed by our Constitution. 2, he doesn't have any respect for the voice and the vote, the needs and the wants of the people, or else he would have respected them and left office and not tried to change them fraudulently. And 3, that he just simply is unfit to be serving as a leader of a country that's supposed to be quote unquote free, when he's no different of the likes of people like Kim Jong-un or Putin that just want to play authoritarian dictator.
I mean, that's a really, really bold claim, trying to compare us to North Korea and Russia when they don't even allow tourism into their country, let alone anyone.
Oh, guess what?
properly
We're
illegally
taking
can come
our
to
illegal immigrants and we're throwing them in detention center for 3 months, and we're deporting other people illegally to be beaten, tortured, and seek out in El Salvador for 3 months as well. Come on, man. What are we doing?
How is it illegal? How is it illegal, if I can ask?
Because SCOTUS said it was illegal?
Who? Do you have a specific example? I'm only asking because I'm genuinely curious.
Yeah, April 10th, 2025. All 9 SCOTUS judges ruled that the Trump administration's deportation of Abrigo Garcia was illegal.
So if they came to that determination and conclusion, why are people still being deported if it was illegal? Like, clearly, if something was illegal going on and it wasn't right, legally, morality, regardless of the case, they wouldn't continue doing it. They're deporting people for a reason.
The Trump
You can't-
administration literally defended their removal of Abrigo Garcia after SCOTUS ruled that it was illegal.
Oh, I did not know that. And I will say this. I'm a very openly minded individual. I love conversations like this because if we can talk about it and you can open me up to something or educate me on something I didn't know, I love that. That helps everyone.
Okay, do you see what everybody in my chat is spamming?
I don't know.
No, they're all spamming second repost. What's your second repost, man?
What do you mean? I don't know what that means.
You like repost videos on TikTok. Everybody in the chat since you've joined has been spamming quote unquote second repost and whatnot. I like usually like people like spam about like a guest repost when it's like super bad. What is it? Do you know?
I don't even know what it is. Is there a way I can see that while still on the live with you? I don't know.
I can check it. Let's see.
I'm not super familiar with the app, so
okay.
I don't know how to do it without.
It's a video of like a biker, and the text says she told me to grab a snack, so I grabbed her by the throat. #stay freaky.
Oh yeah,
and then the bio is, or then the description of the video says she likes it rough. ... I shift harder. #book talk. #mask talk. #biker talk.
I didn't even look at the hashtags. I do remember the video now that you looked it up. I do remember that.
I'm assuming that like the implication here is like consensually, right?
Oh, 100%. Me and my fiance have been dating for 5 years. We're both freaks. We love it. In a good way, obviously. That's why I reposted that. It was just a dumb repost. I didn't think it was that deep.
Okay. Yeah.
People are like that, Me and my girl like to do shit like that, That ain't nothing bad with that.
If it's between two people that consent, as long as it's consensual in a happy, healthy relationship. But book talk could get a little bit wild at times. Let me tell you, book talk can get a little wild at times. We could get back to the debate on why you support Trump. As long as it is consensually between two individuals in a happy, healthy relationship, they're adults, I'll let you be. We can get back to the debate on why you support Trump. Moving on. Back next topic. Why do you support Trump? Take it away.
Well, before we do that, can I ask one question if that's okay?
Yeah.
So regardless of who's president, right, does not matter who it is, do you want the United States of America to succeed? Even if that means that Trump is president, if America succeeds, are you going to be mad because Trump is the one who helped us do it? Or would you be happy for the country?
My friend.
Regardless.
My friend, if Trump was a good president, then I wouldn't be running these lives. I run these lives because I want America to succeed, and I don't think
that wasn't the
pushing
question,
America in that direction.
What direction do you think we're going to? A dictatorship, I'm assuming?
I think that we're going in many very bad directions. One direction would be one where the worse off among us, low and middle income Americans, are being royally fucked over for the better interests of wealthy Americans, introducing a lower quality of life for the average American and higher levels of income inequity. I think that we're heading towards an erosion of our checks and balances, an erosion of our constitutional rights. The reason I'd say that is because Donald Trump has been taking them away from us for the last 200 days, very publicly, yet no one cares. I think that we're heading towards a country that holds a disdain towards intellectualism, that looks at education as a bad thing, stigmatizes our university system, stigmatizes our people being more educated to keep them dumb, to keep them in support of obviously false and trivial ideals. I think that is the direction our country is heading in under Donald Trump's administration.
Okay, so I want to pose a question because those were all amazing points. So me personally, as a 26-year-old living in America, I would consider myself a middle to low income individual, right? I don't have a crazy lifestyle. I'm happy, make about $75,000 a year. How is he ruining my life as a middle class, basic American, as you describe it? How is what he's doing or what he's implemented thus far ruining or deterring my life from being worse than it was before he got in office?
Yeah, is your income around out of the average American?
I make more. I make about $10,000 more. I mean, actually, I don't know.
So
I don't know
you
what the
like-
average is.
Average is 47.
Okay, yeah, I make about 75.
Okay. All right. So, well, if you are the average American at $47,000 per year, according to the Center of Budget and Policy Priorities, you are actually losing your purchasing power because of the big, beautiful bill. It's making you expense more on food. It's making you pay more for energy. It's cutting off healthcare benefits for 10 million people, food stamp benefits for 3 million. And they say that if you're making at or beneath $51,000 per year or less, you're going to be worse off because of the big, beautiful bill.
Well, so when it comes to those systems, the reason the Big Beautiful Bill was even created or conceptualized, or even they started thinking about it, do you think, right, honestly, like people abuse that system? Or do you think it's a perfect world? Like,
I literally don't think it's possible to abuse Medicaid.
It absolutely is.
How do you?
As
How
well
can
as
you
food
abuse?
stamps and
How
yeah,
can
it
you abuse
absolutely-
Medicaid? I listen. Like no system is going to be perfect because all systems are created by imperfect humans, right? And we
Correct.
account for some like low level of abuse of a system when determining if the system is beneficial or not, right? Like if a system has like a low level of abuse, right, we're not going to automatically write it off as non-beneficial. The same way as if you have a business with some low levels of inefficiencies, you're not going to say that's a bad business. You're just going to say that the business could be better, like the system could be better. Right?
That's the problem,
But
though. It's
anyways,
not
like what
all
abuse
abuse.
would take place on Medicaid, and how does the Big Beautiful Bill fix it?
I mean, I don't think the bill in of itself can fix it.
So then what is the
just
abuse?
To your point even. No, to your point even though, one thing is not going to fix a problem, right? Everything is imperfect, nothing's perfect, but that doesn't change or deter from the fact that the system is absolutely abused.
Okay,
Every shape and form.
real quick. For everybody in the chat, spam an A3 post. His A3 post is literally, quote, "You guys are always having fun and doing cool stuff. Thanks, we're not liberals." I want y'all to reserve spamming about people's reposts for when it's like something bad. But like obviously like some like conservative just saying like, "Oh, I have fun because I'm not a liberal." Come on, that's like a very like common like trope on the right. Like, well, who cares?
I'm not. So I supported Trump to be president. I did not vote for him. I didn't vote at all in the last election because I didn't want to. I have always been in the middle, registered. I'm not a Democrat. I'm not a Republican. I just supported him more than her.
I want to go back to that last point. So I brought up the fact that Donald Trump and his big beautiful bill are taking healthcare benefits away from 10 million low-income Americans, and your automatic response was, "Well, what about the abuse?" Okay, so point number
Correct.
one:
They
what is
should
the
have it taken away.
They should. Why?
I said they should have it taken away.
Why
All he
should they
did was
have it taken
mandate-
away from them?
Because all he did was mandate that if you are going to receive those benefits, that you shouldn't be a lazy piece of shit and sit on your couch. You should actually do something with your life. And they mandated the amount of hours you have to work in order to receive it. That makes sense.
I don't think that necessary social safety nets, like going to the hospital, should have a work requirement on them.
It goes both ways, right? I agree with that 100%. But at the same time, think about it in my shoes, right? Just for 2 seconds. I work probably 50, 55 hours a week. I'm not mad about it. I do enjoy my job. I love what I do, right? I make decent money. But at the same time, why should I have to be the one to pay someone else's bill or foot the bill? Yes, for their medical costs, for their food, whatever the case may be, when you don't do shit. You don't contribute to this country. You don't contribute to society. You are not helping anyone. You're not helping anyone by sitting on your couch doing nothing. So yeah, he mandated within the bill, as I'm sure you're already aware, you have to work a certain amount of time in order to receive the benefits that you were getting before.
I have two arguments. I have two arguments for you. The first argument would be like a moral obligation, right? I don't think that you're going to be as willing to hear out this argument because like a lot of people that hold these beliefs are kind of just devoid of empathy. But like we typically understand that regardless of who you are, if you're working, if you're not working, what your income is, low income, high income, that you deserve like you have like like we have a moral obligation to provide you access to some like rudimentary positive rights, right? Like, can we agree that regardless of what your income is, if you're working, if you're not working, if you're lazy and you sit on your couch all day, or you're a scientist at NASA, that you should have access to call the police and have them show up at your house if there's a crime?
I agree, 100%.
Now, why would we agree there that like low income Americans that can work that aren't working should have access to call the police? Is it maybe because the police force is a social program that is funded by the taxpayer that can be necessary at points one and significantly increase the quality of the constituents of the qualities of the lives of the constituents of our country too?
I do agree. Yeah.
Okay.
And I agree with
And
healthcare.
so exactly. So now we're saying that regardless if you're low income, high income, lazy and not working, even though you can, or a scientist at NASA, you should be able to call the police and have tax-paid dollars dedicated to you and your needs, because it overall is aimed towards increasing the life of the people in the country. Well, we're just now going to take that argument and univocally apply it to healthcare as well, right? Going to the hospital, going to an annual physical, getting the skin dots on your arm checked out for possible cancer, making sure that when you're older, you don't have prostate cancer, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, is like generally geared towards increasing the quality of the life of the people in the country, and two, can be very necessary for extending the lives of many.
Yeah, I agree. Well, here's my thing, and I do agree with you. In fact, I think you'll like this. So my fiance, who I've been dating for 5 years, she is like a hardcore Democrat, right? I've never faulted her for it, never been mad. Obviously, why would I? And she, in our time together, has taught me more empathy than I have genuinely had for a while, right? She's helping me be better. She's helping me grow as a person. So I agree with you on that front. What I'm saying is it just sucks. And I was happy about the big, beautiful bill when it passed, because why am I working as much as I am to feed our family, right? Pay our bills, et cetera, and have a shit ton of money come out and insurance wise, right? Because it ain't free for your average American. We all know that. Just to have someone else do absolutely nothing and they get everything handed to them. You know, it's not an empathy thing. It's just,
okay.
Because again,
it's not fair.
It's not fair.
It's not fair to you?
To me and all millions of Americans that do the exact same that I do, that work their asses off,
You're
make
gonna
good
be
money.
you're gonna be shocked when I tell you I agree. But can I tell you why I agree that it's not fair?
Yeah, I'm always.
It's because free
open-minded.
healthcare should be able to be accessed by everybody, not just some people, right? But the answer isn't to take it away from the some people that have it. It's to give it to everyone else.
Yeah, I mean,
right? Like,
you gotta-
it is legitimately unfair that low-income Americans get free healthcare and you don't, because everyone should have it. But the
you
answer
agree
isn't to take it away from the low-income Americans. It's just to also give it to you. Bam, universal healthcare. Look at that argument.
Yeah, but look at all the other countries that have universal healthcare. They're not doing the best, especially when you compare everything
What are,
with
what,
the
are,
United States.
what are the downfalls of universal healthcare, my friend?
Well, I know two people personally, actually. One who lives, Portugal, and one in Italy. They have universal healthcare, obviously. That's a well-known fact. He broke his arm in a motorcycle accident, and it took 3 months for him to see a doctor after he broke his arm. So he has to continue to work. He has to continue to live his life. But again, yeah, sure, your doctor appointment's going to be free, but you have to wait 3 months to go get your broken arm even looked at because there's such a,
So if you, wait. If you think it's unfair for people to have to wait 3 months before they could get their broken arm looked at, then isn't it even more unfair to just take the healthcare away from low-income Americans, point blank, period? And if they do break their arm, there's a low likelihood that they will ever get it looked at in their life because they can't afford it?
I mean, yeah, but there's a lot of things nowadays. No, I agree to disagree. I agree. You are 100% correct. I also disagree because there is a lot of things in place to where, yeah, especially in America, right, using it as an example, it is very expensive to go to the doctor or to get a broken arm looked at or whatever the case may be. It is expensive, but would you rather have it looked at and deal with that later or not be able to deal with it at all? Because, oh my God, yay, my medical bills are free. It's like you have to pick and choose.
So
I don't think any country should have to do that.
I'm not too well researched on universal healthcare and its implementation. This is like one subject that I just haven't done enough research on at all. I should probably do it. But I could definitely conceive of a scenario where we all have publicly funded healthcare with sufficient coverage just by like massive investment into healthcare to begin with, right?
And it's possible. But it'll never happen.
Right? Because okay, so, I mean, do you have an argument for that? Because see, from my perspective, I'm trying to remain like semi-agnostic on these things because I don't have access to the data. But it also seems like you don't have access to the data either, but yet you have like strong conviction in your claims. Like, how can you possibly have like strong conviction in your claim that it would never happen? It would never be efficient. It could never work, even though you don't have access to the data. Like, I want you to actually give me the argument, right? Why would universal healthcare, as implemented in America, be a bad thing? Oh, then also
no, I'm not saying it's not going to be. I think it would be a great thing, but the problem is who's going to fund it. We don't tax the billionaires. We don't tax millionaires. Obviously the low to middle to even high class.
Who's going to fund it?
Won't fund it.
Who's going to fund it? I could give you a really easy answer.
Okay.
The DoD budget. we don't need to be spending $800 billion on our military per year. And even people that are in the military know this, right? In fact, I had one of my friends over last night. I haven't seen him since high school because he's been in the Marines. And like, honestly, I thought he was a little bit more right-leaning. It'd been a good time to catch up and maybe see if I could, change his mind on a couple of things. But I was really surprised when my friend, who was honestly like right-leaning when I knew him, like came and sat down to me and we had a chat. And the first thing he told me was just the amount of money that our goddamn military wastes, about how the people in the military are underpaid, about how they're actually given the burden to cover a significant amount of their expenses, about how self-unalivings are just swept under the rug because of how poor the conditions are on base, and how they just dump billions and billions and billions of dollars into year for bullshit. How we have like, we'll have military ships in the middle of the sea, literally dumping $50 million worth of food into the sea, just throwing it out. Right? So I think, one, we should optimize the DoD expenditure, right? We should make sure that we're just not wasting money inside of the DoD. And then once we do that, then take a significant amount of that funding that we'll have left over after optimizing the expenditure, and maybe a little bit more, because in all reality, our DoD doesn't need to be funded over twice as much as the second running up country, and send that towards better social safety nets for our own citizens. And like, I also want to like describe that this isn't just an investment that we're losing on. This creates an ROI. The economic argument for social safety nets like Medicaid or like food stamps is that they actually help low-income Americans have an easier time living. And when they have an easier time living, they can spend more of their time working on getting a degree, right? Going to a trade school, or maybe spending a longer period of time interviewing at a more competitive firm to give them a better job. And that's why we see the fact that that social safety nets give the people inside of the country that they're offered to more economic mobility to scale their income. And also, just like one last point here, the cherry on top here is, please never say who's going to pay for that ever again in your fucking life. The big beautiful bill on its own added $4.5 trillion worth of debt-related spending to our annual deficit and 10-year debt. That is the most debt that any single bill has ever added to the American debt in American history, and you completely ignored it, subverted it, and said that you liked it. So please never ask me that question again.
Well, so when it comes to, if I can ask a question, when it comes to the whole military budget, you have friends in the military. I do as well. And they sacrifice a lot. They work their asses off. And that's the reason why I'm able to sit in my room and talk to you on a live, and you're able to host it, So do you think it's a waste of money being the safest, not only the safest, but the most powerful country on this planet?
The money is wasted.
Because a lot of people say America's not safe.
Dude, dumping $50 million in the sea isn't keeping our country safe, right? And then also, we could still be the most powerful country on the face of the planet military-wise if we cut our budget in half. You understand that. We spend $800 billion on our military every single year. The second runner-up for annual expenditure is China, who spends $300 billion on their military per year. If we cut it in half, we would still be funding it over $100 billion more per year than the second runner-up.
Well, yeah, but we also wouldn't be able to protect ourselves like we can. There is not a single country on this planet, I'm not saying it's because of Trump, I'm saying in general, that would try to defy us. There's no other country, there's no other superpower.
And you're telling us that they try to defy us if we reduced our military budget by $200 billion per year? Who would try to defy us then?
I don't think anyone would. 'Cause it's smart.
Exactly. Even if we cut our annual military budget by $200 billion, we would still be spending twice as much as the second runner-up country.
Which is China, you said, correct?
Right. Yeah, we'd still be spending twice as much as them per year.
I don't know. I mean, that is a different topic aside from like healthcare.
Oh, and by the way,
Medicaid
other countries do try to defy us all the time. Israel, for one, they literally defied a ceasefire agreement as suggested by Trump, and then we have Netanyahu still boasting about how he's going to need our money for the foreseeable future, right?
And you think we're going to send it?
I know we're going to send it, my friend.
Well, I mean, but you can't say that though because. Not
oh,
to say
yes, I can. Oh, yes, I can.
No.
Oh, yes,
no,
I
know
can.
You can.
Go tell
I'm
that
saying,
to the 99% of congressmen and women that are funded by AIPAC.
No, I know. I'm not saying you can't say it. I'm saying that in the sense of you can't say that as someone, which is not a bad thing, who supports Democrats. And we just sent, what, $300 billion to Ukraine Russia war that's still going on.
And then Donald Trump resumed all that funding because it was still going on as he recognized that helping Ukraine put more international pressure on Russia to stop killing them. Wow. Right. And then also I want you to go back to the point because you asked me, oh, who's going to pay for these things? Who's going to pay for the big, beautiful bill?
In what sense?
Oh, yeah. The sense of the fact that according to the Congressional Budget Office, it's going to add $4.5 trillion to our debt in the next 10 years. The most expensive bill in American history.
Right, but America has what, 31 or 32 trillion dollars in debt?
Oh yeah, so now we're going to be at 46.5. So who's going to pay for that?
No.
Who's going to pay for the big, beautiful bill? Oh, when I was talking about universal health care, which would help everybody and make our country more fair, extend our lifetimes, make us happier and healthier on average, well, your first question was who's going to pay for that? But now when we're talking about a bill that's cutting healthcare off of 10 million people, has food stamps away from 3 million people, defunding the DOE and taking free school student lunches away from 33% of our students, 18 million school students. All of a sudden, you don't know who's going to pay for that, but you know you like it just because it has a fucking rapist fascist signature on it. That is the issue with MAGA today. It's not about reason, rhyme, fact or logic. It is just completely about, worshiping the leader and agreeing with whatever he says or does and wanting to support it to the end of the earth, even if you recognize that there's good reason not to support these things, right? Such as the fact that it is wasting trillions of dollars that we don't have.
No, I disagree. That's not what I was saying at all, or trying to say, or how I meant it to be portrayed. I'm saying, especially back to your point, if I can, super quick, the universal healthcare, it would help everybody in a sense, yes, because everybody would have healthcare. You would have to pay for it. It wouldn't help us though. We would be like every other country on this planet. You can look at the economics. Google is free. Every single country that has universal healthcare, you are not making as much money no matter what profession you're in, no matter how much you make, because you spend a lot more money in taxes. That's what funds it. It doesn't come from the government running the country to pay for the healthcare. It comes from the citizens that live within that country. It would not help America.
The same way that 51% of income earners in this country are now going to be paying more in taxes effectively, disproportionately through Donald Trump's tariffs to fund the big, beautiful bill, right? So what's better?
It depends on how much money you make. That's not true.
What's better? Having the poorest among us pay more in taxes to fund a bill that hurts them, or increasing the taxes disproportionately on the richest among us to fund a bill that helps them?
That's not true, though. It depends on what your income is. It depends on how much you make.
Wait. You're just talking about economic studies to justify your point. I literally have an economic study from the Center of Budget and Policy Priorities that indicate that 51% of income earners in this country are going to be losing purchasing power because of the big, beautiful bill.
Okay, but you also have to think about it. This is America. Over 52% of our country couldn't afford a $1,000 expense if it hit them in the face tomorrow. So, like, everyone's not necessarily...
The average American is, like, one paycheck away from homelessness? Well, then why earlier were you shitting on those that are low income by calling them poor and lazy and saying that they deserve to lose access to go to the hospital? Apparently, that could be you if you were to lose one paycheck.
No, I was not calling them shitty. I wasn't saying that. I was just saying it... I was just trying to make a point to where you have to also look at the other side of things too, right? Like there's people out there that are working 50, 60, maybe even 40, right? Hours a week.
So how about we try to change that by offering them social safety nets so they don't have to work 60 hours a week and they could instead spend more of their time on things that increase their economic mobility? Or
Right, but
food
what social
stamps.
safety net are you going to
Food
offer, or
stamps.
are we going
Food
to change?
stamps for one. Food stamps does that. Yeah. Did you know that
No.
food stamps has a positive economic ROI by acting as a jump pad for low-income Americans to make their life easier, so they're not as focused on their immediate needs, such as putting food on the table for dinner, putting breakfast on the table in the morning for their children. So instead of like wanting to just grab on to the closest minimum wage job in proximity to them to fund those things, they could instead step back and maybe interview in a more lengthy process at a more competitive firm that would pay them more, or step back and cut their hours by 20 or so hours a week to turn around and go to university or to go to trade school. Wow. Did you know that in countries with more social safety nets, because, you know, you were comparing us to other countries as an argument against universal healthcare, so I'll make sure I use this as an argument for food stamps. When we compare ourselves to countries with more social safety nets like food stamps, their citizens have more economic mobility, which means it's easier for them to scale and grow their income because of their social safety nets.
Yeah, but you.
Oh
that-
yeah, but
That's
what?
not- no,
but
that's
what?
not gonna
But
change
what?
it, though.
Oh, it's not going
Like,
to change
you-
it. Oh, okay, it's not going to change it. Even though I just gave you rational evidence for this, that being the fact that when we compare ourselves to other countries with more social safety nets, it does change it. And you know, just an empirical description of how this would play out by like forcing individuals or like giving individuals the leeway to not focus as much on their immediate needs, so they could focus on like interviewing for a firm with more competitive wages or to go to school, right? Even though I gave you these two really compelling reasons to believe that I'm right and you're wrong, you're instead not going to give a counter argument, and you're just going to tell me that I'm wrong. And why?
No. I will tell you why.
Let's hear it.
That's not the solution to everything, right? Like let's say you gave me food stamps, right? And I don't have to worry about the economic impact it would have on me and my family to not have to actually buy food out of my own pocket, right? That's not going to change my life. That's not going to reduce me by 20 or whatever.
Because your annual income is $75,000 per year. That's why it wouldn't change your life, my friend.
Exactly. I'm not eligible for it. So I couldn't even get those opportunities that everyone cries and whines for that they want so bad when they do nothing. You know, it's like the fact that I'm not eligible for it is a good thing, but I don't think
you said that people do
anyone-
nothing if they're on food stamps. There's literally a work requirement on food stamps, you donut.
No, I know. I'm saying that's why the big beautiful bill exists. Now
the big
you're not
beautiful
gonna
bill
be
didn't impose a
eligible
work
for that.
requirement on food stamps. That was on Medicaid. You don't know what you're talking about.
Correct. It was on Medicaid. You're damn right. Yes. It's
Remember,
what,
we're
20
talking
hours
about
a-
food stamps.
25 hours a week?
Remember, we're talking about food stamps. I just gave you an argument that food stamps is not only morally beneficial to the better interests of the worst off among us, but also economically beneficial to the country as a whole. What's your response to that argument? Because I didn't hear one.
I mean, it is and it isn't. You know, because you have to
Wait,
understand.
one second. I'm
who's
so sorry. I'm
funding it.
cutting you off and I'm interrupting you because that's simply not a counter argument.
No, that's fine. I respect you for doing that. You know, like I said, I'm open-minded. I love these conversations. I want to be educated. I'm just saying, I don't know like you said earlier, I don't know a ton about this topic. I'm just saying, I don't want to be paying for healthcare, for food stamps, whatever it may be, for a bunch of people who don't. You know what I mean? Like
For a bunch of people who don't
blessed.
what? A bunch of people that don't what?
Don't do anything. They don't work. You don't do anything.
You have to work in order to get food stamps. I thought I already told you that. What game are we playing here?
Yeah, is there a requirement
You
as
just,
to how
you,
long?
you just told
how
me
much
that you were
have to work?
open-minded. If you were open-minded, then you wouldn't be repeating the fact that you don't have to work in order to receive food stamps after I told you less than 2 minutes ago that you do. Yes, there is a work requirement on food stamps.
What is it?
I'm
I'm asking you because I don't know. That's why I'm asking.
Yeah, I think it's like the same deal that was just imposed on Medicaid, 80 hours a month.
And do you think that's reasonable or no?
I'm agnostic on the work requirement on food stamps, and the only reason why I'm agnostic on it is because right now food stamps seemingly has great fucking outcomes. Right? So I think it actually could be reasonable. I think it could be reasonable on food stamps because it seems to have great outcomes. Like food stamps make people healthier. Food stamps make people live longer. 50% of people that receive food stamps are only on them for 12 months or less. I'd like food stamps right now are actually working out pretty well.
So you do agree with that then? If you're going to receive them,
I think
which is an amazing thing.
I think that it might be reasonable. It might be reasonable. I'm sure. I'm going to be honest. I'm agnostic. And the only reason that I'm agnostic and not like in denial of saying it's definitely unreasonable is just because the outcomes of it are like very clearly good. Right. And then like also for like individuals that like aren't on food stamps, for instance, because they're not working, maybe like they're homeless or whatnot, you know, I would still yet in that situation, like advocate for better social safety nets specifically for them, like more food banks, etc.
I agree. See, here's my thing is like, food banks or food stamps or even like potentially like federally subsidized and like paid for like lunches at schools and all that kind of stuff, I'm all for it. You know, I grew up like literally barely being able to afford like lunch at public school, right? Because me and my mom had to work for it. So that's why I'm so hesitant on like, yeah, this all sounds great. It'll be amazing for everybody, but who's going to pay for it? We're already in so much debt over our necks that we don't know how to pay back, and we never will. So
My friend, how much do food stamps cost the average taxpayer per year?
I don't know. I've never been on it, so I'm being honest, I don't know.
$31. Are you not okay with paying $31 in taxes per year to feed 15 million people?
No, of course I am. I just told you I don't know what it costed. I didn't know that.
So that's who pays for it. $31 from the average taxpayer per year.
The entire program is completely funded by taxpayers.
I'm sorry. That was stupid. No shit.
It was a question. I didn't know that.
I'm sorry.
I didn't.
If I came off mean there, I apologize. I should have just said yes. I should have just said yes. I'm sorry.
$31
I should have been like mean and
that sounds
snarky.
way too low, though. That sounds way too low. $31, and how many people does it fund?
Let's just see. Federal budget for food stamps. Let's see. Yeah, it funds. How many people are on food stamps? How many people are on food stamps? Federal. So it looks like they're reporting 41 million people per month, but I think that's also going to be including like state benefits.
Oh, right.
Yeah, that does also including state benefits. So that's federal food stamps and state food stamps. So I don't know. I mean, I could do the research. I don't really see if it's too relevant though. Here, real quick, before we move on, let me thank a handful of people here. Give me a second. First and foremost, Prince, thank you for the 20 NOK over on Super Chat. Mary with a 5 saying Dean for president in 2028. But no, seriously, I love your videos. Thank you, Mary. Ethanol with a $6. MJ with a 5. Lanny with a 5. Ethanol with another 6. Jizz with a 5. Fluffy with a 5. Gizmo with a 5. And then CK, thank you for the 10 saying watch yesterday's VOD. The last guest was gross. Oh my God. That guy sucked. Thank you, CK. As well as Jonesy with a 5. Theta with a 5. Lakin with a 10 saying hey, Diva, happy Friday. Happy Friday to you as well. Mai with a 10 saying hey, Dean. I actually already read that. I already read that one. Thank you guys for the love over on YouTube. I really appreciate it. As well as very quickly, I'd like to thank a couple people over on Venmo. Let's see. Awesome. Here we go. Casey, thank you so much for the $50 over on Venmo. In fact, I already think I thanked you earlier. I'm just going to thank you again. Thank you for the love, Casey. Show some love to Casey down below in that chat. That is KACI. Thank you so much, Casey. Then Jamie with a $5. Please shout out my friend Aubrey. Shout out to Aubrey. Wendy with a $15. Thank you so much for the love. Saying forget the alcohol, buy some flour and stay safe. We need you. Sending so much love from Indy. Well, thank you for the $15 over on Venmo, Wendy. I'm going to be honest. I will not be forgetting the alcohol. My 21st birthday is going to be a night that I will literally not remember. Thank you for the love, Wendy. Jared with a $5 as well. Thank you. Jalen with a $5. You were awesome. Thank you so much. Christopher with a 1. Abby with a 1. Megan with a 5. Jamie with an 8. And Tyrell, thank you so much for the $10 as well. Saying, do these people not realize that we could have both public and private options for healthcare like they do in places like Norway? All we're doing is advocating for what is a baseline safety net for people so they can succeed. They love socialism for the rich, but not for the poor. Yeah, absolutely, Terrell. Good point. Really good fucking point. And then also, this came in a while ago. I really hope that you're still in here. But real quick, Shannon, thank you so much for the $100 over on Cash App. Thank you, Shannon. I want everybody to show some love to Shannon down below. That is so incredibly kind of you. This was 43 minutes ago, but I'm just thanking you now. Shannon, if you're still in here, thank you so much. Shannon with a $100 donation says, keep up the great work. Thank you so much about 1 billion times over. Thank you, Shannon. And then Jimmy with a $10 saying, I don't know how you do it, but thank you. Well, thank you for the $10, Jimmy. Then Lindsay with a $20 saying, thank you for using logic to disprove these cultists. Thank you, Lindsay. Thank you so much, you guys. Then Lola and Brandon both with a 10 and Susan with a $10 as well, guys. Thank you so much for the love. You guys are fantastic. Please show some love to all of our donors down below. And if you're watching and you'd like to support me, I was banned on PayPal, so you can't support me over there, but you can find my Venmo and my Cash App in the link tree in my bio. Then, of course, if you're over on YouTube, you can find the Venmo in the pin message, then the Cash App in the link in the bio as well. And then one last one here, Carson. Thank you for the $10 over on Venmo for the 21st birthday. Thank you for the love, Carson. Show some love to Carson and Susan and all of the donors down below while I see if this guest has anything else that they'd like to talk about. Is there anything else that you want to go over?
I mean, not necessarily. I definitely joined because I did want to be educated on a lot of things that I wasn't aware of. Just being honest, obviously. I've came across your live maybe once or twice before, and I don't know. I feel like no matter what Trump does or how good America does, you won't support it just because he's the one at the helm. And I disagree with that.
I was a Trump supporter in 2020.
You were?
Yeah. Yeah, I stopped supporting him because he wasn't doing good.
In what sense?
Well, I mean, man, we've been talking for like an hour at this point about all the bad things he's been doing.
Well, we've been talking about healthcare in different countries and the military. I haven't heard a couple things that you claim he did wrong.
I just want that to like just refute what you're saying. You're saying like I wouldn't be a Trump supporter if he was doing good. No, I was a Trump supporter, but then I stopped being a Trump supporter because he's doing bad. So I guess like the inverse would be, it is not true, right, that I wouldn't be a Trump supporter if he's doing good. I just think he's fundamentally incapable of doing good. And there's a plethora of reasons for that. I'll just give one so I can make my point. One reason is, right, the position of the presidency is not a role of self-service. It is a role of public service. But if you are capable of raping a woman, you are incapable of public service, i.e. paying attention and being thoughtful of the desires, the attitudes, the wants, and the needs of others. That should be case closed. It really should. It really should be case closed, right? But now, what I wanted to say to you is that I think that you're incapable of not supporting Trump, even if he's doing bad.
Oh, I absolutely could. I absolutely could. And that is what I told you earlier. My fiance has taught me to be a better man. I am more open to different concepts. I have a lot more empathy. If he was doing bad, if he was doing something that you could name a specific example of that would harm this country, aside from adding to the debt, every single president
give you like one, you want one example, one material way he's harming this country.
Yeah, I would love to hear it.
Okay, I'll give you a handful. One material way that he harmed this country in 2020 was when he tried to steal the election from Biden, then admitted to it in court.
That's not now, though. What's he doing bad for the country now?
Oh,
We're not talking 5 years ago.
Don't worry, I'm working my way up, my friend. But see what I mean? It's like I name something bad, then you're like, oh, that's not now.
No, happy listen.
Anyways,
I shouldn't have.
One material way he's harming the country now is by taking our constitutional rights away from us, taking our free speech away from us.
Oh, jeez. How did he do that? How is your speech?
He's trying to ban
your free speech taken away from you or anyone else or anyone in this slide.
I'll be very clear. 2 days ago, he passed an executive order attempting to ban burning of the American flag, when that is protected under a First Amendment right to freedom of symbolic speech.
Yeah, God forbid he's patriotic. You should not burn the American flag. If you hate America that much and you want to burn the flag, then leave. Go somewhere else.
Yeah,
that's
I'm fine with you making an argument that you shouldn't burn the American flag, right? However, banning the American flag is more anti-American than burning the American flag in of itself, because it's literally illegally violating our Constitution to force people to be patriotic to the country. My friend.
How is burning the American flag patriotic to our country? You're burning the flag.
That's not the claim that I made. My argument doesn't need to indicate that burning the American flag is good. Like, for the intents and purposes of our conversation, I could like totally accept that it is bad, unpatriotic, and anti-American to burn it. All right?
Correct.
But isn't the reason why America is so great in your eyes is because you have the right to voice your opinions, your expressions, and your speech, even if it's disagreeable, anti-American, bad, or unpatriotic?
No, I agree with that. I think you should have the right to do that. But there's a fine line.
Exactly. And Donald Trump passed an executive order illegally taking that right away from people.
We're not the first country to do it.
We're not the first country to force patriotism.
Correct.
By making symbols of hate against the country, apparently, right, illegal. Yeah, we're not. We're not at all, right? Kim Jong-un in North Korea has also done that. Putin's done that. Yeah, Mussolini did that. Hitler did that. Yeah, you're right. We're not the first country to do that.
Big difference, though. Again, you're comparing like heinous, horrible acts.
No,
to
I'm just literally giving you
president
leaders
of
of other
this
countries that have
country.
also done that. I'm not making a
Well, yeah, but
comparison.
we're going-
You said that we're not the first country to do that. I say you're right, and I just simply give you leaders of other countries that have also done that. Right?
Well,
and
I'm
then
just saying
also,
it's
are you now
weird.
telling me? Are you now telling me that it is not bad for him to infringe upon our constitutional rights because other countries have also done that?
No, I agree with you.
So wait,
I'm sitting here
what
saying I
was
agree with
what
you.
was the purpose of your statement? Oh, other countries have done it too. What was the purpose of that statement?
Because it's stupid. Like, I agree. He should not have infringed on the Constitution saying you have a free speech, you have a free right, you can do whatever the hell you want. Do it. Like, I get it. I understand that. But at the same time, if you hate America that bad that you're going to burn our flag, you shouldn't be here in the first place. So I get where he's coming from. I also get where the citizens are coming from. And I get where you're coming from, saying that's not right of him. But I also,
Okay,
it's a double-edged
so
sword.
First
I
and
play both
foremost,
sides.
now I'll respond to this argument. Burning the flag doesn't indicate that you hate the country. In fact, most people burning the flag
why the
today
hell would you
are
burn the
probably
American
some of the strongest patriots among us because they don't hate the country. They hate who's representing the country and what the country stands for today. And they hate who's representing the country and what the country stands for today because they recognize what it could be standing for and what it is failing to stand for today. Like, I'm going to be honest. I watched a video of a veteran that served 20 years burning an American flag in protest of Donald Trump being an anti-American wannabe dictator and banning it in front of the White House. Then he got arrested. Would you say that veteran that was willing to lose his life for this country hates the country?
No, I wouldn't say that at all.
Oh, but yet he
It's-
burned the American flag. Do you
I know,
see
but
where I'm
again,
coming
that's a
from
very
now?
Specific, it's a very, I do. But that's also a very specific situation.
And did you know in that
Right.
very specific situation, Donald Trump's cronies went up and put him in cuffs and took him away because of Donald Trump's CEO?
See, that's
How does that make you
that's
feel?
what-
How does
No, I know,
that shit
that's-
make you feel?
No, I know that's what I love about conversations like these because that does piss me off and that's not right at all. But
Right.
it's
No, I
hard.
think of the galaxy. So you asked me for one way Donald Trump is serving the country? There you go.
Yeah, but how is that hurting us? How is that hurting you? How is that hurting me? How is that hurting
Because we just
every
had,
American
we just
in this
had one of our
country?
we just had one of our rights taken away. Does it hurt you to lose your rights? Hurts me to lose my
The
rights.
right, you only lost the right to not burn the flag of the country you live in. I mean, cry about it. Like, what are you losing?
All right,
Like, you can protest Trump, you can hate him.
I'm losing, right, one explicit facet as ruled on by SCOTUS in the 80s of my freedom to speech. I'm losing my freedom to speech.
You're not, though. You still have your freedom of speech. I mean, you can go protest tomorrow in the streets tomorrow if we want.
I'm
to.
having,
You're not losing
I'm
your
having my
of speech.
freedom of speech illegally limited by a wannabe dictator. There you go.
You're not. You didn't lose your freedom of speech. That's
Oh,
why this live
I
exists.
just revised the claim, my friend. I'm having my freedom to speech limited illegally by a dictator, by a wannabe dictator.
He doesn't want to be a dictator.
So then why did he try to rig the 2020 election?
Honestly, I don't know. I'm not a politician.
No, you don't know. You don't know why he tried to silence the voice and the vote of like 100 million people. Oh, but it doesn't tell us that he maybe wants to be a
Well,
dictator.
yeah, I was being honest with you. I was being a man. I said I don't know.
Right,
I'm
but
not
that
super-
obviously makes it clear that he wants to be a dictator, right?
No, he already admitted to the fact that he's leaving office once this term is over. Obviously, per the
Oh
Constitution.
my god! Oh my
can't
god!
be-
Is that your line? After
Is that a
selling,
lie?
after currently selling Trump 2028 merch in the White House's merch office and detailing very clear ways that he could run again if he wanted to, even though the 22nd Amendment
Yeah.
literally says if you've served 2 terms, you can't serve again.
Correct. He can't serve again. And
He
in fact,
actually said that he can.
I'm glad you said that. Me and my fiance had a huge talk about this because I thought it was a joke. Why are you selling 2028 merch? Again, you don't believe me, but I play both sides. I wanted him to be president this term. I think he, again, definitely would have been better than
Let
Kamala.
me just ask you, what is one good thing he's doing for the country?
Who, Trump?
Yeah.
Multiple things. We have what?
Just name one.
Let's see, 140. What was it last time I looked? 140 billion plus dollars in a surplus because of the tariffs. For the first time ever in this country, we've had a surplus in revenue for the first time in the past like 25 years. We've had a surplus in revenue.
So actually,
We've been in a deficit.
with a surplus in June in 2021.
No, This was as of last month.
Look it up. I don't know what to
Yeah, I
tell
know.
you.
Google is free.
But did you, yeah, Google is free. But did you also know that that's actually a bad thing? I could tell you why.
The United States government being in a surplus compared to a deficit is a bad thing. I would love to hear
because
that.
of what caused it. Yeah, I would absolutely prefer us being in a deficit for that month compared to a surplus because of what caused the surplus. Yeah.
That's crazy. I'll listen. I don't know why you don't. You would rather our country be in a deficit, losing money, adding to our debt, than us be in a surplus.
Because of what
actually
caused
making
that surplus.
money.
Yes.
Correct. It was the tariffs. Yeah.
Right.
What's bad about that?
And who pays for that tariff?
Oh God, here we go. Let me say, you're going to say that the American consumer pays for it.
Right.
I'm
'cause they do.
assuming.
And did you know that we're also going to have to possibly pay that back?
No, we're not. To who?
A federal appeals court on Friday struck down President Trump's use of emergency granted powers by Congress to impose tariffs, which has now opened the door for the administration to potentially have to repay billions of dollars worth of duties. This is being reported on by Politico.
You've done your research on who owns Politico? Do you know who owns Politico?
Oh, who owns Politico? Dude, they're just literally reporting on what a federal appeals court ruled. You are brain rotted. You are brain rotted. You could go read, because Politico isn't, we're funded by the Democrats, we're going to report all this misinformation. No, they're just literally saying what a federal appeals court
everyone is just
rules.
mad that now.
Also Reuters. Go on Google, type in Reuters. Most Trump tariffs are not legal, U.S. appeals court ruled. That Reuters, they're to the right. It's on Fox, too. This is like breaking news, like in the stream. Like, I think that this news actually, Santana, when did this news break?
This just occurred maybe about an hour ago at the most, and it's not about the reporting, it's about the actual ruling from the appeals court. It's the appeals court that's saying that you can't do this, and if he can't do this, then he has to return all the quote-unquote tariff money collected. So yeah,
but he can. He's the president of the United States, and mind you, let me remind you guys of something.
Actually, I'm gonna go ahead and just put you on a brief intermission. Got a couple people to thank. Squish, thank you for the $20 on Super Chat, saying licking the boot of somebody who's never had to lace up a pair is wild. Yeah, actually, he dodged lacing up a pair 5 times. Thank you so much for the $20 Squish. Show some love to Squish down below. As well as Rodney with the $10 saying, does he realize it's more disrespectful to plaster Trump's picture on the flag than it is to burn it? No, of course he doesn't realize that. Come on. You're thinking too highly of him. Jimmy, thank you for the $10, as well as Brandon with the $10. Then Paige with the $5 on Cash App for 21. Thank you, Paige. And then Kaylin with the $10 on Cash App saying, thank you so much for all that you do and happy early birthday. Thank you so much, Kaylin. You are awesome. I'd also like to quickly thank Morgan for the $5 on Venmo. Thank you so much, Morgan. Saying, quote unquote, the divorce came out of nowhere. That's terrible. That's a bad one. That's a bad joke, Morgan. Sasha with the $5 on Venmo saying W not losing rights. Let's go, Sasha. Thank you. Ryan with the $5. Thank you so much. And then Serenity with the $10. Show some love to Serenity down below, saying this guest needs to sit down and watch this debate back with his wife to help him understand, since he needs his wife for empathy. Actually, not a bad recommendation. I would seriously be listening to Serenity if I were you. Then Maya with the $2, then Carson with the $10. Thank you so much. And then Casey, thank you for another $50 over on Venmo. Casey, you were awesome. Let's get another 500 KCWs, saying, as an ICU travel nurse of 8 years who makes more than this guy debating you, I'm disappointed with the healthcare system right now, and I want universal healthcare, and I do support food stamps. So keep defending the good of humans. Casey, you are a good human, and I want more humans to be like you. Thank you not only for the $50 donation on Venmo, but for standing up for what's right. And by the way, if you're watching and you want to support me, you can find my Venmo, my PayPal, and the link tree in my bio. You could attach a message. I'll read it off on live like Casey's, and I just appreciate you guys for the support. Go ahead.
Were you talking to me?
Oh, yeah, for sure. Oh, by the way, did you know that Biden has actually had several surpluses month by month that were larger than Trump's?
They're not uncommon. It's just that most presidents don't brag about it because a tariff is a tax.
Yeah.
It's not something to brag about.
Yeah, so Biden had a surplus. Biden had a surplus in February of 2022 that's larger. Biden had a surplus in December of 2022, May of 2023, March of 2024, and August of 2024. Matt, shout out to you. Thank you.
Yeah, it's a very, very common thing.
So why is everyone so mad at Trump right now? Because he happens to be doing the same thing, and everyone's crying and bitching about the tariffs that he imposed. Like it's such a bad thing. Now we have a surplus again. same as former presidents. But all of a sudden, now that Trump's doing it, it's a bad thing. It doesn't make sense.
I don't think that Biden generated a surplus by imposing universal tariffs on all of our allies, which has now shut down commerce between America and 25 other countries, as well as is reducing innovation in America by limiting competition in the market, reduced GDP growth in Q1 of this year, actually started barreling us towards a recession, upset the stock market and made us quickly lose 10% of growth in less than 48 hours, and is a reverse and and serves as a regressive tax on the poor as they spend a disproportionate amount of their income on the bare necessities to live. This has also fueled unemployment. It's fueled inflation. It's fueled core inflation. It's fueled the fact that 52% of companies in the S&P 500 are now reporting lower profit margins in the second quarter of this year compared to the first. Right? These are all like very bad outcomes that I think that we should not like.
I just think that's hilarious. You make that as a point because, yeah, after the tariffs were imposed, the stock market did go down because everyone was crying and moaning and they don't know how the market works. And now it's back up to almost its all-time highs, which actually it's surpassed. And no one...
Yeah, because he revoked the tariffs.
acknowledges
Then he
that.
imposed them again, then he revoked them again.
Right, but it worked, did it not? Like, if
What-
you're not in the
what-
market, that's
how
on
do the
you, but
tariffs
it
work?
works. You're making money. Like, that's hilarious.
You're making
No, I was
money
just saying-
off of a regressive tax on the poor.
How is a tariff a tax on the poor? That's hilarious you try to say
Because
that.
the less money you make, the greater proportion of your income you spend on those goods.
No, it doesn't matter how much money you make.
Wait,
If you go into Walmart,
don't say
I
no
go
to
into
that.
Walmart,
Don't say no to that. Refute it. When you make less money, do you spend a greater proportion of your overall income on goods?
Well, yes, that is a fact, of course.
Thank
If you
and
make
you just
less
said
money,
no to
then
that
yeah.
fact, and that's why it's a regressive tax on the poor, is because more of their income.
Not
compared to
though. It's a
your-
regressive tax on everyone. It doesn't matter how much money you make. If me and you go to buy a steak at Walmart, it's going to cost us the same amount regardless of your income. Like it's not a regressive tax on the poor.
My friend, I need to introduce you the concepts of diminishing returns to the value of a dollar. I'm surprised you don't understand.
Dude, I wouldn't
this.
even be worried about the U.S. dollar if I were you. Trust me.
This
That-
is
that
this
will
is
always
this
be
is
like-
this is literally a high school economic concept. You're gonna feel really embarrassed after this, and I'm gonna be nice to you about it because you probably just don't understand what I'm saying. Could we agree?
No, you can be mean
that-
about it. I
could
have
we agree
three.
that a dollar to somebody that only has 5 is going to have more value than a dollar to somebody that has 5 billion?
I mean, yeah, that's obvious. Yeah.
Okay, so each unit of the dollar you
Alright.
have, the less valuable each unit gets, right?
Correct.
Okay, so because each unit of a dollar you have, the less valuable each unit gets, if we take the same amount of units away from somebody with a low amount of units, and we take the same amount of units away from an individual with a high amount of units, i.e., a flat tax of maybe $300 on a poor person and $300 on a billionaire, that's going to be a disproportionate tax on the poor, as it is extracting significantly more value from the poor than the rich.
Yeah, but you act like if you're going out to buy groceries or you're getting a tire fixed or getting an oil change, like it's going to cost someone who's poor more money than someone who has money. That's just,
It
it's
costs
a
them
stupid
more.
argument.
It costs them more value.
Correct. It costs them more value, but
Right,
not in
r-
price.
r-
Like the,
well,
everything
like-
that's been implemented
Well,
doesn't cost them
price
more
is
money.
only relevant to what? How valuable it is. A dollar only matters insofar as how valuable that dollar is, right?
Correct. The dollar's worthless.
Right.
Honestly.
And we superimpose value on it. So in the same way that the market would dictate the value of the dollar, right? So do you. You personally would dictate the value of the dollar relative to how many dollars you have. This isn't like a complex subject.
everyone
And by
does
the way, I'd also like to make it clear, this isn't like usually something that's debated. Go take an go take an economics course in any high school. Go take an economics course in any university. You will learn about the diminishing return of the value of the dollar and how this would relate to like maybe like a flat tax or in this circumstance tariffs. It's also like not politically biased. You know, like the only reason why I know so much about, like, for instance, the diminishing returns of the value of the dollar is because I had a right-wing libertarian professor at CU Boulder teach me about them. Like, it's not political, it's not biased, it's just education on economics, man.
No, I know. I literally have. Do you know who Fidelity is? Fidelity Investments. You ever heard of them? I'm sure you have. Yeah. So I work for them. I literally am a financial advisor for Fidelity, and that's why. That's why I don't understand why you're like diminishing. Like, I don't know what I'm talking about. Like, I know for a fact that tariffs are not going to hurt this country, and I know damn well they're not going to hurt
You're a
the
financial
individuals
advisor?
that are
What are-
contributing to the country.
Do you mind if I ask, like, what are your credentials?
My credentials.
Like, did you?
I have multiple. Series 6, Series 77, Series 78, 5.
Did you
I
get,
literally
like,
help
get a
people make
degree
money.
in finance?
I didn't need it. No, I have all my certificates through Fidelity. That's how I know what you're saying is wrong, because the tariffs are not going to hurt the country. They're not going to hurt
Okay.
individuals
Okay.
specifically.
I'm
And
gonna-
I laughed at you.
I'm going to sit on
when
that
you said
one.
that
I'm not sure that
I
you're
laughed-
qualified to be giving financial advice. Can I tell you why?
I'm licensed in the United States. Yeah, so I would love to hear.
I'm
Dean
gonna
on TikTok
very
tell me why
quickly
I'm not.
tell you why I don't think you're qualified. Then I'm gonna pass the mic off to Santana. One glaring reason why I don't think that you're qualified to give financial advice is because I don't think that you could clearly distinct between the value of a dollar of somebody with less and the value of a dollar between somebody with more. Right? You know, because you just completely rejected the common sense conclusion that $5 is more valuable to a poor person than a billionaire. So if you have like two respective clients come to you, one that maybe wants to invest $50,000 and one that maybe wants to invest $50 million, right? Well, obviously with a client that has $50 million, maybe with some portion of their overall net worth, you'd want to put it into more of like a high risk investment relative to their goals and their overall net worth based upon some calculation of risk management, right? However, in your
depends on your age as
calculus,
well.
however, in your calculus of risk management, right? If you want to maybe take 50,000 of their dollars and put it in a high risk asset, right? You're not going to make an evaluation of how valuable that $50 is to them relative to their overall income because you literally reject, conceptually speaking, the diminishing returns of the value of the dollar. So it's like, are you going to be giving like low income and low net worth clients this same advice on high risk asset investment that you would give to high income clients?
No, it's obviously a lot different. I'm well aware of that.
Oh, so
we
you
were
were
talking about
okay.
investments.
So you
investment accounts.
actually do understand the concept of the diminishing returns of the value, but you just didn't admit it because I was using it to make a point that Trump is bad. Go ahead, Santana.
No.
I was just about to say, I mean, do you invest all of your clients' money the exact same way? Because if so, Dean's absolutely right. Also,
Right.
like, there's a lot of people in the country that have driver's license. That doesn't mean they can drive. A license doesn't really mean anything. The one thing that I just kind of wanted to lean on, and I feel like it's not even necessary anymore because you just conceded the point, but do you know the 2 times in our country history that there has been an approach with tariffs the way that Donald Trump is using them, as far as like blanket reciprocal tariffs?
I don't know.
Okay. So there is historic precedents for both of this. They all happen. All 3 of these happen with about 100-year span apart. This is the 3rd time. The first time it was done, the Conservative Party that was in power actually lost over 60% of their seats in the next election. They lost a ton of power. The second time, which was about 100 years ago during the Smoot-Hawley passing, which helped stimulate the Great Depression, the Republican Party lost power and did not regain power for 60 years, or the Conservative Party. And so it's happening now again. And it happens about 100 years apart, where people tend to forget, like, we've already done this and it's already not been successful in multiple ways. And it's always the conservatives that try to take this approach. Again, that's why the courts ruled this down and said, like, hey, this is unconstitutional and you can't do this. And again, it definitely opens up the door to the amount of tariffs that have been collected to be repaid to multiple countries that we have collected those tariff funds from.
We're not going to have to repay it, though.
It's a possibility.
It's a possibility, but that's all you guys are running on. We're not going to have to repay that money.
Literally, if these countries wanted to press it to the furthest limit possible, then yes, because technically we tax them on something that they did not have to actually pay. So, I mean, is it something that other countries are willing to pursue to the furthest extent? Maybe not, but there's a possibility that it can happen. The simple fact of the matter is the approach that Donald Trump is taking with tariffs is not only unconstitutional, followed by the courts, it's idiotic. Do you know who Donald Trump's tariff advisor is?
I don't.
Okay. So his name is Peter Navarro. Peter Navarro is the person that tends to, or who has shaped this entire concept of tariffs for Donald Trump and explained to him why and how he should do so. Now, Peter Navarro tends to actually lean on an economist who, gives him all these ideas as far as like why tariffs are good and why this approach is good. That economist's name is Ron Vera. Have you ever heard of Ron Vera?
I have, yes.
Okay, so you've heard of Ron Vera.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Multiple times in the past.
Cool. So you think highly of him?
I wouldn't say that.
Okay. Well, at the very least, Ron Vera is the person that Peter Navarro and Donald Trump lean on, the economists, to actually give them the idea of these actual reciprocal tariffs. There's something super interesting that we found out about Ron Vera maybe about 2 months ago. Now, if you heard of Ron Vera, I'm sure you heard about the interesting thing, right?
The interest you said, or interesting?
The interesting thing about Ron Vera.
No, I haven't.
Ron Vera is Peter Navarro. Literally, he used a pseudonym to actually write these quote unquote economic policies. And so he's been citing himself and then giving Donald Trump the information about the actual tariff policy. So Donald Trump has literally been following the tariff policy of Ron Vera, who is Peter Navarro, and Peter Navarro is the one who's giving information to Donald Trump. He's literally citing himself on how they make tariffs. Now, again, where did you hear of Ron Vera from?
Oh God, this was a while ago.
Fucking
one of my coworkers, because he knew he was with Trump, working with Trump.
Oh, okay, that makes sense. That makes sense. Yeah, the tariff policy, not only is it not good, it's not actually it doesn't have any type of fucking intelligence behind it. It's not smart.
Well, you know what's crazy is it is smart, because why does almost every other country that we actually have trade relations with, tariff the United States, yet we never have them? You guys are just mad because
tariffs are a tool, right? The issue that Donald Trump doesn't understand is that, and a lot of people say, hey, are tariffs good? Tariffs are bad? No, neither. They're just a tool. It's just like saying, is a hammer good or bad? If you use it the right way, it can be good. If you use it the wrong way, it can be bad. Donald Trump is currently using this hammer the wrong way, and it's bad.
It's not, though. That's what you guys are so mad about. He's simply tariffing other countries that have tariffed us.
He was literally using them illegally. What do you mean he wasn't using them the wrong way?
I was just about to say that.
Wait. What do you mean he wasn't using them the wrong way when he was literally using them illegally?
Literally.
How illegally? He's the president of the United States. Every other president
doesn't give him carte blanche. He's not a king. He's not a king, buddy.
Yeah, I never said he was a king.
And my evidence is a federal appeals court an hour ago. Dude, what is the mental pretzel you're going to twist yourself in? Donald Trump's been using them illegally. My evidence is the ruling from a federal court an hour ago.
I'm not twisting anything. I'm just saying I don't understand why everyone is so mad all of a sudden when, again, it is a fact. You won't even let me finish.
I know, because you're not responding to what I said. You're talking about how people are mad. I want you to respond to the fact that it was illegal.
It was not illegal. He's the president of this country.
It's literally illegal.
See, this is what I'm saying. You guys won't let me finish. Almost every other country that we have good trade relations with puts tariffs on the United States. The president.
Point number one. Point number one. You could put tariffs on another country legally by passing them through Congress. Point number two. Other countries don't uphold American law. That's why they're in other countries. Exactly. Point number three. How the fuck is this responding to the claim that he implemented them illegally in accordance with American law per a ruling from a federal court an hour ago?
Well, Dean, by his logic, he's the president. He can do whatever he wants.
That's his
argument. No, not whatever he wants. Not whatever he wants.
That's what Trump said.
I don't give a fuck what Trump said. That's not what I said. I was saying every other leader in power of a great country that has trade or deals with other countries that actually matter impose tariffs on the United States. Trump did not do a bad thing by saying, hey, we've been taken advantage of for so goddamn long. I'm going to do the same thing to you.
How did Donald Trump come up with the actual reciprocal tariffs?
You know what? I was going to cut you off there because he's still not answering the question, but it's a good one. I want him to answer that first. Then I'm going to have him still man the early position. This guy's all over the goddamn place, bro. What world are we living in?
Yes. And there's no answer he can give that's actually good.
No, you guys are just mad that Trump did the same thing.
Sure. How did Donald Trump come up with this?
That they did to us.
What's the formula for the reciprocal tariffs?
As a
Look at
financial
Canada.
advisor,
Look
you
at
should know
Mexico.
this.
Look at Brazil.
Exactly.
Look at
No,
Venezuela.
that's not the answer. I want you to lock in, focus for me. What is the actual
I
formula?
just named 7 countries.
No. There's an actual
My friend!
mathematical
Okay,
formula.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna have you both just
mathematical formula, what do you mean?
Real quick. My friend Santana is asking you something clear. He's asking you,
Correct.
what was
Correct.
the
You know
mathematical
what reciprocal
formula,
means.
my friend? What was the mathematical formula that the Trump administration used when describing to you and every other American the rate of tariffs that other countries have imposed on us?
Correct. So if you understood what reciprocal means, that means, let's say, as a random example, random country, the UK poses a 50% tariff on steel on us, right? Trump said, again, random example, America says, hey, you charge us 50% tariffs on steel. We're going to do the same thing. It's called reciprocal. That's what that means.
Can you repeat the question that I asked you?
Yeah. Explain what the mathematical equation is for reciprocal.
No. See, no, you're missing.
That's what you just asked me.
That's what it is, Dean. That's what it is. He's misunderstanding. Okay, cool. Okay. So not what is the mathematical formula for reciprocal tariffs. No.
You just asked me.
No. Listen. Not what is the mathematical formula for reciprocal tariffs. I get that. I'm saying what is the formula that Donald Trump used for reciprocal tariffs? Just a hint.
Yeah.
Those are two different things.
Yeah, that's kind of what we're getting at here. What was the formula that Trump used to determine what reciprocal tariffs were?
I mean, you're asking me like I'm him. I don't know what formula he used. He said, hey, they're fucking us over. They've been charging us this.
I'll give it to you. They take the trade deficit that the U.S. has with the goods with a particular country, divide that by the total goods imported from the country, and then divide the number by 2.
And what the fuck
Literally.
does that have to do with tariffs? Where does a tariff play into that picture?
Literally, that and that's not the way the reciprocal tariffs work. That is just, you know who came up with that formula? Ron Vera, Peter Navarro. Literally, I'm not even joking. Literally, Peter Navarro is the one that gave Donald Trump this actual formula for the quote unquote reciprocal tariffs. And then he took that formula and used it across the board, which that is not reciprocal tariffs. That is not how it works. And that's why none of this makes sense.
So why are we now in actually, when it comes to revenue, we are finally not
muted for not responding to what Santana said. Unmute, try again. I'm going to start treating you like a small child.
Also, he was about to go back to the same thing that you've already answered 50 times, Dean.
Yeah. Well, no, we're just going to be treating him like a small child. Unmute. Try again. If you need a clarification, feel free to ask.
I think this droid is broken.
Yeah.
Let's find out.
Yo, Jared, thank you for the $20 over on Venmo saying happy B-Day, Dean. Go grab some pizza at the Sink on Me if it's still open. Well, I'm going to be up in Boulder for the birthday on September 1st, and I'll have to grab some pizza at the Sink on You for that. Thank you so much, Jared. Show some love to Jared down below for the 20. As well as Casey with another with another $60 over on Venmo saying also no need for shout outs, just thankful as an audience. Well, okay, I'm sorry. I won't shout you out, but I already have. I'm going to need chat just to give you at least a couple W's for the $60 because that is so incredibly kind of you. Casey says, supporting how I can. Thank you for your knowledge. I stand with you, but don't have the capability of your talent to debate. We'll support how I can. That's very kind of you, Casey. And she specifically didn't ask for any further shout outs, so this will be the last one. But Casey, just know that I genuinely do really appreciate you. As well as... go on.
Can I just jump in for half a second and say fucking massive W's in the chat for Casey for the $50 donation. She said the same thing, so I'm going to respect it. But Casey, I'm going to send you a message about what you said because I'm on the same page. Thank you so much for the 50.
We're bad at this because we both just gave her a shout out.
But I didn't read the thing, so...
Yeah, we're sorry, Casey. We're sorry. As well as Val, thank you for the $10 on Venmo saying bro's a pilot, not a financial advisor. They're a comfortable lying. Well, I feel like if you said he was a pilot, you probably have reason to. So, yeah, apparently he's just lying. Felicity, thank you for the $25 over on Venmo saying doing the work that we need. Thank you, Felicity. I want everybody down below to show some love to Felicity for the 25. That is FELECYTE. As well as Tom King with the $10 over on Super Chat. Thank you. And L Valentine with the $10 as well. Let's also go and check out that Cash App real quick, see if anybody's over there. Once again, I appreciate you guys so much for all of the love. You guys have been so incredibly kind today. But real quick, I'd like to thank Spencer for the 10 on Cash App, saying I hope you're keeping up with your mental health. I actually am. I got back in the gym and I feel good. As well as Lily with the $5 on Cash App as well. Thank you. If you're watching and you want to support me, you want to get a message across, or you just want to show some love, you can find the Venmo and the Cash App in the link tree in the bio. And honestly, at this point, we're going to move on from this guest. We've been talking to him for like too long. Let's go to move on to the next guest. Santana, while we're getting this next Trump supporter up here, how's your day going, man?
Good. Thank you to Patty for the 5 Canadian. And Dean, I don't know if you, I know, super busy, but did you see what I sent you about PayPal? Because, I mean, there's a way. I don't know if you went that route.
Bro, I'm like, I haven't seen your message. I'll check it out. But I am
check it out because I had the same thing happen to me and I got it back.
Currently, I'm just exploring all possible routes.
Let me know because I got it back and I can tell you exactly what I did.
Okay.
Like they literally just randomly did the same thing to me.
I don't know what this guy's doing, so we're gonna kick him. Also, hey Jonathan, I appreciate you for trying to donate me $50 over on Cash App. It looks like Cash App denied it, so that money is just back in your bank account. I'm gonna go ahead and turn off Cash App. I've noticed that Cash App will like literally limit me. They'll allow like a couple transactions per day, but then they won't allow any more. So Jonathan, once again, I really appreciate you for attempting to donate $50. The virtue in that is very kind, man. Thank you so much. But Jonathan, if you still want to support me today, the only available route you can is over on Venmo. And you can find my Venmo in the link tree in my bio. And that's it for the rest of the day outside of Super Chat on YouTube. Welcome in. What's going on, man? Do you support Trump?
Hello. Good day. Nice talking to you.
Hey, yeah. What's up, man?
Guten Tag.
Are you American?
First, I want to clarify I'm an immigrant, so I'm not originally born in the USA. You can probably hear it from my accent.
Yeah, where are you from, man?
I'm originally from Austria.
Oh, very nice.
Yeah.
Do you support Trump?
Yeah.
Okay.
In some aspects.
Real quick, what time is it?
I'm actually. It's 8:50.
There's not an American time zone.
No, I'm not in America.
Where it is 8:50. We're gonna move on to the next guest. Let's go to move on to Ryan. Everyone, just give us a minute. All right. Jack, thank you for the $5 on Venmo for the pizza. Thank you, man. Thank you, Jack. You're awesome.
I fucking love pizza.
Man, me too. I love pizza too. What's up, Ryan? Do you support Trump?
Yes, sir.
You do. Can you disconnect any Bluetooth devices you have plugged into your phone?
Why do you talk so fucking gay? Thank you. Thank you for the gift. Thank you.
Okay. Point number 1, I don't know if you could talk gay. Point number 2, you sound very upset with the fact that people donate to me and then I thank them. Are you jealous of the fact? Are you jealous of that? Are you jealous of the fact that people donate to me through the Venmo and the link tree in my bio? Just like Shelly with the $10 saying birthday shot on her. Thank you, Shelly. That's very kind of you. Show some love to Shelly down below. You jealous of that, Ryan? Does that make you cope and seethe? Do you hate the fact that Shelly just donated me $10? Or Tori with the $10 saying, just found out about Trump's cuts to the CDC funding today. So disgusting, so
Let's
real.
go, Tori.
Thank you, Tori. Thank you, Tori. Are you jealous of that fact, little bro?
No, I'm happy. I'm happy for you.
You're happy for me? I don't know. You seem jealous.
Of course. No, I'm super happy for you, brother, man.
Okay.
You're the man.
So why do you support Trump?
I don't support Trump. I support you.
Cope and seethe. Moving on to the next guest. We're going to get that next guest connected. We got Marie connecting right now. Here we go, everybody. Oh, that's not Marie. That's Ryan. What about Dennis? Bro, it is so hard to get specific guests up. I
try. Yeah,
it doesn't work. What's going on?
How it goes.
What's up, Dennis? You support Trump?
I do not. However, I did in the past.
Based. Hell yeah, man. Unfortunately, we're just looking to talk to people that are still stuck in your old ways. Jameson, thank you for the $10 on Venmo. Jameson, show some love to Jameson down below in the chat. Jameson with the 10 says we love an educated Rip King. I'm getting ripped again, right? I definitely don't look bad, but I don't look ripped again quite yet. What's up? Do you support Trump?
No, I don't.
Band. Moving on to Jenna. Here we go, guys. Do be patient. Do be patient.
Ecray, thank you for the 20 over on YouTube. Said you love when I co-host with Dean and Parker. Great debate, guys. Yeah, they are the best.
I like hosting with you too, man. It's always fun. What's up? Do you support Trump? Nope. Banned. Goodbye. Moving on to Mel Johnson. Guys, we have over 10,000 people in the TikTok live right now. You're telling me I can't find one person in here to debate with Mr. Santana?
I thought you were Asian on me. Like, bite and go.
Okay, goodbye. Moving on. Someone in the comment section says snooze fest. Calm down, buddy. Calm down. Moving on to the next guest. Here we go. Just looking for that next Trump supporter. You know, it's a real snooze fest, snooze fest in here because we can't find any Trump supporters to debate since they're all scared. Let's go to get that next guest connected right now, everybody. Just do be patient while we're working on it. We're working super hard. I swear to God, we're working very hard. All right, do be patient. Lucas, thank you for the $10 over in Super Chat. That's very kind of you. Santiana, if you have access to the guest queue, feel free to help me try to get somebody up here.
Yeah, I'm checking it right now to see if I can find someone.
Right, it is just like so bad. Like nobody wants to debate. What's up, Donovan? You support Trump? Dude, Donovan's just chilling. What about you, hip girl? Do you support Trump? Dude, hip girl's also just chilling. We need to go over the rules, everybody. We have to go over the rules. Only join the queue if you support Trump and you're an American adult. Okay, all right. This is becoming a little bit of a snooze fest. This is crazy. What's up, Mel? You support Trump?
Hey man, shit no. And I wanted to talk to this jerk, like, cause the jerk was talking about the.
I'm sorry, Mel.
That was me. That was literally me. Listen, guys, I'll just say this. Dean is way nicer than me. I don't have the patience for this. So if you come up here and you're not an American adult that's over the age of 18 that is a Trump supporter, you're getting kicked immediately. I am sorry, but we're looking for some debates. Please respect the boundaries that the host has set. Please and thank you.
Yeah, man. Well, I mean, honestly, I just don't think we have any Trump supporters in here. I think that we won. I think that MAGA's dead. I think that all of the Trump supporters out there are too cowardly to request up. Yeah, that's right. You hear me. You're too cowardly to request up. You can't do it because you're a beta. Welcome in, Pretty. Do you support Trump? Bro, what is going on? What the fuck is going on with our queue? Would you go ahead and put a MAGA with your age down below in that chat if you want to come up? I mean, this is just getting unreal. This is, oh, come on, guys. Unreal. What's up, man? You support Trump?
Yes, sir. How's it going,
That's
man?
exactly what I was about to grab. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Shannon, thank you for the $15 on Venmo saying happy early birthday. I left my MAGA husband after 14 years and I finally feel at peace. Keep up the good work. Queen Shannon, good for you. Hell yeah. Show some love to Shannon down below. Thank you for the $15 and congratulations on a brand new start at life. Okay? Free of the weights. Take it away, Juan. Why do you support Trump?
How's it going, my man? Can you hear me?
Yeah, we could hear you all right.
Why do I support Trump? I just think he's one of the better presidents that we've had past couple of decades.
Oh wow. Why is that, man? It's a very strong.
Number one, I think that like you kind of misuse what Trump does a lot because he's kind of like trying to eliminate all the problems that we had from past presidents as immigration and such. So I think that you use those tactics to make him seem extremist and stuff like that. So that's I understand where you're coming from, but at the same time, I don't agree with the tactics that you use to like convince people.
What
if you
tactics?
understand what I'm saying.
I mean, I just convey truth.
Well, for example, one of your posts talks about it being unconstitutional about the Trump flag burning, and that bill or the executive order hasn't even been passed yet. So
Yeah, he signed it into law 2 days ago, my friend.
yeah, but it hasn't been passed yet, and
Executive
there's no way
orders
that
You don't
anybody-
pass executive orders.
Yeah, executive orders don't.
or
get
nobody
passed.
would be prosecuted under that executive order.
So, executive orders don't get passed. They're just signed into law with a signature from the president. They don't get like,
Okay,
sent as a
and
bill
what
through
I'm saying is
Congress
that nobody would be prosecuted for burning a flag.
Can you
so-
explain to me how you think an executive order gets passed?
Well, no, I would like you to inform me. You'd probably be more informed than me. So
The president
you
has
could-
their lawyer write it, and then he puts a signature on it.
Okay.
Technically, he's right about what he's saying, though, Dean. I don't know if he knows how he's right, but what do you know about the EO?
The EO, you could explain to me. I don't know a lot.
Why are you saying that no one will be arrested for burning the flag?
Because of the bill that was, it was 1989 that the bill was passed, correct?
No.
Why are you saying? Just answer the question.
Because the judge that ordered that it was legal to burn flags in 1989, I don't think anybody would be prosecuted due to that order being had.
No, that's not the reason. The reason is because the EO isn't necessarily about flag burning, and they've made it really clear while reading out the functionality of the EO. The reason why it won't be for quote unquote flag burning is because they're going to look for additional crimes related to the person, not necessarily the flag burning, because they understand that it's unconstitutional and they know that they would not win that actual battle in the courts. So they're specifically going to actually look for other charges for people who's burning the flags. Even the veteran who burned the flag and was arrested, they didn't charge him for burning the flag. They actually charged him for something else. I can look up the charge, but they're looking for additional charges for people that burn the flag.
Okay. On another note,
Wait, no. Acknowledge that. Don't just skate past it. Like, are
Oh,
you
yeah,
good with
when-
them actually just making up additional charges for people burning the flag because they can't specifically stop people from burning the flag because they know that's unconstitutional?
Well, I mean, can you show me a specific case with that happening?
Literally, I just cited the case of the veteran that burned the flag and was arrested. They did not arrest him for burning the flag. They got him on another charge while burning the flag. Literally,
Okay, so-
they look for connecting charges
So what
they
about-
can actually subvert the First Amendment right.
So what about, for example, let's say I get pulled over for speeding.
Yeah,
and
I don't
find
care
out I'm
about
a
that.
criminal.
Address what I said directly.
Yeah, I agree with you. But what I'm saying is, I'm saying a counter argument to what you said. So how, let's say like I get pulled over for speeding and I'm found with drugs in my car. The cop didn't pull me over for drugs in my car. He pulled me over for speeding, and then he found something else that is now I'm gonna be charged for. So that could have been the same thing with the veteran. So I don't think that's a valid argument.
Yeah, no, they literally, in your example, they're literally pulling you over for breaking a crime, and then they found additional connected crimes at the time. The actual example that I gave, burning the flag, is not a crime, but they are treating it as a crime to find additional crimes. That does
Yeah.
not equate.
But you just said that they can't be prosecuted under the flag burning.
Exactly, but the premise is the actual burning of the flag, and then they look for additional charges after you burn the flag.
Unfortunately, I got to keep the live safe. He said DRUGS. I wanted to keep them up, but you know how that is. It'll get the live restricted. Kayla, thank you for the $21 on Venmo saying happy early birthday. Thank you for doing the Lord's work. Thank you, Kayla. I really appreciate your contribution. That is incredibly kind of you. If everybody watching can please show some love to Kayla down below in the chat, it would mean a lot to me. Oh, wow. Yeah, just got the restriction right now. After I removed him.
Holy smokes.
Good work. But no, because I removed him
Sorry,
first.
Dean.
No, because I removed him first, it's not permanent.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. No. So I've recognized that if I let them stay up, because I maybe don't think they'll get the restriction, then it'll be a restriction on the live itself. But if I immediately kick them, then it will just be a restriction on them, right?
Got it.
Anyways, Kayla, thank you once again for the $21. Let's get 200 Kayla W's down below. That is Kayla, as well as Carissa with the $10 saying for Pedialyte and Tylenol on September 2nd. Thank you for the 10, Carissa. Once again, if you want to support me, you can find my Venmo in the link tree in the bio. I was banned on PayPal. The only way you guys can support me now is Venmo. Now, of course, if you don't have Venmo, you could also support me on Super Chat on YouTube. And everybody on YouTube, I hope you're doing all right. Anyways, hey, what's up, Keith? Do you support Trump?
Hello, Dean. You're looking, quite frankly, very handsome today.
Thank you, Keith. Thank you. Thank you so much. Moving on to the next guest band. Moving on. Let's go and get the next guest. Sports Television connected to the live. Here we go. Hello, are you MAGA?
I am, yes.
Okay. Why are you MAGA?
Well, I think I voted for Trump in 2024 for two main reasons. One, I think his social politics were superior to that of Kamala Harris. And secondly, I thought that his foreign policy was more apt than hers.
Okay, well, I mean, he conceded to what she wanted to do with Ukraine, so I don't know.
False, actually. But we can get into one
He
or
didn't
both
restart
of those.
funding
You
to
pick,
Ukraine?
you pick, and then we can.
Have we?
You pick, and then we can go into that.
Have we chatted before?
No, never.
I feel like we have. I feel like I've spoken with them as well.
I have
And
never.
I can't
I've only
remember if
talked
it was with
with
you or with Parker, but like I'm sure
with neither.
I-
I've only talked to
I
Harry's
feel,
system.
I feel like I remember you. I don't know. Maybe. Who knows? So, yeah, what do you mean when you say that Donald Trump's socially better than Kamala Harris?
I think certainly some of his social politics are lean more towards what I believe in. For one, I believe his abortion stance of keeping it up to the states and promoting states' rights is a positive thing. Secondly, I also believe with some of his gender ideology and some of his legislation to protect women's sports and things like of that nature.
Okay. Point number one, I think it's a very bad thing to keep abortion on the state level.
Well, that's your opinion, but I believe that protecting state rights is key, and that's a key thing that we saw our founding fathers try to entrust in the Constitution.
Do you think that states should have the right to legislate on human rights?
Negative.
All right, and that's why I think that abortion shouldn't be legislated on at the state level, because I think that restricting a woman or girl's access to abortion is a human rights violation, as I find it to be a human rights violation to infringe upon somebody's bodily autonomy unless you have good reason to do so. And I just simply think there's a lack of good reason to do so in the context of women's access to abortion.
I think certainly you can find that, but I would argue that abortion does not follow under the realm of human rights.
Okay. Because you would think there's good reason to limit its access, as you probably think it's morally wrong. But let's make sure of that. Can we agree that it's a human rights violation to infringe upon somebody's bodily autonomy unless you have good reason to do so? An example of this would be kidnapping.
Under specific circumstances, yes.
Do you think there's ever a circumstance where it's not a human rights violation to infringe upon somebody's bodily autonomy unless you have good reason to do so?
It depends if such infringement on bodily autonomy would be a greater threat for others.
Okay, well, if it was a greater threat for others, that would be giving you good reason to do so. So it would hinge on if you have good reason to do so, right? So if you don't have good reason to do so, then it's a human rights violation, correct?
Under that framework, yes.
Right. Now, and hopefully you could agree to this. Like, for instance, we infringe upon people's bodily autonomy when we put them in jail for murder. That's okay, because we have good reason to do so. But when somebody infringes upon somebody's bodily autonomy to kidnap them, throw them in the back of a car, that's a human rights violation because they don't have good reason to do so. So now you'd have to either agree that limiting women's access to abortion is a human rights violation, given that you can't articulate good reason to do so, or in order to disagree that it's not a human rights violation, to coherently argue your point that it should be left up to the states, you'd have to give us good reason to infringe upon their access. So I'll just simply ask you, what is the good reason to infringe upon the abortion access of women or girls?
The reason is predicated upon protecting states' rights, and that if you remove further restrictions from the states, that you can go slower and slower and closer into a more national government, tyrannical state.
So now you're saying that the virtue of protecting states' rights on its own is good enough reason to infringe upon somebody's bodily autonomy. You understand that now you are saying that states would have good reason to infringe upon the bodily autonomy of, for instance, Black Americans by re-legalizing slavery, and the good reason in the circumstance would be that single virtue of upholding states' rights?
That's simply a straw man argument, though.
So
You're
then,
stressing certain
if
bodily...
you think that's a straw man, you misarticulated your position.
False. You've actually misarticulated yours, because you're now predicating the idea of now
still
stripping
be my
away.
argument?
Excuse me. You're now utilizing amendments that have already been established in the Constitution as a way to bind your argument. However, there is no legal argument protecting abortion in the U.S. Constitution. So using a constitutional argument to defend your own stance is actually a straw man argument.
We're not having a legal argument. We're having a moral argument of what should or shouldn't be the case, not what is or is not. Once again, can you steel me on my position? I think that you're misunderstanding my position.
I think that you're actually overinterpreting your position as something that is on the basis of...
You're not steel manning my position. Can you steel man my position?
You mean straw man?
No, I mean steel man.
No, steel.
Do you know what it means
debate,
to
bro.
steel man? Sorry, I just thought that you're a debate bro. Can you repeat my position?
There's no way he is if he didn't know what you were talking about.
It's fine. Can you repeat the position I gave you insofar as why I think that abortion should be protected by the federal government?
You claim that abortion should be protected by the federal government because, as you claim, it is preserving bodily autonomy. And if you would then take away that right to bodily autonomy, it would open the floodgates for now restricting bodily autonomy on the basis of race or slavery or other such bases.
I wouldn't say that was a good repetition of my position. I'll repeat the position. This will be fun. I just want to make sure that you're following it. So I think that abortion should be protected on the federal level because I think that human rights should be protected on the federal level. The reason why I think that access to abortion is a human right is because I think that infringing upon somebody's bodily autonomy without good reason is a human rights violation. And I think that there's no good reason to infringe upon a woman's access to abortion by making it illegal, meaning it would logically follow that it is a human rights violation. You've already agreed to the conceptual basis that it is a human rights violation to infringe upon somebody's bodily autonomy without good reason, meaning that if you agree that human rights should not be legislated on at the federal level, should not be legislated on at the state level, which you've already agreed to, yet you think abortion should be legislated on at the federal level, this means that you don't think it's a human rights violation to infringe upon a woman's access to abortion, which means that you do think there's good reason to infringe upon their bodily autonomy. Good reason for an infringement upon a woman's right to bodily autonomy in the context of abortion would just simply be reason why abortion is wrong or harmful. So do you have an argument to demonstrate that abortion is wrong or harmful?
Well, I think your argument falls apart when you add within any reason. I think this reason aspect is missing from your argument, and that it's not a valid enough reason in order to support your position.
Can you repeat that? I didn't track.
So in your argument, you claim that federal government has the right to protect bodily autonomy.
I said,
and that it should protect with good reason. With good reason.
I said that the federal government should protect human rights.
With good reason.
No, it's not even with good reason, right?
I mean, that's what you said. I'm just repeating what you said.
You're not repeating what I said.
You said with good reason.
I did not say that. I'll repeat myself. The federal government should protect human rights, and it is a human rights violation to infringe upon somebody's bodily autonomy without good reason.
So the without good reason piece is the piece that we're sort of disagreeing on here, because I'm arguing that it's a states' right. Listen, this is what I'm arguing is it's a states' rights issue in order to enact abortion. Personally, I am for. I'm probably pro-choice. However,
can't even follow the position. This is terrible. I thought that you were smarter than this.
Dean,
you can't.
Dean, what I'm simply saying is that abortion rights should lie in the states, because I am for protecting states' rights. And my worry is that through stripping away states' rights, we are therefore opening the government to too much power, right? And I think abortion is a critical piece that is not stressed in the Constitution, that we can still protect the states. I personally think that voters in each state should be able to decide what policy they see fit.
Okay, I'm literally gonna write this out for you in a premise by premise argument, just simply because you're not following me. Santana, I'll let you quickly talk for him while I'm writing this out. But like, I swear to God, I'm purporting like a really strong and good argument that you're just simply not.
You are. He's just not tracking.
You talk to him real quick while I write it out.
I'll make mine super quick. Number one, what do you think about Donald Trump infringing on the rights of states that do not want him to actually send troops into their cities and state to quote unquote quell crime?
Is it the federal government's responsibility to protect its states?
To a certain level, but it's not the
On a
federal
certain level,
government.
no,
It's
exactly.
not the federal
Exactly.
government's. It's not the federal government's responsibility to supersede the actual governor when they are not requesting and in fact actually denying the federal government to come into the states. Literally, they're infringing on states' rights. They're telling the states that I know better and I get to tell you what to do. Isn't that exactly what you said that you didn't want?
So according to your logic, correct, but however, you're misasserting the level of need for a federal government to protect its citizens from a foreign threat. The federal government under Trump has deemed that
Sure, when those troops
illegal
were actually sent to Los Angeles, what did they do? Did they protect? Sure, when the troops were sent to Los Angeles, did they protect the citizens? Yes or no?
According to
Yes
the
or no?
crime,
Yes or no?
according to the crime reported by Los Angeles,
Yes or no?
violent demonstrations
Yes or no?
decrease. Yes.
Yes or no? No, they
yes,
didn't,
according
because
to
literally
yes, they did.
the
Pull up
way
the LA
that they
crime
were
statistics.
the way
Excuse
that
me,
they were
pull up the
actually
LA crime
able to be deployed is because they were deployed to protect federal buildings. That's the way that Donald
Yes.
Trump was actually able to
And-
supersede that. So by your
and-
premise, by protecting federal buildings, that has nothing to do with protecting the actual people of Los Angeles. It doesn't work that way. Anyway, I want to go to the second point real quick because I know Dean is almost ready. Second point, when you say it should be left up to the states, what do you do when there's a state that actually, one, does allow their citizens to vote on abortion, but then two, makes a decision when there's enough support to quote unquote uphold people's ability to actually get abortions, and then they change the actual stipulations for the voting? I'll give you the real example. Florida literally changed, since they have a supermajority as far as the Congress. They told the people, if you go get enough signatures to vote, then we will put it on the ballot. And they got the signatures and put it on the ballot. And then Florida changed their actual stipulation, saying, hey, actually, you don't need 51% of the votes anymore. You need 61% of the votes in order to uphold abortion. What about those types of situations when they're literally pushing back on the will of the people?
No, that's certainly an interesting example. I think that your common argument would be, well, you know, you're rejecting the free will of the people, but the free will of the people did elect these elected representatives to represent them. And that is a critical clause, that when voters go to the voter box, they do elect officials to be able to determine their voting regulations. And
So you're
and
saying that
so-
the actual official, I'm just trying to make sure I understand you, the officials that were voted for the people, by the people, who are
correct.
public servants, now
Correct.
get to actually tell the people that, you know what, your vote isn't good enough, get more.
False. Their vote was good enough because their vote actually elected.
It wasn't, because any
Yeah,
other
false.
stipulation, it's 51%. and they
I
made
understand.
a decision
I
to
understand the
actually change it
specific.
from
I understand the
51%
specific.
to 61%.
I
So
understand
their
the
vote
specific-
wasn't good enough.
Santana, I understand the specific situation that you're talking about.
Mhm.
However, what I'm simply arguing is the people that changed those stipulations were elected by the people, and that is a key part
Exactly.
of representative
By
government.
the people, for
right?
the people, to
So,
actually do
exactly,
the will of
exactly.
the people.
So for the people,
And
by the people,
wait, so
elected
if the
those elected
will-
officials to
they-
make those elections.
To do the will of the people, right? To do the will of the people, right?
To do the will of the people, certainly.
Cool. And
But
so
the will of the people that
were,
elected
if
them.
the will of the
that
people were
elected
to
them.
actually be able to vote and pass the abortion clause, why would they actually go above what the will of the people was? The will of the people was not to get a supermajority vote for it. It was to be able to vote for it, and they decided to make that change when they knew that they were going to get a vote turnout that they did not want.
Well, as you know, we do live in a representative democracy where we do elect our representatives who then make rules for us. So you are simply predicating your argument upon a direct democracy and arguing that because we don't have direct democracy, it is therefore not the will of the people. False. The will of the people is expressed in a representative democracy.
I hear you.
But you're
Listen,
simply
I
using
think
that as a way
Dean is ready. I just want you to understand that you're very hypocritical in your stance.
I'm
It doesn't make sense. So
it doesn't make sense. We're a representative democracy.
You're
Santana.
literally
I don't know how else to
hypocritical
say
in
it.
your stance.
I mean, we're a representative democracy. I mean,
Sure.
yeah. Thank you.
Okay. All right. So when I was giving you my argument on why I think that abortion should be protected on the federal level, you were very lost in the sauce. You weren't tracking it. You weren't following, which is fine. I was kind of going through it quickly, and I don't think I was articulating it to the best of my ability, so I'm not going to necessarily fault you for that. However, are you familiar with what a syllogism is?
No.
Damn. So a syllogism is a formal argument that would contain a set of premises and a conclusion. The conclusion is supposed to be logically following from the premises, right? And the premises are supposed to be true. So inside of a syllogism, if the conclusion logically follows from the premises and the premises are true, then the conclusion is true. Are you following me so far?
Yes.
Okay. So here's my first syllogism. Okay. Premise number 1 is the federal government should protect human rights. Premise number
Not always.
2.
Because there's certain exceptions where the state government should protect human rights.
Okay.
I would change that to the government should protect human rights.
Okay. So take premise number 1 to mean that the state should not have the ability to legislate on human rights.
I think that could also be debatable under a certain framework, but continue.
Well, it's either, do you accept it as true or false? That states should not
I
have
accept
the
that
ability
it's
to
I
legislate
accept
on
that
human
it's not I accept that it's not always true because some human rights are not protected under the Constitution.
Okay, so now you're making
Your idea of
now you're making an equivocation, because these claims are saying what should be the case, not what is the case. So when you detail to me that there's some human rights that can be legislated on this state
There's some
level,
human rights in your opinion. In your opinion, there are some human
would you allow
rights
me to
that cannot.
finish? The only way we're
Yes.
gonna have a
Do you mind putting your thing back on the
I'm gonna
screen? I
fucking
understand.
mute
Do you
you
mind-
if you stop if you keep on interrupting me, bro. I'm trying to be so kind to you that I literally wrote this argument in premise by premise, in premise by premise argumentation. Shut your ass up and listen to me. I'm trying to be so fucking good faith. I have not wrote out an argument in premise by premise syllogism form for anybody ever before, and I'm doing it for you because I think that you're intelligent enough to grasp the concept. But when I'm trying to critique the information that you're saying because it's false, and I'm just trying to further explain my view in a good faith manner, don't interrupt me. It is so rude, especially when I'm sitting over here trying to write these arguments out for you in premise by premise form. Okay?
Can I say one thing real quick, Dean?
Yeah.
Like you are definitely doing this in good faith, and I think the point that you're missing, you said literally in good faith form. That's not what he's doing. That's the problem.
Right.
Anyway, I'm sorry. I'm gonna let you have it, Dean. But just FYI, this guy is not doing it in good faith.
Yeah.
So keep that in mind.
Yeah, so we're still on the first premise. The first premise says the federal government should protect human rights. The important implication of the first premise would be that the state governments should not have the ability to legislate on human rights, as all human rights should be protected by the federal government. Do you agree or disagree to this notion? Unmute.
Hello? Sorry.
Do you agree or disagree to that notion?
I agree that all human rights that are currently protected by the Constitution should be legislated and dealt with by the federal government.
Okay, well, that's simply not the question that I asked you, and I'm asking you my questions clearly. If you do that again, I'm going to kick you.
Repeat your question.
Thank you so much. And if you're unclear on what my question is before you answer it, just please ask me to clarify it. That's fine. Okay.
Sure.
So the question is, do you agree that all human rights should be protected by the federal government, with the important implication that this bears being that states shouldn't have the ability to legislate on human rights?
Yes.
Thank you. So you accept P1, correct?
I accept P1 as it's written.
Phenomenal. P2 would be infringing upon one else's bodily autonomy without good reason is a human rights violation. You accepted this earlier. Do you still accept this now?
I do not accept bodily autonomy in terms of abortion. No.
Well, we're just looking at the premise. That's how this works. Like, these things logically follow. We'll get to abortion later. I'm just
I understand.
simply asking you if you accept that
So-
infringing upon somebody's bodily autonomy without good reason is a human rights violation. Without good reason. Without good reason. Once again, infringing upon one's bodily autonomy without good reason is a human rights violation.
Without good reason, I would say yes.
So you accept P2. Okay. Well, then
I accept P2, correct.
So you accept both P1 and P2, which would logically imply the conclusion that therefore the federal government should protect against bodily autonomy violations that don't have good reason for them, right?
Sure. Under my framework of bodily autonomy violations, yes. That is a correct assessment.
Great. So now we're going to go ahead and move on to the second syllogism. P1, limiting a woman's access to abortion is infringing upon their bodily autonomy. Keep in mind, because I know this is what you're going to jump to, this doesn't indicate anything about if you have good reason to do it or not. Even if the pro-life worldview was true and abortion was murder, limiting a woman's access to abortion would still be infringing upon her bodily autonomy. You just suggest that you have really good reason to infringe upon her bodily autonomy, because if you didn't, someone would be murdered. So do you accept P1 that limiting a woman's access to abortion is infringing upon their bodily autonomy?
Yes.
Okay. Now we go on to P2. And now this is where the crux of the debate should land. Okay? P2 is as follows. This infringement has no good reason.
And I would find that false.
Okay. So you find that false. You think that there is good reason to stop a woman's access to abortion, infringing upon her bodily autonomy. And what do you think that good reason is?
So I do not think it is good reason to infringe upon bodily autonomy. What I'm saying is I do not think it is good reason for the federal government.
So then
Excuse me.
No.
I'm speaking. You just spoke for a while.
Wrong. Because
Can I not
P2 is specifically in the infringement upon the woman's bodily autonomy.
Yes,
Specifically the infringement upon the woman's bodily autonomy. See, when P2 says this infringement, it is specifically indexing the infringement upon the woman's bodily autonomy.
Okay, I think it has good reason, not because I think limiting bodily autonomy through your worldview of abortion is bad, but simply because I'm saying that the part of giving the federal government the power to do so is the bad thing, because we should be strengthening our states rather than our federal government. That is my point that I'm making, right? Personally, I am pro-choice, but I am also pro-states' rights. So therefore, I would find abortion to be better settled by the states and the people.
Okay.
That's the point.
So you are now arguing that P2 is false because you think good reason for infringing upon a woman's bodily autonomy by restricting her access to abortion is merely the virtue of the fact that you think states should have the ability to legislate on it.
Correct, because it is not written expressly anywhere in the Constitution to protect abortion, so therefore it's state rights.
So if a woman gets pregnant and wants to kill the fetus growing inside of her uterus, and she lives in a red state where it's banned, and she goes to Planned Parenthood and she learns that she can't get an abortion because it's banned, you acknowledge that that is an infringement upon her bodily autonomy, but you think it is a just infringement in virtue of the fact that you think states should have that right. So this is where we hit the point where you now have no argument against slavery. You literally don't even have an argument that slavery is bad.
False, because slavery is protected.
Let me finish speaking.
You're attacking, but okay.
Let me finish speaking.
Yes,
and now the reason that you don't even have an argument that slavery is bad is because we could replace P1 with, like, just follow me here. We could replace P1 with saying limiting a black person's access to not be legally considered as property is a infringement upon their bodily autonomy. Then P2, this infringement has no good reason. And your same counter would apply that the good reason for limiting a black individual's bodily autonomy through slavery does have good reason out of virtue of the fact that states should have these rights.
So no, I think that's actually a false dichotomy, and this is where it's false. Because in the Constitution, there is a constitutional amendment against slavery. What I'm saying is if the U.S. Congress would approve an amendment to protect abortion, I would be against state rights delegating that. I'm simply a constitutionalist who's arguing that because it is not protected, abortion, in the Constitution, that it is therefore a state rights, and that the government asserting control of it would be federal government overreach. I'm simply trying to balance state and federal power, which is key.
And now I have
That's the point.
Now I have an explanation on how your point is clearly false, because you're attempting to use what is legal or illegal in order to indicate normative reasons for why things should or shouldn't occur. Right? Because when, like we say here in P2, that there's no good reason for the infringement upon the woman's bodily autonomy, the suggestion is that there's no good moral reason, right? There's no reasons that we could indicate to tell us anything about the normative rightness or wrongness of limiting her access to her bodily autonomy. But now you're telling me that the good moral reason for limiting her access to bodily autonomy by banning her access to abortion is literally the fact that it is not constitutionally protected. So once again, my counter argument to you now will be to go in a hypothetical, a time machine, put ourselves in 1798, replace P1 with limiting a black person's access to their bodily autonomy through slavery, and then P2, this infringement has no good reason. You would reject P2 by arguing that because it's not constitutionally protected against, you have good reason to limit a black person's access to their bodily autonomy.
I mean, I'm not going to answer such insane hypotheticals when we're living in
the question.
I'm not answering. No.
My friend,
the thing is that he is now using something of the beauty of time machine hypotheticals to defend an argument.
I am fully, I'm fully convinced that I've cooked you on this. I'm going to make this. I'm going to make this one clear. I'll let you speak in 30 seconds, and I'm actually doing this for good reason because I want you to calm down and stop being emotional before you try to respond. But while you're calming down real quick, I think I've absolutely cooked you on this. And the reason why I think I've absolutely cooked you on this is because I've taken the time to separate this into a premise by premise argument. I've taken the time to literally write it down and put it in front of your eyes. I usually don't take this time with my other guests. You came up here, you seem smarter and also a little snarky, so I took the time with you, right? So I just want it to be clear that yes, under your view, you are using legal reasons as normative reasons why a rights infringement would be just or unjust. Do we have good reason or no good reason for the rights infringement? And that legal reason would be if it's constitutionally protected or not. The very obvious hypothetical scenario we'd enact here to refute your position would be, well, if we were in 1795 and slavery wasn't constitutionally protected against, and P1 of this argument said limiting a black person's access to be a person is infringing upon their bodily autonomy, and then P2 would be this infringement has no good reason, you would reject P2, arguing that this infringement does have good reason as it's not constitutionally protected against. That would be the counter to your position. Respond to the counter to your position. Take it away, unmute. You have my full attention.
I suppose the counter to the position would be simply that abortion and slavery are two separate issues, or they're in two different categories in the stratosphere of human rights, maybe.
Okay, so then I'm so sorry. If that's not your reason for why you reject P2, then what is the reason insofar as why you reject P2?
Well, the reasoning is both a legal reason that I presented, but I guess also a moral reason.
Well, the legal reason has now been outruled, because if it was truly
that's false.
If it was truly this legal reason, then why wouldn't it apply in the context of slavery?
Well, for one, we're in 2025, so we wouldn't be discussing the issues of slavery. So I feel like
modern day slavery today. But we literally have modern day slavery.
That's a different.
We'll go over that later. I just want to keep you hyper on topic, hyper locked in. So now you're telling me that we're in 2025, we won't be discussing this. That is just an incoherent rhetoric nonsense sandwich that I'm going to throw out. right? Because once again, the suggestion is that we would be replacing P1 with limiting a black person's access to, I don't know, be a person is infringing upon their bodily autonomy, and you'd accept that, right?
Yep.
I would not accept in 1795 the position of slavery.
Okay, so now I'm literally going to write this out for you again. I'm going to give you like an even better side-by-side comparison because you can't be good faith. Copy, paste, reword, P1. Limiting a black person's ability to be a person is infringing upon their bodily autonomy. Look at this. Dude, you're so fucking cooked. It is ridiculous. It is so
Can I
ridiculous.
say a couple of thank yous real quick?
For sure. I'm just hyper locked into this, but go ahead.
Okay. Maya, thank you so much for the 10. Yeah, we're going to get back to you as quickly as possible. I promise you, we definitely want to help out. Matthew, thank you for the 10. You're amazing. Susan, holy shit, guys. I'm sorry. Can I get 1,000,000 W's for Susan, who sent $100 donation saying thank you for the amazing education. You are freaking far too kind. Someone sent a $50 donation. I'm not going to say who, but I will say that literally, you know my stance as well, and I will always support the queer community because, you know, everyone deserves rights. Sports TV doesn't get that. Anyway, Tip, thank you for the 5. How does allowing governments to ban abortion limit power? Wouldn't allowing people to choose do better? Just asking for a friend. Yeah, exactly. I don't think he gets it. Thank you all for the donations. Also, Hype Python, thank you for the $9.99. Yeah, he is barbecue chicken. Dean is cooking them. Guys, for anyone that would like to support, keep in mind, Dean, his payments are limited to Venmo. So if you would like to actually support Dean, shoot him a Venmo, show him some love, especially right now. I mean, like, this is a lot of work that he's doing. Also, his birthday is coming up. And you can also donate through YouTube with the super chat. Let's show Dean some love because he is lifting hard. Also, keep tapping the screen. Let's go ahead and get the likes up to 3 million likes.
Okay. So ignore C2 on the upper graphic. And now we're just going to be comparing these two side-by-side syllogisms. So with the syllogism on bottom, you accepted P1 being limiting a woman's access to abortion is infringing upon their bodily autonomy, but then you rejected P2, that being that this infringement has no good reason, rooted in the fact that you do not think that you do think because it's not constitutionally protected, that therefore there's good reasons for this infringement to be the case. So we're now going to logically mirror this argument on the bottom to the argument on the top in the context of slavery. Do you accept P1 in the context of slavery, limiting a black person's ability to be a person is infringing upon their bodily autonomy?
Yes.
Okay. So if, right, slavery was not constitutionally protected against, would you therefore reject P2, this infringement has no good reason, by arguing that it does have reason because it's not constitutionally protected against?
I would support P2.
You would support P2 even if it wasn't constitutionally protected against.
Correct.
So this just means one moment.
Well, you're attacking my argument here, and this is critical.
One moment. So now that we have demonstrated that you would support P2 in argument number 1 about slavery, even if it was not constitutionally protected against, this just means that it not being constitutionally protected against is not sufficient reason for the infringement in the first place. So now that we have concluded that it not being constitutionally protected against is insufficient reason for the rights infringement to be justified in the first place, we'll go back to the argument that we're referencing in context of abortion. Earlier, you rejected P2 being this infringement has no good reason, by arguing that sufficient reason for the infringement is that it is not constitutionally protected. However, we just agreed that it is not sufficient reason. So now I will just simply ask you once again, now that we've agreed that you are wrong and that is insufficient reason to justify the rights infringement, do you now accept P2?
In the case of abortion, no. Now, here's the clear reason why. You claim that sufficiency is on the basis of the arguments you laid out. However, a legal reason is only a piece of such sufficiency, and another critical piece has to be the two sides of the coin of the argument, right? Both pro-choice and pro-life advocates have solid points as to the effects of abortion on both a unborn baby or a fetus, depending on your viewpoint, and the women giving birth. However, slavery does not have such dichotomy because we all know slavery is a bad, immoral thing to do.
The people from the South
abortion, however, does not have such dichotomy.
Oh, great. And this is the debate I've been trying to get to you the whole time. This is what I said at the start. This is why I wrote those 2 syllogisms. This is why I ran you through it logically and analytically as fuck. Okay? I reject your notion that there is a single solid pro-life point to argue an instantiation of the conclusion that abortion is morally wrong. And in fact, I will ask you to justify your counter-argument in your rejection of the second premise of my position by giving me the good reason to support the view that abortion is wrong or harmful.
Well, that basis would be left up to religious scholars that would argue that abortion is immoral. Plenty of people around the world would view abortion as immoral.
So
I'm
then
simply
give me
here. Once again,
one good reason.
I am personally pro-choice, right?
Oh,
my
oh,
whole
so-
idea, though, is because there are two camps of thoughts of abortion that are both sort of universally supported in a pro-choice and a pro-life atmosphere. That therefore is the grounds. That is therefore the grounds for a sufficient trust for a more localization of the issue into the states and not the federal government.
You're so fucking
by
cooked.
localizing, I'm speaking. By localizing the issues of abortion, you are therefore dealing with the direct two-sidedness of the issue that is presented today in America.
Check this shit out. You're so fucking cooked. If you think there's good reason to be pro-life, if you think that pro-life perspective
Millions
can
of
be
people think that.
instantiated with good reason, then why aren't you pro-life?
Because I am personally against women being unable to make decisions for their own body. But,
Which ultimately
and
means...
Here's the but.
But
Here's
the implication that you're personally against the pro-life view implies that you personally don't think there's good reason for the pro-life view. Just like on a rudimentary level.
It's false.
On a rudimentary level, we accept views that we think there's sufficiently good reason for. We reject views that we don't think there's sufficiently good reason for. When I'm explaining to you why I'm pro-choice and why I'm not pro-life, all that I'm saying is I think there's sufficiently good motivating reason to be pro-choice, and I don't think that there's sufficiently good motivating reason to be pro-life. Okay? Right? And if sufficiently good motivating reasons, right, don't inform you of what you should believe or not, then you don't think in a rational manner. Thinking in a rational manner implies that you think in accordance with what view has the best motivating reason to instantiate it. Okay? And you are now telling me that because that view is not the pro-life view, then you do not think that there's sufficiently good reason for the view to be true.
False. And here's why.
If you do think
here's
there's
why.
sufficiently good reason for the view to be true, then why don't you think it's true?
Just because I do not agree with one idea does not mean that I do not believe there are evidence or even arguments for one side. It is not a black and white issue. There is some gray here, right?
Well,
this is not simply an issue that is so obvious that if I'm
what
for
is
one
black-
side, I can be totally
what is
against
black
the
or
other
white?
one.
What is black
That's
or
what I'm
white is if those arguments, is if those reasons are sufficiently good or not. Okay?
I think there are certain religious reasons for abortion that are sufficiently good enough if you believe in those religions.
Okay.
There are millions of
Okay.
people over
So-
the
so now-
world
now
that are
please.
pro-life. I
So-
believe that's sufficiently good reason.
Well, now you don't believe in those religions, which means you don't think that there's sufficiently good reason for the religion to
False.
be true.
No, because I believe those people following their religion have some structure of morality that may be slightly different than mine, but I know they are still striving to be moral people. Most
Okay,
people. That follow
Okay.
religions.
So now
I'm
you're telling
I'm
me,
not denying their morality.
So
on the
now you're
basis of
telling
following
me
religion.
that a sufficiently good reason for a rights violation can just simply be a conclusion entailed from a religion, regardless on if the religion is true or false, right?
Once again, no, that's false because there has to be a sense of
okay. So then
popularity.
what's the
Excuse me,
sufficiently
excuse
good
me.
reason for the
Millions
pro-life
of people,
view?
Millions of people are pro-life.
Oh, okay.
Millions in the
wait,
United States.
So if
we're not talking about
so
one sub-religion. that is-
if millions of people are X, then there's sufficiently good reason for X. Is that your argument?
No.
No.
But my argument
Why
is
do
that-
you keep unfolding on yourself?
Now-
What's
now
the
you're
argument for the
dangerously-
sufficiently good reason for the pro-life
You're
views?
dangerously straying into a deep anti-religiosity state that is now denying the religious affiliation of many people.
Straw man! Straw man! Remember, I'm asking you to demonstrate why you think there's sufficiently good reason for pro-life views. You started off by telling me, well, people believe this because it would follow from their religion, regardless if their religion is true or not. You threw that one out the window when I just repeated your own view to you. And then you went on to say, well, millions of people think this. So then I repeated the the view back to you saying that you think there's sufficiently good reason for rights violations given that millions of people agree on it. And then you said no. And then I'm asking you for the new updated position. And now you're saying like, oh, you're denying religion. You're denying religion. You're denying religion. Fucking straw man. Stay on topic. I want you to describe to me what the sufficiently good reason for a pro-life view is.
In a religious perspective, once someone is conceived, then they are a person. So a simple pro-life argument that I'm sure you know, that the religions have said, is that once conception occurs, then a human life is conceived.
That's not.
Or you could simply make an argument that, you can simply make a pro-life argument that we see, that by killing a fetus or a baby, however you may see it, is denying someone a life.
I've probably the most important clarification, point of clarification ever. Are you ready?
Sure.
Do you believe that this is still sufficiently good reason to hold the perspective if you believe that the religion is false?
I think yes, if you see a large population of a certain religion in a specific area, because I think it should be a localized issue because in the United States, we have this division of powers that occurs, as you know, and I think that's a states' right issue. And this is the key of the argument, the crux of the argument. And let me just finish with this, and I'll let you talk. Don't worry.
Don't worry. I want to hop in here because now you're telling us that an individual, a rational actor, has sufficiently good reason for a human rights violation, a sufficiently good reason for a rights violation, given that it follows from a religion, even if the religion is false, given that millions of other people also follow from that same religion. Okay,
that's
all right.
Well,
so now let me demonstrate to you why this is a bad argument. All right, let me give you a great reason why this is a bad argument. Have you ever heard of the slave Bible before?
Maybe, but I'm not sure the specifics.
Okay, so during antebellum era slavery in America, right, white Americans took the book of Leviticus alongside a handful of other verses in the Christian Bible, particularly verses like Leviticus 25 verses 44 through 46, where God says that Israelites could enslave non-Israelites, and they took this notion as a religious belief following from that of a God, and millions of people believe this. Obviously, a rational actor would say either one, they didn't have sufficiently good reason to believe this because the religion was false, or two, they don't have sufficiently good reason to believe this because their version of their religion is false. However, you just told us that the truthness or falseness of the religion in of itself is irrelevant to if they have sufficiently good reason to believe it, given that there's millions of other people that also believe it. The conclusion of your argument would be that white Americans that thought slavery was justified based upon a contorted notion of Christianity, the slave Bible, and verses out of Leviticus, had sufficiently good reason to believe that slavery was okay.
Also, just an FYI, they literally taught that to black people and used that as justification for slavery, explaining to them how they should actually obey their slave owners because it was ordained by God.
Exactly. And under his, like, anybody, like you, me, Santana, we would say that their version of that religion was false, or that the religion in of itself was false. But this guy's argument, it doesn't matter if their version of the religion is true or false. It doesn't matter if the religion is true or false. All that matters is if they believe it, rooted inside of a religious belief, and other people do too. Right? And that actually happened. People legitimately believed, in accordance with their version of their religion, that slavery was okay, and millions of other people did too. So your argument would conclude that they had sufficiently good reason to believe that slavery was okay. So let's see if you agree with that conclusion. Do you think that all of the white Christians that thought this had sufficiently good reason to believe that slavery was okay?
No, because slavery is never okay.
Boom, got it. So in other words, you just rejected the totality of your position. Thank you for playing.
Yeah, you did.
False. No, because slavery has no black or white. It's only gray. We've already covered this.
You literally just...
Because abortion, no. I've said slavery is off the table.
Can you repeat my argument
slavery
back?
Is wrong always.
Repeat my argument back to you.
Your argument was that the usage of this fake Bible in the South was able to procure white Americans to believe in false ideas, which then gave them the religious, according to my argument, the religious cannon fodder in order to support, under my framework, abortion being up to the states, or
My
slavery up to the
argument in a
states.
nutshell was that you told us that you could have sufficiently good reason to believe in a view, given that it's consequential of a religion, regardless if that religion is true or false. Is that a fair
So that's great.
repetition of your position?
That is a fair repetition of your position. Yes.
No, of your position. Your reason why you think.
Oh,
that
sorry.
some
Yes, of my
pro-life-
position. But
Okay.
but
Okay,
here's the thing.
before we move on,
Can you point to me? Excuse me.
Before
Can you
we
point to me?
before we move on, you just said that a fair repetition of your position is that people have sufficiently good reason to believe X because X is consequential of a greater religious view, regardless of the religious view is true or false. So then we introduce the new notion that, well, in accordance with your view, the white Americans would have sufficiently good reason to believe that slavery is okay because it was consequential of their religious view, regardless if their religious view is true or false. And now you're rejecting that conclusion. Okay, well, this just means that you're rejecting your own logic. You are. You're rejecting your own logic. Do I need to make a fucking premise by premise syllogism for this too? You can't just say, oh, well, I think slavery's always wrong. You can't just say that. Because in accordance with your logic, they would entail the conclusion that it's not wrong because of religious view, and you thought that was the sufficient reason to find it to be the case. But if you want to introduce this notion that you could just simply say, well, now you're just going to ignore your logic because you think it's always wrong. Well, I'm going to ignore your logic because I think it's always wrong to deny a woman or girl access to abortion inside of my pro-choice view. And now because I've introduced the notion that it's always wrong for that infringement to occur, by virtue, it rejects your logic the same way you did. So you now have no argument against it. And I'll even take this one step further. Earlier, you told me the difference between slavery and abortion is that abortion can have some valid views on each side with good reason. I asked you for an example of a pro-life view with good reason, and then you described a pro-life view that was consequential that of a religion. Okay, well, guess what? You actually don't think that a view consequential of religion in of itself would be good reason to find X to be the case unless the religion is true, and my evidence is your rejection of the notion that slavery has good reason for it, given that your good reason is consequential of a religion.
I don't think that's totally true because your example was the distortion of a religion by a figure that is not a religious figure. What I'm saying is, can you point to me?
Congratulations.
Excuse me.
Congratulations. So now you have to argue that the religion is true for the pro-life worldview. Now you have to argue that the religion is true in order for not to be distortion.
Dean, can you point to me? Can you point to me a distorted religious view on abortion?
Yeah, for sure. There's just not sufficiently good reason to believe that the religion is true in the first place.
So then you're using an anti-religious.
I can point to
secular
one.
viewpoint.
I can point to one very specifically.
Great.
Christianity.
How so?
Christianity. Literally, the idea of abortion has been propagandized by Christians since I think it's somewhere between the 30s or the 50s. Anyway, when they started making this push. Are you a Christian?
I'm probably a non-practicing Christian. I would.
Okay,
Yeah, I would say
cool.
that.
Have you ever heard of the bitter waters?
I've not.
Okay, so literally in the Bible, there's a actual way, a prescription to give an abortion, literally called the bitter waters, where God actually tells the husbands how to commit an abortion on their wives. And not only that, do you know what the actual penalty is for the abortion?
No, I'm not familiar with that.
You pay a fine. It's a property. Literally, the Bible calls it a property crime. And now, what's the penalty for schmurder?
Usually imprisonment or death.
Death, right? Because murder is a sin, and the penalty of sin is death. But the actual penalty for an abortion given through the bitter waters is literally you pay a fine. So even that premise, like literally, that's the exact premise. But a lot of people don't uphold that because, again, it's been propagandized since like the early 50s or whatever.
Yeah,
like this wasn't a thing. There was no real push.
There you go.
Abortions through religion.
There you go, sir. There's the distorted view. The true view of the Christian Bible would instantiate that fetuses possess property rights, given Mosaic law in the description of what you should do to an individual if they were to kill a fetus, right? Alongside other texts rooted in Deuteronomy and Numbers, where priests ordain abortions, given that the fetus was conceived out of marriage, right? Yep. So now we have sufficiently described how it is a twisted view on the Christian Bible to argue the pro-life view, meaning that this is not sufficiently good reason to hold the view.
Yep.
Well, then another point that I would counterclaim to that would be
Do it. Counterclaim. I'm open. Go ahead.
another point that I would use to counterclaim that would be that if we view religion as if we try to secularize religion and think that our laws and that the current way that we do life has not been influenced by religion, then I think we're now falsely overemphasizing the role. No. You can't call that out. You got to hear the argument first. Come on.
Yeah, for sure. Just like religious influence has nothing to do with if religion gives a sufficiently good reason.
Your argument is that now because you claim that all religion is distorted and that no religion is true, and you may have that viewpoint. So
no, I'm just simply saying that you'd have to demonstrate otherwise.
The point now
behind the pro-life view. That's all.
Okay.
I want that point to be clear.
My point is that
wait 1 second.
Here's the counterpoint. Here's the counterpoint.
I want because you just misrepresented my position. My position is that you'd have to demonstrate that A, the religion is true, and B, the interpretation of the religion is true, in order for the pro-life view to have sufficiently good reason.
I think that all you have to do to prove that a pro-life view has sufficient reason under that framework that you presented is by saying that religion has no context for the framework of both laws in this country or even moralities in this country. And I think that you would find that religion does have that sort of intertwining in the laws and moralities, and thus, therefore, is an important thing to consider when thinking of political ideas.
Okay, so now you've just gone completely off base, because now you're saying
it's not off base. It's just using religion as a context for laws.
Here's why it's off base. Because you're arguing that because religion and government has been intertwined, that therefore using religion to indicate any governmental position has sufficiently good reason.
Not necessarily.
Wait, hold on. Can I highlight what Dean is saying as well, though, just to chime in and say, literally, the actual premise under government and religion, I guess you can call it the quote-unquote primary religion of the United States, Christianity, rights are given at first breath. Literally, it says that in the Bible, and even the Constitution, it says you are granted, the rights are granted to all people born. So literally, that religious aspect and that governmental aspects both align to say, hey, you got to be born before you get those rights. It still lines up to, like Dean literally just said it, you're missing it.
Listen, man, listen, at its nutshell, you will fail to demonstrate that a pro-life view has sufficiently good reason for it to be true unless you think it's true or unless you don't think it's true and you're irrational. Like, if X has sufficiently good reason for it to be true, then you as a rational actor are going to find it to be true, right? And in all of these arguments, like you're trying to argue that these views have sufficiently good reason for them to be true, even if the religion isn't true, just automatically disqualifies the views as having sufficient reason for it to be true. Like, would you say, like, here's a religious view. I'll give you an example. All right, the Bible describes Jesus as God. Would you agree that in order for this view to have sufficiently good reason to be true, that the Bible would have to be accurate?
I suppose, yes.
Okay. So once again, in a like sense, many people think that the Bible describes that abortion is wrong. Would you agree that in order for this pro-life view to have sufficiently good reason to be true, the Bible would have to be accurate?
Would that be in terms of my perspective on the idea or a perspective of how the government should handle the idea?
Whatever perspective you answered the first question to. About Jesus as God, sufficiently good reason for that to be true, the Bible would have to be accurate. The Bible also says that abortion is wrong. In order for there to be sufficiently good reason for that to be true, would the Bible actually have to be accurate? And by the way, you're asking from what view? I'm saying like the view of reality. Like literally the events that it's describing are true of reality. Right? Like what else would accurate?
As a Christian,
no, we're not talking through any perspective outside of the lens of the perspective of reality. Like we're talking about what is literally true and false. Would it have to be literally true that the Bible is accurate in order for there to be sufficiently good reason to think that abortion is wrong because the Bible says so?
I don't agree with your full A to B, but maybe your A to A and a half I would agree with.
What?
I think the point is, as a Christian,
You loony fuck! You are insane! You just told us that was... Oh my God, I'm going to freak out. You just told us that we could read whatever we want off of pieces of paper and that we have sufficiently good reason to believe whatever the fucking paper says, even if the paper is not accurate and wrong. Do you hear yourself, you disingenuous loony fuck? Of course the Bible would have to be accurate in order for anybody to have sufficiently good reason to believe what it says. You can't have sufficiently good reason to believe things that are false. Why? Because they're false. And if the Bible wasn't accurate, then the Bible would be false, indicating the necessary prerequisite that the Bible would have to be accurate in order for you to have sufficiently good reason to believe anything from it, you delusional, deranged, lunatic fuck.
Okay. So my whole point is, I don't know what you were going there.
Get pushed.
Yeah, I don't like getting yelled at, but okay. The point is that as a
So
Christian,
do you accept it that the Bible would literally have to be accurate and in alignment with reality in order to have sufficiently good reason to draw any true conclusion from it?
as a Christian, I believe in the Bible.
That was a yes or no question. Would the Bible have to be accurate and in alignment with reality for you to possess sufficiently good reason to yield any particular conclusion from it?
For the most part, yes.
What do you mean for the most part? What do you possibly mean by that? Are you saying for the minor part, there's a minor part where you could yield sufficiently good reason to find a conclusion in the Bible, even if the Bible is false? Are you saying sometimes you could have sufficiently good reason to believe things that are false?
Because I think certain moralities that are fleshed out in the Bible, we should abide by as humans. We should not murder. We should not steal, right? Even if the Bible is false, there are still moralities and ideas talked about in the Bible that should be true.
No.
I mean, you would agree.
No. The idea in the Bible is that murder is wrong because God said so. That would be the conclusion yield from the Bible. In order to have sufficiently good reason, in order to believe the view that murder is wrong because God said so, would the Bible have to be accurate?
For the reasoning of why it was put in the Bible, yes.
Which would be the religious motivation.
The reason that it was in the Bible was because God
So now you just said, in other words, all that you just said was that in order for you to have sufficiently good reason to hold a view through religious motivation, the religion has to be true. You just said that.
There are parts of different religions that I think that should be practiced in society.
That's not what I said, you disingenuous fuck. I particularly said conclusions formed by religious motivation.
Conclusions formed by religious scriptures.
Like, in order to think that murder is wrong because God said so, the only way you could have sufficiently good reason for that view is if the Bible's accurate, aka if Christianity is true, correct?
Okay. I will answer that direct question. Let me get from point A to point B, which is your answer.
Oh my God, dude,
we've
just been going through this for 2 hours.
I'm doing exactly what you're doing.
You are so fucking disingenuous. You are so fucking disingenuous. I'm literally just trying to get you to agree that in order for you to have good reason to believe something, it has to be true first. That's all I'm trying to get you to say. You idiot. You fucking idiot. Have you ever heard of a pseudo-intellectual? The next time you look in your mirror, I want you to scream that word at yourself 10 fucking times. Say, I'm a pseudo-intellectual. I'm a pseudo-intellectual. I'm a pseudo-intellectual. Because that's all you fucking are. Sure, you have a great vocabulary and you're able to attempt to purport your views in some way that makes sense. And you've really memorized the fucking note cards of the federal government, the state government, the Constitution. And you were cooking when you first came up here. You were doing better than 99% of the guests that joined the stream. But now I've literally reduced you down to arguing against the idea that you have to have, in order to have sufficiently good reason for something to be true, that thing has to be true.
Okay, let me now discuss my argument, now that you're finished that. So personally, I'm going to ask you a personal question like you did me. Are you a Christian?
No, I'm not a Christian.
Okay. Do you believe that murder is wrong?
Yes.
So therefore, because you believe murder is wrong, and it says it in the Bible, do you believe in the Bible?
Do I believe in the Bible? I think that no, I don't believe in the Bible.
Okay, but there are certain aspects of the Bible that you agree in. agree with, such
The
as
aspect
murder
of the
is
Bible
wrong.
saying that murder is wrong. However, if you listen to literally anything I said, you would have heard me say that yielding the conclusion that murder is wrong because God said so. I reject the notion, I reject the conclusion that murder is wrong because God said so. The only way I could have sufficient reason to believe the conclusion that murder is wrong because God said so is if the Bible is accurate and Christianity is true. Do you agree?
So how do you know murder is wrong then if you're not
You
a Christian?
fucking idiot. Are you going to answer the question? Also, for everybody in the comment section saying, let this guy finish, get fucked. I don't give a shit. I've been going in circles with him for the last 2 hours trying to get him to agree to the most common sense conclusion known to mankind ever. That is, in order to have sufficiently good reason to believe something to be true, that thing actually has to be true. You cannot have sufficiently good reason to believe in anything if that thing is false, which implies that it has to be true in order for you to have good reason to think that it's true. Why is this important? It refutes his earlier argument that you could have sufficiently good reason for something to be true via a religion that you think is false. If the religion is false, you cannot possibly have any good reason, any sufficient good reason to yield any conclusions from that religion. And an example in this context would be, hey, murder's wrong because God said so. The only way you could have sufficiently good reason to believe that view is if Christianity is true. Do you accept that or not?
Do you mind paraphrasing what you just said for the last 45 seconds into one concise
Do you agree that in order to have sufficient reason that murder is wrong because God said so, Christianity necessarily has to be true?
No, because just for the reason that you know murder is wrong, despite you not being a Christian, my question to you is, how do you know murder is wrong if you do not use a religious framework?
Okay, so I just asked the question, do you think that you must possess sufficient reason, in order to possess sufficiently good reason to believe that murder is wrong because God says so, Christianity has to be necessarily true? This means that you think you could literally possess sufficiently good reason to think that something is false. Or to think, to believe something is true when in all reality it's false. Why do you think that people could have sufficiently good reason to believe in views that are false? Why do you think that? What do you even mean? Okay? What do you even mean when you say that you think somebody could possess good enough reason to believe something, even if it's false?
Because even if you don't believe the Bible exists, even if you believe that no religion exists, there are still tenets from these religious scriptures that we use in everyday society.
Buddy, that's not what we're fucking talking about. What conclusion did I ask you? What conclusion? No. What conclusion did I ask you if somebody could have sufficiently good reason for it to be true, even if the Bible is false? What was the conclusion I asked you if somebody could have sufficiently good reason for it to be true? What was the conclusion?
The whole point you are making is
shut the fuck up and answer the question. What conclusion did I offer to you, right? What conclusion did I ask you if you had sufficient reason to believe that it's true, even if the Bible's inaccurate? What was the conclusion? Be clear.
You can state the conclusion for me and I'll respond to it.
Believing that murder is wrong because God said so.
I do not believe murder is wrong.
That's not what I asked you. I do not believe... Can you possess sufficiently good reason to believe that murder is wrong because the Christian God said so, even if the Christian Bible is inaccurate?
You can still possess the wherewithal to know that murder is wrong.
That's not what I'm asking you. Oh my God, do you have 2 brain cells? That's not what I'm asking you. What do you think I'm asking you right now? You are speaking straight past me. You do not have a functioning fucking brain. Repeat the question I'm asking you.
Repeat the conclusion in a different way and I will respond as best as I can.
Can you have sufficiently good reason to believe that murder is wrong because Christian God said so if Christianity is false?
You can.
So you just told me, and I want you to respond to this with a yes or no, that people could have sufficiently good reason to believe things that are false.
So yes, and I can explain that, and I like to explain it.
How could
I would like to explain it.
So then, what do you think I mean when I say sufficiently good reason?
Well, what I'm trying to get at is religious scriptures could be wrong.
No.
And the
no.
religion could be wrong.
No. What
Like,
do you think? What do you
this
think
is-
I
no,
mean
you
when
gotta
I
let
say
me. You gotta let me develop it.
I won't let you develop
have to.
shit
That's
when
how
you're not
debates
answering the
work.
question. What do you
I have
think?
to develop my
You're not
arguments.
developing shit when you're not answering the question. The question is,
You
what
want me to do word answers?
what-
I can't develop anything.
What do you think? I will happily let you yap for like 5 years as long as you're on topic. What do you think I mean when I say sufficiently good reason?
So I think your perspective of sufficiently good reason means that it has to be true. It has to be 100% unequivocally true.
No, that's not what I mean when I say sufficiently good reason.
That's what you just said.
Right. So when I say sufficiently good reason, all that I'm saying is that I have enough reason to convince me that this thing is true, right? And
Okay, so it exists, it's real.
And in order for me to have enough reason, right, for to convince me that this thing is true, this thing has to be true first, right? You can't possibly possess enough reason to believe X is true if X is false, because X is false, right? Because any reason that you'd find to believe X is true would not be sufficient, as ultimately X is not true, right?
I would say no under the current parameters that we're discussing. And I will explain why. Because we're not talking about, you just got a Galaxy, by the way, so.
Yeah, and I want to kick you. Yes. So, by the way, that last debate literally reduced down to him telling us that you could think things are true even if they're false.
Can I just say really quick? I think so, and I said this last night. This is the problem that conservatives have. They hold to these like really fringe, like hyper specific views that morally don't align with everything else. And the reason why they can't quote unquote win a debate is because for them to actually be able to be consistent and win the debate, they would have to agree to like all the batshit insane crazy stuff that you can actually connect it to. And they won't do that because in the end, like their actual views are absolutely ridiculous. Like that's why they can't hold those same premises.
Dude, I'm just like, oh man, I'm like so fucking like beat up over that shit. You know, if you guys want to, and this is going to be obvious. This is going to be so obvious to everybody watching this stream. If you want to know one thing that grinds my gears more than everything else, it is people that willingly reject what is obviously true. Why? Because I'm a truth seeker. I want to understand more about what is true of the world around me, right? Because oftentimes what is true of the world around us can make the world better, okay? And when there's somebody that willingly rejects what is obviously true, I get so pissed. Nothing pisses me off more than people willingly rejecting what is obviously true, okay? And that last guess literally said he willingly rejects what is obviously true as he thinks you could believe things that are false. He thinks you have good reason to believe things that are false. I want to make it clear. That was his argument. You can believe things that are false. Oh my God. Oh my God. Jesus Christ. I'm just, nothing gets to me like that shit. Shrey, thank you for the $50 over on Super Chat. I really appreciate you so much for the love. Thank you so much, Shrey. Everybody watching, show some love to Shrey down below for the $50. That is incredibly kind of you. As well, Shrey with another $20. Thank you so much, Shrey, for the $70 in total. That is incredibly kind of you. Show some love to Shrey down below. Let's get 700 Shrey W's down below in that comment section. While I try to forget that last guest that I spoke to for an hour and a half that was literally trying to argue that you have good reason to believe things that are false. Oh my God. Lion with a $10 saying, fucking give it to him, enjoy your B-Day. I appreciate you for that love, Lion. Let's show some love to Lion down below in that comment section. Rain with a $4 saying, thank you so much for the love, Rain. And then Claire with a $10. Thank you so much. Guests would say I can't get an abortion because 100 of my neighbors says it's against their religion. Dystopian. So true, Claire. Thank you for the 10. Caitlin with a 5 saying, keep up the great work. Thank you, Caitlin. And then Allison with a $25. Thank you so much for the love. Allison says, some religions believe you have to be baptized as a baby. Does this mean that the religions that don't believe or prefer later baptism have to change just to appease other religions, or is it up to the states' rights too? Well, I appreciate you for the love, Allison, as well as Lydia with the $20 saying outstanding debate related to the pro-choice agenda, slow and steady, just wow. Well, it was slow and steady 30 minutes ago. It definitely didn't stay that way the whole time. I apologize for that, Linda. Thank you for the $20 though, as well as Bill with the $10 saying logic in an illogical world. Thank you, man. Kara, thank you so much for the 4. Then Danielle, thank you for the 25, saying, I'm so sick of hearing pro-life arguments from pseudo-intellectual virgins who can't drive. Thank you for trying to cook that guy to ashes. Dude, I couldn't cook him. I couldn't cook that guy, right?
Well,
It is,
I mean, like,
it is
you
hard.
did.
It is hard to win a debate against somebody who's intelligent. It is impossible to win a debate against somebody who's a complete dumbass. That's my take. It is impossible. Tyler with the $10 as well. Thank you so much. Then Catherine for the $10. Avril for the $10. And then Charissa once again for the $10 as well. Or also, I apologize if I just embarrass myself in front of like 10,000 people, okay? I don't think I've gotten that upset in a long time. So my deepest apologies, everybody. Santana, I assume that maybe you have a couple people to thank.
Yeah. I got a few. Junie, thank you for the 2. You absolutely can use that. Carissa, thank you for the 10. I appreciate you and also the fact that you've been watching for a while. Tamara, thank you for the 15. I will definitely be getting pizza tonight. Love pizza. Allison, thank you for the 25. Yes. And also, if you're gonna talk about the bitter waters, it's in Exodus 15:22 through 26. So you might want to make sure that you read up on it. Billy, thank you for the 10. Yes, no nonsense, and I will always support the queer community. Bree, thank you for the 5. Listen, I couldn't help but laugh. Dean was cooking. Noel, thank you for the 15. Yeah, literally after we wrap this, I'm gonna go get a drink. So there's that. And Jay, I think it's Joe W. It was illegal before the 10 Commandments. Yeah, unaliving. Yeah, unaliving was legal before the 10 Commandments. It's all weird. But anyway, thank you all for the donations. You guys are absolutely amazing.
As well as Darius, thank you for the $20 on Venmo saying happy early birthday. Thank you so much, man. Show some love to Darius down below. Also, yeah, no, what day is it? It's the 29th. You said that you're going to get a drink once you leave. I could get a drink in 24, 48, 72 hours.
You know what I need? I'm going to text you. So I'm going to text you. So I've been drinking Uncle Near's. And there's this super exclusive bottle, and I would love to send you one.
Are you sure?
You would, listen, bro, when I tell you it is the absolute best. I don't know, it's 125 proof. So, but it is the smoothest thing you'll ever have in your life. It's amazing. So,
that is incredibly kind of you. I will happily take you up on that offer in 72 hours. Okay.
I got you. And
Bro,
exactly.
in
Well, it'll take
72
more than
hours.
72 to get to you. So
And that is incredibly kind. That is incredibly kind of you, man.
it's so good, bro. I'm
100
telling you, you'll love it.
125 proof. I don't know anything about alcohol, obviously, but that's like 62.5% APV, whatever
Yep,
that means.
by
I just
gallon.
I
Yep.
just have no
By-
clue. And,
yep.
and what kind of
It's
alcohol
a
is
lot.
it?
It's a whiskey, Uncle Nearest.
Ooh, a 62% ABV whiskey. Nice, nice.
It is so good. So it's from the great granddaughter of the guy that made the Jack Daniels formula. And so they took the formula, she made her own company, all this other stuff. So it's a whole thing.
Yeah, I mean, once again, I know nothing about whiskey, but if I were to know something about whiskey, I feel like most whiskeys I would have hypothetically drinking in Minecraft were like closer to 30 to 40% ABV, you know?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah,
60, that's crazy. That's crazy.
Bro,
Yeah.
I got you. I'm telling you.
It's a very kind
worth
offer
it.
of you. That's a very kind offer of you. Well, thank you so much, Santana. I also appreciate you for coming up here and coasting with me.
Absolutely.
I apologize that, that the one big debate that you were up here for was just absolute shit. But
I'll say this one last thing. The thing that I hate the most is a smart, stupid person. They absolutely think that they have it all, but they can't get the actual understanding or functionality. Anybody can, like you said, read off a flashcard.
Yeah.
But I mean, when you can't actually engage with the premise, or you're unwilling to actually concede that, hey, this doesn't make logical sense, or hey, this is an actual problem, it's you. You're the problem.
Well, see, actually, I would say something very similar to what you just said, but the opposite. I don't think that last guest was a smart, stupid person. I think he was a stupid, smart person.
Ooh.
Right? And I actually feel this way about a lot of people on the right. I think this is going to be my hot take for the night. And there's actually a chance that a lot of people watching right now are really going to disagree with what I'm about to say. I think that there's plenty of people on the right that are very intelligent. I think that there are devout, loyal Trump supporters that are more intelligent than me. But these very intelligent people on the right, these devout Trump supporters, okay, I told you it's going to be a hot take. What they do,
I'm listening.
What they do, follow me here. These very intelligent people on the right are A, super fucking evil, or B, they don't care about what is true or false, even though they have awesome cognitive faculties to evaluate what is truth or false. They just don't care. They're evil, they're apathetic, they don't care, right? And honestly, I think that embracing this view is not like a terrible thing. Because the moment we shift the paradigm from looking at everybody on the right, for instance, as stupid, right? Which makes these implications of they can't reason these conclusions because they don't have the abilities to do so. They can't reason these conclusions because they're uneducated or ignorant, which is true of a lot. To rather the paradigm that there's a lot of people on the right that are genuinely intelligent, but fail to reason these conclusions out of opting to fail to reason to these conclusions, or because they're evil, makes it a whole lot more harmful, you know? And I think what this shows is that it's more than just an issue of lacking education in America, but it's a larger issue of lacking empathy in America. You could be educated without empathy and still be just yielding the most terrible, atrocious, evil conclusions because you don't care.
I don't know, because then that would mean there's more Stephen Millers than Charlie Kirks, and I just absolutely believe there's more Charlie Kirks than Stephen Millers. Like, I don't know about that one. I don't know, man. Like even like Charlie Kirk, from my perspective, I don't think he's like the smartest guy ever. I think that Ben Shapiro is a lot smarter than him. Oh yeah, by miles.
I'll use Ben Shapiro for my example. I genuinely think that Ben Shapiro is a smart ass dude. Okay.
Yeah.
Right. And I think that he makes his intelligence clear in many ways. I mean, he's a lawyer. He's a constitutional scholar. He knows a lot. Right. But he is that intersect of being intelligent and evil, because instead of using his intelligence to seek what is actually true, he rather applies his intelligence to attempt to create the most compelling arguments for what is false to make money.
But you don't think that you have more of those that actually are like Pied Pipers, right? They're the ones that can speak to the ones that are quote unquote less intelligent and actually put it in a position that is more digestible for them. I will grant the premise that I think that you have to have a certain level of quote unquote evil in order to support him. But I can't say that there's many Ben Shapiro's or Stephen Millers that support Donald Trump. Dean,
if we were to step back and say, is there more intelligent people on the left than the right? Obviously, because I think that at its core, people, at least on average, do care about other people. I'm an optimist. I think that human nature can be beneficial, right? So because I think that people have natural proclivities towards doing what is right, that's what would then lead like a majority of intelligent people to hold that natural proclivity to do what is right and to go to the left, right? But I still think that there's a lot of people that don't have that natural proclivity to do what's right, and they'll use their intelligence to go to the right. So I think there's a larger, disproportionate amount of intelligent people on the left compared to the right. I just don't think that there's no intelligent people on the right at all.
Yeah. I wouldn't say none, but I would say, like, you can point them out when they come. And then even like the last guy, because he seemed like he was one of those, and then you realize he's not. I don't know.
I don't know. Even with that last guy, man. I mean,
you think so?
I think it takes a certain amount of intelligence to try to fucking fight your way out of what is so obviously true. Right?
Or ego.
You know, like for him to make the mental connection in his head that he could like, oh, if I explicitly ignore that Dean is asking me, if you could think that murder is wrong because God said so, and can you have sufficiently good reason to believe on it? And then ignore the God says so part, focus on the murder's wrong part, and make a connection how between it's possible that the Bible could be inaccurate while still saying that murder is wrong, meaning that you could have sufficiently good reason to believe in this while the Bible's inaccurate. Like I think that you need to have like some good critical thinking skills to reason that, but he's just applying those critical thinking skills to attempt to justify what he already believes in, which is false, instead of to attempt to seek greater truth. But I don't know. There's my TED Talk for the day.
But I'll say this, Dean. I mean, like, what did I say right before you started and you put up like your point by point breakdown before you got into it with him? I said, this guy is disingenuous. That's what it is. And it was a battle of futility because he's disingenuous. So no matter what you say, he was going to have to find some way to actually validate his beliefs because he did not want to actually admit that you were right and he was wrong. That's what it was.
Yeah, so true. Well, Santana, I appreciate you so much for joining us. I'm gonna
Thank
go
you,
to
bro. I appreciate you.
I hope you have a good rest of your night, man.
Yeah, I'll see you later.
See you
Bye,
later.
guys.
For everyone hanging out with us over on YouTube and TikTok, I'm gonna go to an end now. I'm gonna rest. I definitely need it. Maybe quickly before we end, Liam, thank you for the 28 Canadian dollars over on Super Chat. That is incredibly kind of you. And then Betty, thank you for the $50 on Venmo, saying happy early birthday, Dean. Keep it up, kiddo. Thank you, Betty. And then Abigail with the 10. Thank you so much, Liam, Betty, and Abigail. You guys are so incredibly kind. You guys are just so kind. You guys are awesome. I'm gonna go to an end. I'm gonna go to an rest. I definitely need it. You guys have a good rest of your night. Peace and love, everybody. Dean out.